Welcome to the stream, my friends. I hope you're all doing well. Today, guys, we're back with yet another stream, going in pretty deep during this season. But nonetheless, guys, today is going to be a best of three stream. So as you guys saw on the introduction slide, it is going to be 4 best of threes, and basically it's just a showcase stream. So the players have the opportunity to do the picks and bans and play in a best of 3 format without having to commit to, a 4 or 5 hour tournament. So should be quite a bit of fun. Yes, it is time. Iro Titans are quite strong, and you know what? We've actually been seeing a lot of Iro Titan action, Mr. Tolis. We've been seeing them doing pretty well, actually, in a lot of these different tournaments and whatnot. I think actually in the ECL Grand Finals, we had one win a pretty substantial game. So the first match of the day is going to be Random Nyx facing off against Anticity. Second match is going to be King of the Dead versus Chosen One CZ. After that, we have Hadries versus Grombrindle, Dob Plays versus Wicked D to close out the stream, and that is going to be it. So welcome, my friends. Good to see you all. Hope you're all doing well and been able to get your fair share of supplies from the stores, I suppose. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. Some of the pictures of seeing people fighting in Walmarts, which, I mean, I suppose that isn't really a new thing. Even before all this, you could see people fighting in Walmarts. But, more or less, it's pretty crazy. All right. So now they're doing their picks and bans. We have Vampire Coast with Anticity. And he's going to be facing off against Random Nyx's Empire. So this is an interesting one. Random Nyx or Anticity saying, Hadries crushed my coast with Empire earlier today. So they played in a different tournament earlier in the day. And I actually think this is an Empire-favored matchup. But again, that's just my opinion. As someone who I consider myself a Vampire Coast main, I think it's very, very tough. That's not to say it's winnable. Vampire Coast has some insanely powerful lords and some really good tools. But Empire has really, really powerful stuff in this matchup. Oh, wait. Is he picking yet? We're going to see. We're going to see what they're doing. Maybe that's not the pick and ban here. So they're doing their double bans right now. And, he's going Avalorn. Okay. So Anticity's going to go Coast, and Random Nyx is actually going to go Avalorn. And, of course, we saw Random Nyx yesterday was able to win the King of the Hill. Pretty solid victory on his part. Yes. We're doing it. Kelgar says, I'm not touching that like button until you disinfect it. In my country, the first thing to disappear from the markets was all the toilet paper. It's kind of the same thing here, actually, which is pretty ridiculous, for sure. I mean, I saw people taking, on some of these videos. I haven't really been, because we have a local store that really isn't, that apocalyptic. It's a Sprouts market, and we find that, we went in there, and yeah, there was a lot of stuff missing, but there was still, most of the basics, like dish soap and, all that kind of stuff. And this was, 2 days ago. But we saw on some videos of people taking like years worth of toilet paper, years, unless they have a family of 10 or something. It's pretty wild. Yeah. Anyways, are we going to see the screen blocker today? Probably not. Probably not. DM Mag says the stream gets relegated to the side monitor. Jill Dawi action. All right, guys. First game. It's going to be Vampire Coast against the forces of Avalorn, which can be tricky. Dryads are very cost-effective against the zombie infantry. They kill them very quickly. So what you usually see from Avalorn factions is Dryads in the front line. Then from there you see, just a massive amount of archers, whether it be a combination of Lothern Sea Guard or regular archers. And what usually the Vampire Coast does to counter this, the very typical meta build, is using mortars. So basically you use zombies, a couple depth guard to screen the Dryads eventually, and use mortars and or Queen Bess. Queen Bess is a little bit risky though, because Dragon Breath can kill it in pretty much one shot. And on top of that, Queen Bess can be targeted by bolt throwers pretty hard. Whereas mortars, it's not terribly cost effective to shoot at mortars with bolt throwers. I mean, over time it will kill them, but it takes a long time to get it done. So we'll see how it goes. Anticity is ready. This is a best of 3, and all the games today will be best of 3s. Basically, we're just having a fun old day of competitive play. And yeah, we're doing it. We're trying to keep you guys going on the weekends. I know it's been some time. David Versace says, Turin, how you doing? Also, Flashkits just made the most hilarious Warhammer crossover again. I will check it out after the stream. Thank you, David. And also, Bacon is Life says, Turin, where's your sexy face? I have a really haggard beard right now. Man, I have a dirty beard and just a long hair, biblical hair. But I just basically if I want to show my face, I have to tidy up the room a little bit. And I was just you know what? Let's just not do that today. Let's have a lazy stream. Let's just have some fun and do it too. But thank you for the compliment. I was veiled through that. Appreciate it. So Random Nyx still picking here. Random Nyx, of course, known to do very well even with meme builds. He's able to win. Avalorn, though, I'd say is pretty damn good. Alariel is arguably the best lord for the High Elves, as is. So you're basically getting a sub-faction that just has additional units, and you're really not hurting yourself. Yeah, I mean, you can't bring Tyrion and Teclis, and Teclis is actually pretty good in some builds. Of course, Fiery Convocation can be good, and Flaming Sword of Ruin, and Nets, and all that stuff. If you want to go for like a Sister of Avalorn build, Teclis can be very strong. He, of course, has Kindle Flame, which can boost their damage, and also Nets is really good for focus firing with Sisters. And on top of that, he does have some other cool abilities. He has a regrowth, some healing for Dragon Princes. Teclis, I like Teclis a lot. I think he's a pretty good lord. He also opens up the double noble play. All right, guys, going to minimize here real quick and make sure there's no dreaded screen blocker up. Looks good to me. The mullet's coming, though. The mullet doesn't happen until you get the haircut, because basically for a mullet to be true, typically you have to have business in the front, party in the back. That's kind of the whole thing. The front is like a short kind of military style cut, or a very short cut. Not like a buzz cut, but like just, a shorter haircut. And then the back is like super long. That's the true mullet. Like, so right now my hair is long everywhere. So whenever there is another Everchosen, that is when I'm going to get a mullet. And I hope it's sooner than later, because, honestly, my hair is going to get straight up Jesus length if this keeps going. Anyways, guys, for the build of Vampire Coast, let's take a look. He's got deckhand mobs in the front. A Morngul rush, sort of, actually. Not really a rush per se, more of a defensive Morngul spread, which is good. Basically, you use Mornguls into the back line. When things penetrate, they can honestly deal with Cav as well. They have good mass, good AP values, and really good melee attack. So, well, at least the RWARs do. 36 really isn't bad, though. So it's deckhand mobs, bombers in the secondary with some depth guard as well. And it looks like 2 mortars. Mortars are going to be coming in hot and dropping some fire here on the forces of Avalorn. We do have depth guard as well. Having 1 unit of depth guard, I think, is really solid. And we have a Vampire Fleet Admiral. Yes, here for Anticity, with the polearm for anti-large, and of course all the good vampire spells. So getting a very cheap lord, so no Luther, no Noctilus, basically just opting to go very, very wide here and see if it pays off. He's got some Scurvy Dogs as well. Scurvy Dogs are a must in this matchup to deal with the heavy, heavy bow play. However, of course, our friend here, Random Nix, ever the agent of Zeech, with a very sneaky build. So he's got Swordmasters and White Lions into the sunset. What kind of a build is this against Vampire Coast? Man, the mortars are pretty much going to be useless here. This is a really, really unorthodox build, to say the least. So we got White Lions and Swordmasters. We have 2 nobles on chariots, and we have Alarielle the Pigeon Queen to heal up those nobles. And she also does have Tempest, just in case there's a wild Luther Harkin. But this is a very unorthodox Avalorn army. Like, this is completely out of the box. Because usually archers are just the go-to for against Vampire Coast, because they're so good against the zombies and the Mornguls and many of the monsters. But in this case, he's just going for like an armored infantry rush. I'm really curious to see if this will work out. This is like something I haven't seen before, so I'm always excited to see these kind of games here. Mortars are shooting downtown, obviously going after whatever they can see. I would imagine after a couple volleys, the mortars will be switched onto the Swordmasters, which are a much more powerful unit. Scurvy Dogs also aren't going to be terribly useful. However, if Vampire Coast can break units, what Anticity will probably do is use these Scurvy Dogs just to chase off routing units and things like that. He does have some handguns, though. Handguns here will be quite good, and you can see Anticity does have them kind of layered in the back of his army, so when the front line does break, there's going to be a big buffer between the handguns and some of these approaching units. Now, the nobles are going to be charging in. The Scurvy Dogs can be used as a roadblock, actually. They have a okay mass. You can see the Scurvy Dogs do take some damage on impact. Wow, that's a lot of damage, actually. Those Scurvy Dogs getting almost KO'd there. But I would imagine the handgunners are coming forward. It seems like Anticity is being very careful not to send his handguns forward. Mortar teams are shooting in and actually doing okay. Wow, that was really good damage. All right, that mortar is paying its dues here. Some Morgulls have been sent in as well, and the Vampire Fleet Admiral has come in, taking a little bit of damage on the overcast, but he does summon some gunnery mobs here to try and pepper down these forces as they do approach. And the Scurvy Dogs are going to get healed up by an Invocation. I don't know if that's worth the Winds of Magic. Oh man, this is a little bit risky here for Anticity. He's got the Vampire Fleet Admiral, which is going to get gooned by these chariots. These chariots have good AP and a bonus for his infantry, so he's got to be really careful. Now the frontline engagement is underway. You can see the White Lines have engaged for zombies, and zombie deckhand mobs are going to be cut to shreds by the Swordmasters of Hoeth. No surprise there. And in the meantime, zombie pirate gunnery mobs are also laying some saturating fire here into the Swordmasters, but not too much. Alarielle's taking a very risky play because she's in a kill box right now. Basically, if Random Nick screws this up and Alarielle, gets caught in all this crossfire, that could be very nasty. But he realizes it pretty quick. He pulls back. That is a good play because zombie deckhand mobs do turn very slowly, so you usually have a little bit of time. Now for the frontline engagement here, Depth Guard are fighting White Lions as well as the Noble. Swordmasters and whatnot are doing pretty good over the course of the battlefield. Granted, some of them are over chasing on some hounds here. And honestly, though, the Vampire Coast is holding pretty well, but that's largely due to the fact that there are Morngulls here. Morngulls are very good against these type of infantry units. Now, this is the more important fight here. You can see that we do have the Morngulls, we have the Vampire Fleet Admiral, we have just pretty much both players committing very heavily to this fight. The summon zombies in the back here from Anticity, though, very good. Shooting into the back of the White Lion certainly does not hurt. Granted, Foz protection is active, so the White Lions are currently rocking 120 armor. And it looks like Alarielle is going to be pulling up in the sky, and basically over here, Anticity is just using the Scurvy Dogs to rear charge the White Lions, which isn't a bad idea, potentially could break their leadership. Now here, the Nobles on Chariots have gone back here to go after the Zombie Pirate Gunnery Mobs, one of which is about to be compromised here by the flanking Swordmasters, who basically took a big circuitous route here, and now are going to be pushing into the Zombie Nation. We'll see how that goes. Swordmasters here actually doing pretty well, considering they're facing a lot of counters. Night Terrors and Wormghouls are all things which are really good against armored infantry, and yeah, Swordmasters holding their own, which is good. At least it's buying time for the rest of Random Nix's force to do some work. But the gun summons are really good. Anticity's been doing an excellent job of summoning these guys like behind the forces of the High Elves and making sure they shoot their entire duration. Over here, though, this is where things get a little bit scary. You can see the White Lions have gotten back here to the mortar piece, so this mortar team is going to be cut down. These Swordmasters are easily going to be able to cut down these handguns in just a moment once they close the distance. And Swordmasters, a lot of people don't know this, they actually are shielded, because basically they have like Jedi powers, and they can slice the arrows and bullets out of the air with their swords because they're so highly trained and epic. That's kind of the whole thing. As far as the bounce power goes, though, it's pretty much dead even. Both players are taking, beatings here and there. The back line for the Vampire Coast is a little bit compromised over here, but in the middle, Vampire Coast was able to do pretty well. Warngulls and Depth Guard were able to sweep up two groups of White Lions here. The Scurvy Dog flank able to break their leadership, and at this point they are shattered. So some White Lions are going to be charging in to meet the Depth Guard here. Should be able to put some hurt on those guys. Backline for Anticity, and this is kind of like, you can tell Anticity is a good Dwarf player as well. And like I've said in many casts, Dwarf players often do play Vampire Coast as well, because it's very similar how you layer your formations and different things like that. And you can see he has a very good spread between his gunline units, really forcing the High Elves to march between these various forces. So here comes the White Lions charging in. Going to be able to take out the gunnery mobs for sure. And White Lions also are pretty durable against missiles. They do have a 30% resist baseline, which is quite strong. Scurvy Dogs charging in as well, but the Scurvy Dogs maybe will be dealt with, but the rear charge penalty is quite strong, and if he breaks these White Lions, that's huge value. That's 54 models, so Anticity, really good hound play back here. Now back in the fight, that really matters. We have the two nobles going after the Admiral here. Oh, nice Star of Avalorn, because one of the nobles was actually very beat up, probably taking massive damage from some of the gunfire, and of course Morgulls have good AP, like I said. So some Morgulls are getting crumped down here. The Star of Avalorn generating some pretty big value. Anticity coming in with a really nice summon back here, so he does get the gunnery mobs, and they are once again going to be shooting into the back of these elite infantry, but the Foz protection does help. Gunnery mobs don't have great AP unless they're the handgun variant, so the Foz protection here is actually very cost effective, giving these bad boys massive armor, and the Earthblood's coming in, really showing the power of the Pigeon Queen. So she's holding on, but she's also taking a bit of a beating, down to 2200 HP, but of course she is being healed by the overcasted Earthblood. The Halberd of the Vampire Fleet Admiral seems to be paying his dues, but the Nobles are just drifting about. Those guys are quite slippery, and could really cycle charge into the Vampire Fleet Admiral if he's unprepared, if there's no Morgulls nearby. Depth Guard are able to win the fight here against the White Lions. Coming in now, 101 kills. That's really good, actually. These Depth Guard paying huge dues. 101 kills. I mean, everything in the army here of Random Nix was relatively elite, so that's a pretty good kill ratio there. So those guys are going to be jumping into the back of the White Lions. Swordmasters are still going strong with Foz protection. They're even kind of cutting through Morgulls, which is pretty impressive. They still do have 49 melee attack against, 31 melee defense, so yeah, they can do some work. Granted, their weapon strength isn't super high, but they're doing it. So the Nobles back here are going to be shutting down the mortar team or the gunnery mobs, which is really smart. I think that if, even if this battle was a win for Vampire Coast in this particular kind of microcosm of the battlefield, let's say that the Swordmasters do get broken, Alarielle, yeah, and that's pretty much game over, and Anticity knows it. So the High Elves will win that, because the Nobles kill the teams, the Morgulls all crumble to the Swordmasters, and then from there, the Chariots just cycle charge the boy into oblivion, with Swordmasters chopping him down. So Random Nix, with a very unorthodox build, able to claim victory with the High Elves or Avalorn. And he didn't even use any Avalorn elements. I think he went Avalorn as a mind game pick. So he's like, oh yeah, I'm going Avalorn. You're going to see Dryads. You're going to see all that stuff. But he just came in with like a heavy metal high elf infantry build, which was really fun to watch, to be fair. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. That was crazy. That was crazy indeed. Well played. All right, so let's go ahead and update this. So Random Nix in this first best of 3 is going to go up 1 here. Now we'll be moving into our second pick and ban. A great way to start off the stream. And now we're going to do... Just put him on the Fall of Man. One of those meme maps. Put him on Desert's Bounty. There's Desert's Bounty. Anticity said getting Dowie flashbacks because of the build. The build was like an anti-dwarf build, basically. Just all AP infantry. Good luck, have fun. So thanks for joining today, guys. Hope you're all doing well. And one sec here. Perfect. We're all good. Everything's going all jolly. I know, that was a pretty cool list, wasn't it? Yeah, it was very unorthodox. I was not expecting that. I was expecting like a Dryad rush with like a million archers, like you almost always see. But yeah. It worked, guys. It worked. Yeah, yeah. Swordmasters are to Jedi as executioners are to Sith. I would say that's a pretty accurate analogy. Pickled Buddha, thank you for the $5, man. Thanks for all the streams. Help keep us sane while in our bunkers. I know. Yesterday, like after I finished streaming, I was just kind of walking around like, what do I do with the rest of my day? And I ended up watching some Netflix, but because I usually after my streams, my hand is kind of shot, so I can't paint 40K. So I'm just like, oh, what do I do? Yes. He randomly mixed up his build. All right, so we got the Followers of Nagash, and he's banning Dwarves and Counts, and then Antiquity is going to go Empire. So basically it's Tomb Kings versus Empire, but Followers of Nagash do have a couple unique units. It seems like Antiquity really likes to pick like off-meta, like sub-factions, just to kind of like force people to respect the unique units, right? Because by picking this, it's like he suddenly has Hex Wraiths and Fellbats and Crypt Ghouls, which are actually not bad against Empire. The Crypt Ghouls are decent against like State Troops. And Fellbats are a great harass unit too against like some of these other pieces the Empire has. So yeah, we'll see. So it's going to be Empire, the Sons of Sigmar facing off against Random Nicks and the Followers of Nagash. It begins here. And Alan Jones, thank you so much for the 2. What melee unit do you think you could fight IRL? All right, so if I had to fight in real life, and are we talking just one-on-one? I'm pretty sure I could take like a single Skaven Slave if I were like armed with a weapon. I mean, are we talking like fisticuffs? All right, so let's just simplify it. Fisticuffs. I think fisticuffs, I could maybe take a Skaven Slave, probably. I could probably take a Bretonnian Peasant because they're malnutritioned, and I have a background in martial arts. Not much of one, but I think more than a Bretonnian Peasant does. Maybe like some of the less trained state troops of the Empire. I don't know, but probably not. I don't know because they train in the military and I don't. So it's like I don't know, but definitely like the chaff I could take, like peasant mobs. a peasant, or perhaps a Skaven Slave. I don't think in the. I don't really know. It's a pretty great question, though. I might actually make a video on that. Like that's really funny, actually. Like, which units do you think you could take? 1v1 weapon of choice. Oh, well, yeah. Skaven Slaves, Bretonnian Peasants. I mean, there's not too many other things, to be honest. Like, maybe a skeleton. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even if the Skaven Slave scratches you, you could get an infection, but I think I could still defeat it in combat. And then, of course, I may suffer later. Maybe a zombie. Yeah, like a single zombie. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. If an average state trooper can defeat a Skaven Slave, then a reasonably athletic person who has some combat prowess might be able to defeat one as well. But yeah, the thing is, if you're grappling fisticuffs with a Skaven Slave, yeah, you see, that's the thing. Skaven get even scarier without weapons because they have like the teeth and the claws that they could go for the neck and the eyes and stuff. Yeah, that's a really good point. So maybe, yeah, I would need a weapon to fight a Skaven Slave for sure. I don't know. It depends. That's a really good question. Yeah, zombie for sure. Yeah, maybe a single goblin as well. Although it depends, like, some of these creatures like fight often and I don't, so they have the advantage. Like, do I get to train for a couple months? I think in an unarmed combat, I'd be able to take a well-trained state troop. Armed combat, I'd be able to take a mid-level state troop. I don't know, Dark Command's got some experience there. We could all beat a skink. You know what? What's really interesting about the skink cageries is that there's many things in nature that pound per pound are like freakishly strong, right? Like if you look at lizards and like the amount of force they can generate, like even small lizards, it's exponentially more than their body weight. Now, I guess, I don't know, does that apply to a skink, which is like almost the size of like a small like child or something? It's a very interesting conundrum there. Because like they're super agile and super quick, right? Like, and the skinks, like I would imagine they would be pretty fearsome in combat, like really fast. Like even if like, I don't know, I would be hesitant to say I could take a skink. Although I don't really know how big they are. Maybe if you gave me like time to train in like the martial or the art, or not the martial art, but the prowess with the weapon I would be using in the trial by combat, maybe. But like I don't have any weapons expertise, so I mean I've shot handguns and rifles and shotguns and things like that because I had a very country grandpa. But aside from that, like if we're talking on their terms, I don't know. I think a skink could probably take most people, but they're super quick. Skinks are weak. Okay. I could take a halfling for sure. I could take halfling. Yeah. All right, guys. Back to the game here. So we have Karl Franz up in the sky for the Empire. State troops in the front. Looks like a huntsman, so he is going for a bit of a flank overload. So he's got a couple huntsmen here, teamed up with Empire Knights, and also some pistoliers. In the back here, we got crossbowmen. We do have silver bullets as well. And I'm telling you guys, silver bullets are going to be super important here because they do magic damage. And you can see our friend Random Nix, who honestly brings some of the most fun builds I see in casting. He has 2 groups of the Hex Wraiths, so two of those bad boys. Yeah, man, this is going to be wild. He's got huntsmen, state troops, and then Empire Knights and pistoliers. But, I mean, not a lot of magic damage. And honestly, this is actually like a true Followers of Nagash army. He's got direwolves, he's got hex wraiths. It's basically vampire counts. Guys, he's playing a vampire counts army. There are no Tomb King's units, with the exception of Ark in the Black. Oh my god, he is playing a haggard vampire count army with Ark in the Black on foot. I just realized there's not a single Tomb King's unit. It's Crypt Ghouls, direwolves, hex wraiths, and fellbats. This is quite legendary for sure. So the battle's underway. I wonder how quickly Anticity will realize that this is indeed a vampire count army. There's no Tomb Kings here. Like, none. It's just Ark in the Black. It's just a Crypt Ghoul Hex Wraith army with a bunch of doggos, of course, which are going to be chasing down the pistoliers, but pistoliers are very good at kiting them. But this is quite legendary for sure. Truly an honor to cast his games here on stream. Hopefully we're helping you guys get through your quarantines and your lockdowns and all that stuff. It's a really nice play here by Anticity, a good initial grab. Random Nix does make a little bit of a mistake here with the Scurvy Dogs or the Direwolves charging into the Empire Knights, and the Empire Knights are able to reap the benefit of that engagement. Crypt Ghouls are coming forward, and some of the dogs do charge into spears here, but those doggos need to be pulled back ASAP. Some of the Fellbats also engage on top of the Pistoliers, getting a couple models down, but oh, the Hex Wraiths get the counter charge, and the Empire Knights are going to get caught, I think. Yeah, so they come in, and the Empire Knights are caught here by the Hex Wraiths. Hex Wraiths should win in combat. They have better AP values, and they're extremely durable. So that's actually not a bad trade. If the Hex Wraiths can win this, that's worth the Scurvy Dog investment, or the Direwolf, excuse me. Crypt Ghouls have engaged in the front. Ark in the Black and the Golems are going to be going in after the Spearmen here, and the Spearmen certainly having a bit of a bad time. Crypt Ghouls actually have really good weapon strength and poison and can cut through state troops very quickly. On top of that, Ark in the Black does drop a summon back here of skeletons on top of the Huntsmen. And some of the Crypt Ghouls, you know, are still charging forward. A lot of the archers and other units are compromised. In the back, Fellbats have jumped on top of the Jade Wizard, trying to just occupy him and do some damage. And the Ghouls and Hex Wraiths probably should be able to overwhelm these state troops. So far, this is a pretty good grab here. Spirit Leech going down on these Empire Knights, and you can see here these Hex Wraiths are proving to be very difficult to remove. Now, on the other side of the battlefield, Karl Franz is leading a charge here, going after the Hex Wraiths. Doesn't seem to be terribly cost-effective for him, though, as the Hex Wraiths are still winning against the Empire Knights, and Franz is, like, kind of stuck fighting a couple of these guys, and he just finally kills one of them. They do have 75% physical resist, or 70%. It's really, really high. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Crypt Ghouls chewing on some of the Huntsmen back here. And certainly doing some work. It seems like the Followers of Nagash are getting some really good engagements. I mean, 2 Huntsmen here being compromised is really bad. And there's no good targets. The Huntsmen have 0 good targets. I mean, I guess shooting Crypt Ghouls isn't bad because they're lightly armored, but the anti-large is very much wasted. So the Followers of Nagash continue on. It looks like there is going to be a new Shopti summon, and this is the biggest thing. Like, I think that Random Nix needs to commit like balls deep and try and take out the Silver Bullets. If he can take out the Silver Bullets, there's really no magic damage on the battlefield to deal with his Hex Race. He's going to have to do it just like the old-fashioned way, just grinding them down. Definitely not fun. So suddenly, like, all the missile pieces here are compromised. Franz is chasing, and he eventually will be able to kill those Hex Race, but it's going to take some time. We got Scurvy Dogs chasing Pistoliers, which is good for Anticity. Pistoliers will be able to kite them and eventually finish them off. But some of the Golems are still chasing Huntsmen, which is not a good situation for those guys. Ushapti Summon, able to clean up the Silver Bullets. Balance of Power was actually decent for the Empire in the beginning, but it seems like it's going more and more into the favor of the Followers of Nagash. Oh man, no, and the caster is lost for Anticity. Here the Hex Race are able to break him. Of course, they cause terror as well, which is very powerful, and they're able to push off that Jade Wizard. Now back in this fight, we do have the Hex Wraiths, and the Ushapti Summon is going after the Franz man. The state troops are going to be somewhat helpful here, but of course they don't do magic damage, and Spirit Leech going down on Franz as well as Ark in the Black cackles about, certainly making Nagash proud as the Followers of Nagash seem to be pulling ahead in this game, and the state troops of the Empire running in all directions. The Jade Wizard's broken off, Anticity trying to secure his flanks here. This is a pretty good play here, of course, picking off the Crypt Ghouls wherever you can. On the far side, some of the Scurvy Dogs still feasting on the souls of the Huntsmen. And Franz is a little bit trapped up, guys. Franz needs to get away, and I mean, he needs to get that caster back too. It looks like Anticity might opt to send his Pistoliers into combat to try and stop those Hex Wraiths and let the Jade Wizard come back, which is a good play. I would do the same thing, but I don't know. They're just going to get beaten down and terror-routed themselves. Jade Wizard's running for the hills. Probably might come back, but Franzi's in a lot of trouble here. The Franz. Some of the scurvy dogs here from Random Nicks are trying to get ahead of Franz and pin him in. So you can see he's running up here and probably will collapse inward, which is... Oh, and Franz just barely gets up. That is so close. Now, that does give Anticity a chance in this game. But with Franz here on the battlefield, anything is possible for sure. And a lot of the Tomb King's forces, or the Vampire Counts, or the Followers of Nagash, are very, very beat up. Here you can see the Silver Bullets are chased off the battlefield. Ark and the Black's in really good shape. Hexwraiths and Dogs, once again, going to be trying to shut down the Huntsman. They still do have a bonus versus large, which is pertinent against the Hexwraiths, but yeah, those Wraith boys going to get crunked pretty good. My big concern, too, is when the Pistoliers do run out of ammo. He's going to have to go into combat with a lot of scary units. Here on this side of the battlefield, we do have the Hexwraiths with the aspect of the Dread Knight cast on them by Ark and the Black, which does give them terror, but they already have that, so I'm not sure. Maybe just trying to keep them from crumbling, probably, because it does give 8 leadership as well. And it looks like the Sons of Sigmar might be able to get their way back in this game. It's certainly going to be a scrappy one. Ark and the Black going after that Jade Wizard, who was saved by the Pistoliers here, and he does make contact. The Jade Wizard probably should break, and there's also Spirit Leech taking on him down to 295, but Ark and the Black probably will chase him off the battlefield. But suddenly it's a pretty close game. Hexwraiths are able to get a mass terror out before they break, actually, which is pretty good, but the edge of the battlefield is quite a ways away. Huntsman might come back online, and pretty much everything counts at this point. Also, something else to note, guys, is that Ark and the Black here is kind of isolated, a little bit alone. There's a ton of Empire here, and what's left of the Followers of Nagash is on the other side of the battlefield in the form of these Hexwraiths here, which are chasing down some Huntsmen. So Arkin better pray that he has the Skeleton Summon, because if he does not, he is going to get murked here. I mean, Karl Franz will beat the brakes off him. Will the Sons of Sigmar come back against the Followers of Nagash? Skeleton Summon is activated here, and a Spirit Leech as well. This is a big moment here. The Spirit Leech on Franz is very powerful. Liber Mortis does give him almost 50% resistance against Franz, with the 44% physical resist. Spirit Leech, of course, quite strong, and the Skeletons are buffering against all the Pistoliers, and, you know, really giving him a bit of a backbone with which to fight here. On the far side, Hexwraiths just chasing down whatever scraps they can. Franz does pull back, but it looks like the Jade Wizard came back. Oh man, that is so clutch. The Jade Wizard came back and was able to give him another Earthblood, which I think will allow Franz to potentially finish off Ark and the Black here. So Arkin here probably still has some Skeleton Summons in the back pocket. His Winds of Magic probably relatively tight at this point. I can see there being another Spirit Leech, but man, saving that Jade Wizard was the game-saving play potentially. Like if the Jade Wizard was gone, Franz would be near death now, and Arkin probably would be able to take him in a fight. Oh man, is that going to be a regrowth? No. What is it? Is it an Earthblood? Is it a regrowth? Oh no, that's a regrowth. That is actually probably going to give the Sons of Sigmar the advantage. On the far side, we do have a couple Hexwraiths chasing down the Silver Bullets, but what a close scrap. I cannot believe Anticity came back. That looks so bad for him. But he's able to scrap his way back in the game. Ark in the Black, the Foul Necromancer, and his Followers of Nagash once again banished into antiquity as the Emperor, the Prince and Emperor, comes in with Galmaraz. Not activated, but he is holding it. He has the Reikland Runefang in his backpack somewhere, but you can see here Ark in the Black will fall to the wrath of Franz. Certainly an uphill fight, and that is going to be 1-1 here in this series. The unorthodox build almost doing it. Man, I really thought Random had that. Perhaps Arkin being separated from his pals was pretty unfortunate. Maybe that was the turning point, but that was a wild build for sure. And it almost worked. It almost worked. All right, 1-1 in this best of 3. 1-1, my friends, and now we jump to the next match. Sigmar indeed. GG, man, crazy game. No Tomb King's units is what he was saying, yeah. That escape from Karl sealed the deal back there. Yes. So now for the next map, let's go ahead and do the Void of Helmfan. Anticity saw when he got to the end screen, he realized. So end pick 3... TC. So now we're going to be doing the new pick and ban system that we're trying out. So for game 3, Anticity picks 3 factions. His opponent bans 1 and picks, and then they go from there. So people seem to like this so far for game 3. Do the Followers of Nagash have aquatic units? It's a sub-faction. That's pretty good, Optimus Prime. Oh, man. So a good series to start off. After this, let's go ahead and take a look at our future matches. We have... King of the Dead versus Chosen One, Hadries versus Grombrindle, and Dob Plays versus Wicked D. Which is going to be good. Soulfires would do a lot against that Tomb King's build. Oh yeah, Soulfire would really wreck those golems for sure. They would really, really do well. So Anticity is doing Norska, Dwarves, and Dark Elves. And now Random bans 1 and picks, and then they go from there. I like this format a lot, actually. The new pick and ban thing we're trying out. I definitely dig it. And I did see your message, Shetland and Zardar. If perhaps we the other best of threes go a little bit quicker, perhaps we can add another one on to the end of this, but we'll see. We'll play it by ear. The hex rates actually didn't do bad. They are pretty expensive, but they had a good initial value for sure. The terror routes weren't bad at all. Helmfen is a rough map. Yeah, it's a wild one. It's got some swamps. I think we'll see some lizards. So yeah, Random Nick's going coast. So he's probably not going to go. He's not messing about now. I don't think Random will meme here. All the prizes on the line. So now we have either Norska or Dark Elves. Both of which I think Tomb Kings, or not Tomb Kings, the Vampire Coast has some good matchups in. And of course the Aquatics trait here is pertinent for Vampire Coast. It is a bit of a swamp. So we got Dark Elves. Dark Elves usually just spam Shades in this matchup. You see a lot of Shades just kind of encroaching and hammering things down. But there are some other builds that have evolved over the course of the past couple months. The dreaded Dark Elf Death Star using all the stacking debuffs from the Shrines and Wrathy and things like that. But I don't think we'll see that. Vampire Coast probably is pretty capable of shooting down those Death Stars if they have like a cannon or other things like that. So, if you King of the Dead says the winner gets to fight Turin, and if you win, you get Turin's channel. That's pretty funny. All right, we march forth into our game 3. It's a good way to start the stream. A rubber match, a grudge match. And don't worry, my friends. I see some dwarf fans in chat. Grombrindle is playing, so there will be some dwarves later in the stream. I can assure you, it's a best of 3 as well, not best of 1 like King of the Hill. Just trying to mix up the stream format as well. Got to keep the King of the Hill kind of fresh. I may take tomorrow off streaming and record some videos because I'm actually getting a little bit behind on videos because I've been streaming so much. Usually I do like a couple videos a day, like 3 or 4 or 5 sometimes. All right, perfect. But it's been a little bit tricky to get good battles on ladder. I got to just... That's the thing. I love playing on ladder and running into people who are newer to the game and things like that, but usually the replays aren't usable. Not always. All right. And if Turin wins, he gets to absorb your subscribers like Highlander. Oh man, the Highlander movies. That's a great reference. When the Git crumps, when the Skaven screams. These are a few of my favorite things. Says Gojira. Can Shades deep Vanguard shut cannons down? So Mark Gret, Vanguarding Shades is pretty risky in this matchup without support. I mean, if you have like Dark Rider support, it might be okay. Because the Scurvy Dogs and, Mourngulls and things like that could swarm them. But if you want to like Vanguard them, you could like Vanguard some Dark Riders and some other elements like that. But usually just advancing them up is fine and playing a little bit safer. Because, Vampire Coast does have Scurvy Dogs and other battlefield harass units that they can really pressure with. So you got to be careful and respect that. For sure. So we'll see what Anticity brings. Random Nicks. I have a build that I'm pretty happy with. I usually like to use Count Noctilus in this matchup. Well, actually, I don't know. I've used Luther the last couple times. A rubber match, but there aren't even Skinwolves here. Nothing yet, Dennis. There can only be one streamer. There can only be one streamer. Hey, the Lore Master of Sotek is here. Lore Master of Sotek currently painting a black coach over on Twitter. It looks really cool. If you guys haven't seen it. It's very, very neat indeed. Looks like Random Nix is ready. Says, good luck, have fun, my dude. Always a good sport here. And now we'll see what Anticity brings. The Faldrucci. Shall it be a traditional Shade build? It would be really funny if Anticity did exactly what Random Nix did in game 1 and brought like a million Harganeth Executioners and like Corsairs and just charged. Like the same thing that he did to his coast in game 1. I wonder if he will. That would be really interesting. Although, I don't know. It's a little bit scary. Like, crabs are really good against that. Like, if you bring a couple Prometheans, especially Lamprey's Revenge, they can really crump armored infantry pretty well. The Black Coach is done, says Sotek. Very cool. A Mass Executioner. Witch Elf and Sister build. Honestly, it could work. Could work. The build I like to do, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Yeah, it's been Luther lately. A Luther, a Necrofex Colossus, a Cannon, Depth Guard, a bunch of Scurvy Dogs, kind of mobile stuff like that. A couple Duck Droppers, just with the pistols. I'd say it's a pretty even matchup. Dark Elves and Vampire Coast, I consider them both to be pretty top tier factions. Although, to be frank, Vampire Coast does have a couple really rough matchups, like Empire. Like some of these missile builds, like, honestly, I feel like High Elves actually do decently against Vampire Coast as well. Probably an even matchup. So Dark Command says, Turin, I finally decided which Stormcast Eternal I'm going to use for Count Noctiluss on tabletop. Yeah, you know, honestly, you could do some really good conversions with that. You could do really, really good there. The Harganeth Sith, I know. That could totally happen. All right, the Void of Helm Fen, we're loading in. It is time. There shall be a reckoning once again in the swamps of Helm Fen, or Hellfen. Why do I always say Helm Fen? It's Hellfen. It's because I never picked this map. Almost never. Almost never pick this map. First best of 3 of the day. It's been a great series between these two players. We got to see the followers of Nagash almost claim victory against the Sons of Sigmar, but Karl Franz, of course being Franz, was able to pull out the glorious victory. Now we're on the swampy marshes of Hel Fen. Got that right for once. Let's look at the coast. So for the coast here, we got bombers and gunnery mobs, just standard pistol mobs. We do also have the Shade Wraith Gunners, which I feel like they're making a comeback in the metagame. Oh my god, guys, did I just see a bloated corpse? We did. I hope Random Nicks can get some value with this thing. Anyways, in the back we have a couple mortars. Mortars, again, are the standard status quo against archer play. Aside from that, we have some Sirens and Shade Wraith Gunners. Shade Wraith Gunners might actually be a decent niche against the Shades. They have really good range. You can kind of saturate them in the back, just have them back here and kind of pop downtown. Front line is going to be deck end mobs, bombers, and pistol mobs. So we do also have a couple deck droppers with the pistols. Pretty similar to my build, actually, although I use a Necrophex Colossus also, and I don't use the Shade Wraith Gunners or Sirens, but yeah, I honestly think they're both decent here. He does also have the Vampire Fleet Captain of Vampires, obviously. No surprise there. Luther Harkin up in the sky, and that is it. And the Bloated Boy, I'm not sure where he's going to go. I feel like Bloated Corpses should have Vanguard deployment. It looks like he's going to hide in the trees here and spring out at the last moment on the Faldrucci. Now for the Forces of Anticity here in this best of 3, he does have Shades. Very, very standard kind of meta stuff here. Also, he does have the Crows of Cain, a good backline harass tool for shutting down artillery. Very sticky, hard to get rid of. Dark Riders here, Dread Spears. He does have a couple Bolt Throwers himself, so just, you gotta respect the Queen Bess. And the Bolt Throwers are already counter best. They're also not bad against like Crabs and decent poke against like Luther. I like the Bolt Thrower pick. I think it's quite good. It's got Cold Blue Knights, Shades on both sides, a couple groups of Dark Shards with shields. And yeah, it looks like 2 Dark Shards with shields. Very cool stuff. And that's it. That is it, my friends. So let's see how this battle goes. Let us try and pay attention, the deserved attention to the Bloated Corpse, who waits in the tree line behind, atop his throne of skulls. You can see him here. Look at his thick boy. He's got like sea stars on him, and such a cool model. You know, if they ever do add Vampire Coast, Games Workshop does, to the Resurgence of the Old World when it comes out, because they're bringing back Warhammer Fantasy, thankfully. I will, man, if they made a Vampire Coast army, even if it were like super expensive on Forge World, I would be all over that. I would be all over that. I would love to paint these guys. It'd be so much fun. Be very cool indeed. Probably have like a Vampire Coast army and then like an Empire army. Have a couple for battle reports on the channel and all that good stuff, which will happen eventually. So if you guys stick around to 2022 and 2023 and those years when Warhammer Fantasy returns, I will most certainly be doing coverage and battle reports and tactics and all that stuff. Really looking forward to it for sure. So the battle's underway. The Shade Wraith Gunners shall unleash their salvos of fire on the unsuspecting Druchii. It looks like some... are there any scurvy dogs in this build? I'm really surprised there's not any scurvy doggos. I would expect at least 1 or 2, just as kind of a harass piece, just to kind of keep your opponent honest, but nonetheless, I guess he doesn't need them. So the mortars are shooting initially. I think their targeting was going after the Dark Riders, and they almost made contact, actually, despite the Dark Riders being relatively mobile. It was pretty close fire there. And the Bolt Throwers are going to start shooting at Luther, which, oh no, Spray Fire, actually. So he has Spray Fire mode on. It looks like he's opting to go after zombies and bombers and things like that, and it does some decent damage. So the Spray Fire mode activated, shooting into the bombers here. I wonder if Random Nicks will try and pull back and pull the bombers back here. He might. The mortar is probably going to start shooting into Dread Spears because the Shades are taking a very treacherous angle through the tree line here. We have the Crows of Cain here, and also some Dark Riders swooping around the far side of the battlefield. Shade Wraith Gunners unleashing some pretty heavy firepower here into the Dark Riders, taking out 3 models and doing some OK HP damage. I wonder if the Bolt Throwers will switch onto the Shade Wraith Gunners. They have a pretty low HP pool. It's only 1,900. Those bad boys are very, very squishy. Granted, they do have the 75% resist against physical damage. So the mortars right now shooting into the Dread Spears. Some Shades have been discovered by Luther Harkin, so I think that the mortars right now have to be switched onto the Shades. Shades are like the biggest threat to the Vampire Coast. They're so good against like almost everything you have. So Shade shooting, very good juking here by Random Nicks. He's basically just trying to waste ammunition. This is a pretty common tactic with Luther Harkin. You just juke the ammo of the Shades and some of these other tools and try and survive to the late game here. Breath Attack coming in. Does pick off a couple Dread Spears. Nothing to write home about. And he does take a pretty fat volley as well. And yes, now the mortars have been switched onto the Shades here. And should do some pretty good damage. But yeah, this is a pretty ballsy Luther play. But he's just juking out all those shots. Damage is damage though. Oh, guys, the Bloated Corpse ambush! Oh, yeah. Oh, baby. The Bloated Corpse came from right over here down the valley. What a hero. Oh, man, and that totally paid for itself. Let's see if there's anything in chat. No, they're not acknowledging the Bloaty Boy yet. Man, I didn't even see that coming. It was so sneaky. I was so focused on the Luther Harkin juking and stuff, and I think that Anticity was as well, that the Bloat was able to come in and just annihilate these Shades. That's really, really big. In the meantime, some Shades up on the hill here. Very cool stuff, like really using the terrain. But some of the gunnery mobs are going after the Shades, as are some deck droppers. I really wish I could see chat right now. To see the face of the Bloat, the pride of the Bloated Corpse, just doing so much work. Man, Luther Harkin flying around, still just kind of juking ammo, causing problems. Mortars are generating some pretty good value, of course. In the back, though, one of the mortars is taking a bit of a hammering. It looks like the bolt throwers have switched onto the mortars. It looks like one of the bolt throwers might have. Maybe some of the Dark Riders jumped on it, or the Crows of Cain. No, it actually looks like the bolt thrower was shooting the mortar team here. So the Vampires get to go over there and try and intercept those guys, keep them at bay. And deck droppers and the gunnery mobs here trying to overwhelm the Shades on the high ground. And Luther Harkin still is juking, nowhere near his healing cap really. But Anticity's doing a pretty good job conserving his ammo. He does have his Dark Shards here, and the Shades, pretty good ammo for the most part. A Burning Head going down. Burning Head, nice one. Oh, that was a really good one there. The Burning Head did actually roast these gunnery mobs, the bombers, and got the other ones as well. Now the Crows of Cain are coming in. The Sirene's a little bit slow in the defense, so he might actually lose this other mortar. He was a little bit out of position to defend this mortar. Crab is now coming back, and the Crows of Cain looks like they are chewing up this mortar team here. So well played to Anticity here. Shade Wraith Gunners with a little bit of point-blank fire, but those Sirenes need to pile in ASAP. And they get the terror route, which is pretty funny. So without even fighting, they terror route those guys off. Will the mortar team be saved? Perhaps an Invocation might be able to save those bad boys. And the Crows of Cain are now pushed off, so he should be relatively stable in the back line. But Anticity was some very patient play. Luther Harkin also took a lot of damage. Shades getting poked down over here, down to 52 models. And Dark Riders have pushed into the front, going after the bombers. And yeah, the Dark Elf army is pretty healthy for the most part. He does have a Supreme Sorceress of Fire for his Lord. We forgot to talk about that earlier. And the Shade Wraith Gunners honestly probably should be able to break off the Crows of Cain. They do have a Discourage effect. And the mortar team was saved. That's really important. So he still has the mortar shooting. He has 2 of the 3 mortar models left. Shade Wraith Gunner should be able to force those guys back. And Luther Harkin is like such a hard carry too. Like if Luther isn't dealt with in the late game and the ammo's low, Luther could just like annihilate that Supreme Sorceress and really cause a lot of problems. As a matter of fact, I'm surprised that Random Nyx isn't going with Luther and trying to kill the Supreme Sorceress, who's basically just fighting zombies. It's like she's like fresh fish right now. There are some archers nearby. Looks like another Burning Head is going to be going down here, which will easily clean up these deckhand mobs. Nice one right there, roasting those guys into another dimension. And down they go, 13 models. That is definitely grim bones there. Balance power is pretty even though. Both players have gotten some good plays. Luther Harkin has found a very comfy place here to fight some Cold Blood Knights up in the kind of the shroud of the tree line. And all the Shades are shooting him, but ooh, they're making some good contact actually. That's not fun for Luther. He definitely does not want that. Shade Wraith Gunners are shooting into the blob here, going after some of the cab units, and the mortar team is now offline. So it looks like the Dark Elves might be coming ahead a little bit in the balance of power. A very technical game here. The Vampire Caster has moved up as well, and it's going to be a pretty important force to deal with. Some of the Dark Shards here are going to be pressured here by the summoned gunnery mobs, and the Vampire Coast really taking the aggressive posture right now. Luther Harkin, though, almost killed in the tree line. That is pretty bad. He needs to pull back, needs to get those invocations. It looks like there's an invo right there. He has a lot of room before his healing cap, and Shade Wraith Gunners still have some pretty good ammo as well, so those guys could potentially pepper into the Shades and other things like that. And it looks like Random Nyx has given the order for the Shade Wraith Gunners to unleash hell here on the Shades on the high ground. Sirenes are starting to break things though, as long as Luther doesn't get sniped here. And if he can come and finish off that Sorceress, like I said, where is she? She's right in the center. She's just totally lurking there. Man, she would be a great target. But I mean, there are Dark Shards here and other things that are pretty threatening. So I think that Random Nyx is going to have to be a little bit more conservative now. He is juking with Luther Harkin. Some of the deck droppers over there did basically make a last stand, charging into the Shades and those other tools here. Shade Wraith Gunners going into the side here of the Dread Spears, and it's okay damage. The Sirenes, though, proving to be a big issue. Granted, there is a Burning Head in the back pocket and a Flaming Sword of Ruin, both of which are very, very punishing. And the Bolt Throwers are out of ammo, guys, so Luther's pretty much, a free bird now. Nice Burning Head right there onto the Sirenes. Very, very clutch, but the Sorceress is in trouble. She's being hunted. Power Siphon is active. And the Bolt Throwers are out of ammo. A lot of the missile pieces for the Dark Elves are running for the hills. And this is where it gets a little bit scary. If Luther is still alive when you know, you're out of ammo. Oh boy, you better pray, because it's going to be rough. And also, I would imagine there's more invocations. Taunt is activated as well. She's down to 69 speed. That's what she said. The crab able to intercept as well. And I think the Supreme Sorceress is going to get crumbed here. Luther Harkin, 1500 HP, taking a couple bolts to the back. But the bolt thrower is probably now out of ammo. Has a couple shots left. And she is able to get away. Man, slippery, slippery Sorceress right there. And invocation going on Luther once again, which will put him back up to about 2,000. Shade Wraith Gunners, not like huge burst damage, but really over the course of this battle, it has been generating good value. Oh man, this is not good. If the Crows of Cain come in and shut down the Shade Wraith Gunners, that could be enough to give the Dark Elves the game. Maybe. There's still so many Shades over here, and Shades are very, very tough to deal with. So Luther with some nice jukes up to 1700 HP, but a nice zombie summon coming in right on top of the Shades, the crab coming in as well. And the Shade Wraith Gunners turn to shoot at the Crows of Cain, and they don't cause terror, even though they are ghosts. They just cause fear. Luther Harkin flying overhead, trying to get on the Shades, which is pretty much the last thing here that can really kill him efficiently. Granted, there are some Dark Shards over here with pretty much full ammunition. And is there a Fireball coming? Oh, is this going to be a Fireball? On Luther? This could be big. 1200 down to 900. Very, very close situation. Luther probably wants to get back up in the sky now. Just let his crab do the heavy lifting. He's down to 600 HP. Very beat up, and he's at his healing cap too. But I think that random wants to get back up in the sky, so at the very least, he can use all the ammunition on Luther's pistol and try and goon out the Supreme Sorceress. In the back here, Harpies able to clean up, potentially, the Shade Wraith Gunners. You need to make sure they're in guard mode so they can shoot these wenches down. We'll see how that goes. And the Crabcaster's still alive, but I think that Anticity is going to pull this one out. Man, these two players very evenly matched here. Perhaps Random Mix is Luther, might be able to secure the Shade Wraith Gunners in the back, which would be pretty important. Their leadership is crumbling, so now they're taking progressive HP damage. And the Vampire Caster is still here. Still hiding in the tree line. I would imagine it might have a summon or two left. But the Vampire Coast, not much left on the battlefield, guys. And the Shade Wraith Gunners there, like if the Shade Wraith Gunners could still... They have a ton of ammo, so if they could keep putting fire like here, that would be really big. Luther charges in. The Hunger will heal him up a little bit more against these Harpies. But the Harpies are certainly very durable with that regeneration. You can see they're trying to get away. They might get terror routed here. It's the Shade Wraith Gunners. Will they stabilize? Negative 29, 288. Nope. Shade Wraith Gunners down for the count. Nice play there. Luther's crumbling. That is the game. Well played. Anticity does win the series with the 2-1 victory. Man. But, you know, the true hero of this series is that Bloated Corpse. That was a game. That was a game indeed. So well played to these two fine players. Oh no, I see a little bit of lag coming in. That's unusual. Since I got my internet fixed. Oh, well, what's going on there, buddy? Hopefully you guys didn't experience too much lag. Yes, they fixed my internet. Sorry if there was a little bit of lag. I don't know what's going on here. It could be the weather here too. Yeah, okay, it's stabilized. It should be fine. GG indeed. Hopefully you guys, that was still watchable. Wasn't too much drama there. Yeah, I know. I see it. Hopefully it's stabilized. All right, guys. So now, next up, we have... They said they fixed it. King of the Dead. And Chosen One. All right, perfect. GG, well played to those two fine players. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the series. Now we'll get the next one going. Sorry about the lag there. That coast build, yes. You guys love the bloat. There was a bit of stuttering, but not bad. Yeah, it was just for a moment. I see that it wasn't too bad. So it should be fine from here on out. So I was talking to my internet provider guy, and he was basically like, yeah, what happens is like if there's a ton of usage in the area, they throttle your internet, which means they like screw with the upload rates, and like it tries to go past a certain point, and then like if you try and go past the throttle, it's like spikes. Yeah, it seems stable. I think it was just a short-term little lag there. Although, I don't know. I see a little bit here. In the meantime, while these players join, we'll get it going. So Chosen One is here. So Chosen starts with picks and bans. All right. So I'm going to update the scorecard. Hopefully the internet drama will subside here. I thought we moved past that. We had so many good streams without any issue. Perhaps it is back with a vengeance. I guess everybody's just staying home. So oh, sorry about that. Oh no, now it's not going to be match the other one. That's going to haunt me. Nope. Bad name. Chosen One. Kung Pao reference. Slip it in there. All right, guys. Let's get this going. And let's get this going as well. Just updating the scorecards for our next best of 3. So King of the Dead versus Chosen One. King of the Dead, of course, the King of the Drowned. This is a new thing lately. Let me refresh this. Chosen One! You guys remember Kung Pao? Oh man, that was the good stuff. That was some really good play by those two lads there. Those were great games. Yes, I will upload the new intro separately soon. So the map is going to be... we'll do Troll Country. Cool. Troll Country is the map. Wii U, Wii U. Oh my god, that movie. That takes me back to my youth. It takes me way, way back. All right, one sec, guys. Gonna go check something real quick. I asked before, but is it possible to hide Bessie behind trees too? Yeah, you can. David Versace, if you like have like a hill or something. Yeah, because Queen Bess has an arc of fire that's like, you can hide Bess from cannons, but it's very map dependent. Like I wouldn't rely on it consistently because most maps don't have good ways to do that. But in general, like it is possible. Yes, it's very possible. You guys have any advice for a Felheart campaign? You know, I haven't played Felheart's campaign, so I couldn't say. I couldn't say, my friend. So the players doing their picks and bans. Chosen One will Greenskins, and he's banning Norska and Vampire Coast. And then King of the Dead goes Beastmen. So we have Beastmen versus Greenskins on like an extremely close quarters map. Which is going to be awesome. Actually, you know, I pay for a pretty good internet here, but, you know, it is what it is. Sometimes when there's like storms and weather issues, like we've been having a bit of rain and whatnot, but yeah. Sorry about that, the lag, guys. Let me go check something real quick. Yeah, you guys and all your good internet. I'm just suffering here with this potato internet. All right. It's like my friends, just checking something here. Oh, no, wrong button there. It's the squirrels. It's okay. They're picking their armies anyway, so it's a good time for us to hopefully get this to subside. Is it lagging right now though? Is it a little bit choppy with my voice and everything? Honestly, it could just be throttling because so many people are like staying home and whatnot. I don't know. Just gonna check one more thing here real quick. Anyways, the players aren't ready yet, so no rush. I'll be back in just a moment, my friends. Alright guys, sorry about that. 1 sec, lads. Checking a setting. So I am just double checking something here to see if we can do it to it. All right. Fiddling with some settings in my router. We should be good. In a second, I see it kind of trundling a little bit.
Can you help?
No, I'm good, baby. Thank you, sir. All right, 1 second here. Almost ready, guys. Bear with me for just a moment longer. I just don't want you guys to have to witness a lag fest. Okay. Okay, it seems like something's going on here. Okay, that's 1. And 2. Okay, let's see if that fixes it. If not, then we'll just have to endure. All right, let's party. So we're going in, guys. It's Chosen One. The Greenskins facing off against King of the Dead, who's actually not playing an undead faction, who is going to be leading the Falbray herd. I would imagine 1,000,000 summons to boot. That's pretty much like meta Beastmen. You just have like, you know, two Chaos Spawn summons, 2 Cygor summons, 2 Manticore summons. It's a lot. Like, if you really think about the collective gold value that Beastmen get, I feel like Beastmen might need like a bit of a rework in a way because they're like very dependent on that. At least in a lot of the replays I've seen on their summons. But I guess that's kind of like flavorful for Beastmen too, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's, well, the frames are dropping because of the lag, though, is the thing. Because basically the kilobytes per second rate is getting, I think, throttled by my internet service provider, which then leads it to spike. And then the frames aren't uploaded as efficiently to YouTube because of that. Oh, I see that Chosen One's name is a little bit offset here. Let's fix that. So let me know if it's watchable, guys. If it's not, you know, we'll have to figure something else out. I might just go record some videos. At least get something out to you guys. You know, I could even cast the best of 3s between these players offline, and we could go from there. But let me know if it's still feasible now. And we'll do it to it. Turn off my phone so we don't get annoying notifications. Alrighty. Just monitoring the bitrate for a second to see if it stays somewhat stable. It seems like it's trying. It's like, hey man, you know, I kind of want to chill around this amount, and then no, I want to tank down there for a minute. Turin, have you ever thought about playing 9th edition? Yeah, I would do it if I had an army that was like, and I'd of course need to learn the rules, and like if I had like Lore Master of Sotek who lived near me and could like help me with that, that would be really helpful for sure. All right, guys. So for the forces here of the Greenskins and Chosen One, we have Savage Orc Biggins, Black Orcs into the sunset. Black Orcs are a nice anchor piece. You know, they're immune to psychology. They, you know, have some punch themselves. Can beat down most of the Beastmen infantry pretty efficiently. And Biggins are pretty self-explanatory. The Biggins are anti-large, so they have good DPS against chaff. And on top of that, they can deal with Centaurs, Minotaurs, Chaos Spawn pretty efficiently. So it is going to be a combination of Savage Orc Biggins, Black Orcs. Also, the Arachnoid Queen is a staple in this matchup. I think a must pick. It's pretty much good against everything on the Beastmen roster. And the Spider summons, you get like to summon blocking units that also do apply poison. It's very, very valuable. We got a couple squigs and a big greenskin onslaught here with Azag up in the sky. Now for the Beastmen, it's Gore Herds, Raiders. It looks like some chariots as well coming in from King of the Dead. And a Deathcaster actually, so the only summoning is going to be Morker. So the battle's underway here. Daypeak Loonies charge in. Like theirs, they do engage. The Wa is activated, so it is going to be a very scrappy fight in the front. Gore herds will trade effectively with goblins for the most part, but see how it goes. In other areas of the battlefield, the Arachnoid Queen overextends a little bit. Got to be careful, but does drop a spider summon back here on top of the archers, but it looks like the chariots do kind of inadvertently tarp at that. Here we have the Orc Boar Boy Biggins charging in, both players committing very heavily to this fight. And Azag's certainly quite scary. The Y is activated, so the Greenskins are still pretty juiced up. Definitely want to kind of wait for your alpha strikes until the Greenskins are kind of calmed down a little bit. But here are the Squig herds, and the Greenskins are able to overwhelm this position very heavily. The Soul Blight going down as well, lowering the armor, making them even more squishy. I mean, basically they have their hides. They have like 15 armor, but that makes them like 0 armor. That's something. Now in the center, the Razorgore chariots just trying to run amok, trying to run over the Black Orcs and the other infantry, but there is a massive horde of Squigs and Pigs chasing these guys down, so we'll see how that goes. Those guys, of course, are very menacing, and it looks like here Chosen One does scream into the back line, jumping on top of the archers in the back with his Forest Goblin Spider Riders and his Orc Boar Boy Biggins. And the Black Orcs are doing a really good job, and this is a very unorthodox Beastmen build, not seeing a lot of like Minotaurs and Spawn and things like that normally, which are picked in this matchup, at least in my anecdotal experience. The Beastmen do get a Spawn Summon over here and are going to be countercharging, yes, countercharging into the Savage Orc Biggins and the Black Orcs, so the Beastmen really need to win this engagement, because in the other areas of the battlefield, the Spider and the Greenskins have been able to overwhelm their forces relatively well, so that is certainly something to think about. So the Arachnoid Spider here just kind of dancing about. She definitely needs to get into combat, although it looks like she might be going after some of the loose Ungor Raiders here. We'll see. And Azag is able to get a big terror out. A lot of the Beastmen forces are running, and Azag is an amazing sniper. He has good melee attack and poison. He's able to goon down the Brave Shaman. The Brave Shaman is very, very low at 15 leadership. And the AP Loonies are charging in once again with some Savage Orc Biggins support as well. And it seems like it's going to be a relatively quick victory for the boys, for the Greenskins, as the Beastmen are pretty much in mass exodus here. Worker the Shadow Gave might be able to get some claw action, but remember the Bounce Power is also falsely inflated for the Beastmen because of the Spawn Summon. And once the Spawn Summon is gone, there's really not going to be too much left. So the Greenskin gets able to crump down the Brave Shaman and company. Azag should be able to easily finish off the Chariots. The Chariots are a pick that I feel is a little bit questionable here. Yeah, they're decent against infantry, but I feel like, I feel like the Razorgore Chariots are like an overkill investment against Greenskins who normally have light infantry anyways. These things are expensive. They have really good AP and great, armor bonus versus infantry, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the Razorgore Chariots, and that's like 2,200 gold spent on those guys. Granted, they are chasing down Azag here and doing some decent damage. The Greenskins scream forward once again. Going to be engaging here with the Ungor Spearman herds and these other troops here, and the Spider as well lurks nearby in the shadows and is ready to cause some problems. So down goes Azag, landing once again on the Razorgores. A mass terror route going down. Some of the Centaurs are going to be running for the hills, and the Black Orcs providing a really nice anchor piece. Immune to psychology, you really have to break them the old-fashioned way. And here comes the Spider with its anti-large, going to be chewing into the Razorgore Chariots, and the Chariots are being forced back once again. Orc Boar Boy Biggins are coming in. We got Goblins coming in, the Gits, the Lads, all of them. And with the Chariots breaking off here, it's really just a matter of time until Morker the Shadow gave his circle beaten into, another dimension here. Chosen One yelling "Wah" in chat. Very thematic Greenskin play. Squig herds, of course, with their bonus versus infantry, really chewing down Morker the Shadow Gave. And Azag can cycle charge him as well. As far as what the Beastmen have left, there's some spears here, there's some Centaurs, some Raiders, but for the most part, it's looking a little bit sparse for what they have. And a second Wah being activated as well is pretty much going to lead to an absolute lawnmowering of the rest of these Beastmen forces. As Azag flies overhead, I really think it came down to the build in many ways. I feel like the Chariots were not, that's a lot of gold that didn't do much of anything. I mean, yeah, they can run over the Greenskin stuff, but Greenskins have a lot of decent tools for tar pitting Chariots. Squigs, Spider Riders, Azag, the Spider, Boar Biggins here in this case. And I felt like it played into the Greenskins' strengths here in many ways. So well played, Chosen One taking game 1 in this best of 3. Hopefully it's not too laggy anymore. Oh my god, the bots are raiding! They cometh! There you have it. Yeah, it seems like it's still doing it. So how was the lag during that game, guys? Oh my god, this is a really big problem. How does Twitch deal with this? Does Twitch have this? Lady Protect Me, says someone in chat as they're being drowned in a horde of bots. Oh my god. So it's pretty wild. It was good, that game? You guys were able to watch it, not too laggy? Not bad? Okay. There wasn't any? Alright, that's good to see. So there you have it, guys. Game 1 in this best of 3. Now we'll move on over to game 2. which will be on the... Not Ogm Shard. That map's too dimly lit for my liking. I'm going to just make these guys just go fisticuffs on both maps. We'll do the Slon Gold. You want to do Skilled? Oh, Skilled is a cool one. We'll do Swartzoffen. Map set. King of the Dead picking Tomb Kings and banning Vampire Coast or Vampire Counts and Vampirates. And the map is set. We're on Swartzoffen here. A very solid greenskin victory there. So we load into our next map. How come Twitch doesn't have this problem? Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. I mean, YouTube has to be aware of it. Yeah. Like, because I've seen... You know what's kind of interesting about a lot of big Twitch streams that I've watched in the past is, like, the bots started a WoW. Yeah, apparently they did. I've noticed that, like, in big Twitch streams, there's not really any conversation. You know, it's mainly just, like, spamming emojis and things like that. Whereas, like, I found on YouTube streams, there's generally a little bit more conversation. Subscriber-only mode should be a thing. Yeah, that's actually probably a good idea. I don't know if they have that on YouTube, actually. I'm looking right now. Enable slow mode. I could do slow mode. They have one for channel members, which is, like, the paid thing, but that seems kind of silly. For just that. I could do slow mode. Slow mode would potentially limit that. So, all right. So we have the map. It's going to be King of the Dead on the Tomb Kings, facing off against Chosen One on the Empire. So yeah, basically last week the internet service provider came in and fixed and changed out all my gear, and it was actually good for a couple streams, but it seems like maybe it's just like a local problem in my area, honestly, at this point. If it keeps continuing like throughout the week and we have like bad internet, and because I see it right now still spiking up and down. Thankfully it's like better, but all right, so next time there's a raid, I could do slow mode. But I think is it different bots, or it seems like there's a bunch of them, so they just would overwhelm regardless. Anyways, Chosen One on Empire. The Tomb King shall be led by King of the Dead. Yeah, Guac, they do have that. That would definitely be probably an easy thing to add to YouTube streaming. Because YouTube is like, you know, it seems like they want to compete with Twitch in terms of streaming, but it's like they don't make, there's not too many new features and things like that. Maybe there is on the new YouTube that's coming. The new user interface and all that. All right, guys. The battle's underway. Chosen One with the Sons of Sigmar facing off against King of the Dead, who shall be leading the forces of the Tomb Kings. Chosen One with a very decisive greenskin victory in the first game, but now King is playing on his beloved Undead, which of course are his specialties. So we'll see what he does here as far as the build and all that sort of good stuff. We'll go forward. We'll push through it, guys. We'll push through it together. Of course, this next weekend we have the ECL Grand Finals. I hope to have it fixed by then. I don't even know what to do. We got to do it, and then a Faction War the next weekend. Faction War tournaments are pretty long, too, so you need to have pretty good sustainable internet. But anyways, for the build here of the Empire and Chosen One, looks like a couple Outriders, which are always a pretty good choice. Mobile, good AP, can punch down constructs, and, you know, just a decent unit all around. The rest of his army is going to be state troops. He does have some halberds, actually. Sigmar Sons and one unit of wild greatswords to just try and chew through Tombguard, I would imagine. His greatswords actually do trade efficiently with Tomb King's infantry. They are armored, and Tomb King's infantry generally lacks AP. And on top of that, they have a bonus for his infantry themselves. So that's going to be the front line mostly. We do have the Jade Wizard and Franz up in the sky. A bunch of Empire Knights, very much Soothsayer style, right? Sooth likes to use a lot of those Empire Knights. In the back, double carronades or cannons, actually. So he does have two great cannons, which will certainly hammer into some of the bigger constructs. But we'll see if King has some choice targets for those, or if he does not. So for King, he's got Skeleton Horsemen. He does have Nehekar Horsemen, two groups of Necropolis Knights with halberds. So going for the sneaky snake build. On top of that, we do have a Necrotect. And it looks like it is going to be Arkin the Black on his evil cackling Necromancer Chariot. Now you got to be careful. Two cannons shooting at Arkin in the face. If King lapses in his micro for even a second, Arkin the Black could get karate chopped pretty hard by those two cannons. For the front line here, it's Skeleton Spears, Skeleton Warriors, Nehekar Warriors mix in maybe some Tomb Guard. Nope, just Nehekar Warriors and Skeletons. Oh, they're all Skeletons. Yeah, and a couple mobile cav units. So not too many big construct targets, really. He's playing it very much like Empire style, right? Like the Elite Cav versus the Elite Cav. The Necropolis Knights really can do quite well against enemy cav units. They have poison, they have AP, they have anti-large, and of course Arkin with Fate of Una can really help win those elite cav fights. Necrotect is here for some heals as well. I think he can only really heal the Necropolis Knights, though. Not too many healing targets. Good luck, have fun. So this is the second game of the best of 3 here, the second best of 3 of the stream, between King of the Dead and Chosen One. So let us see how this battle goes. Let us go forward into this night and have some fun. So Karl Franz flying overhead. Outriders sally forth to shoot at some of the Skeleton Horsemen here, try and get some previews where they can. Skeleton Horsemen are shielded. Obviously a pretty good chaff target to absorb this kind of fire. They lose a couple models, not too bad. Franz is probably going to come in, I would imagine, with some Empire Knights if they get too close. And yeah, shooting them in the back as they retreat is very good because they turn their backs, therefore their shields are not effective. That is actually a mechanic here in this game. So Skeleton Horsemen on the retreat right now, and you can see the Outriders are screening over to go after the Nehekara Horsemen. Cannon shooting in, and the cannons are going to be really effective here. It really puts a bit of a ticking clock here on King of the Dead. Because he's got to approach quick. If he doesn't, you know, the big old sneaky snakes and Necropolis Knights with halberds and those other units are going to be a bit of an issue for him. You know, them taking the cannon fire and things like that. Swordsman sallying forth to try and screen out the approaching Nehekara Horsemen. In the back, though, King does have another ambush, and it looks like Chosen One has taken up a very defensive posture. He's got the great cannons with spears behind those guys. And what are the cannons shooting? It looks like they're continuing to shoot at the Necropolis Knights. And it looks like a pretty big commitment from both players. Now, what King will probably do here is grab Ark in the Black and drop a Skeleton Summon on top of these Empire Knights to trap them in. Oh, prophetic, I say. And now the Necropolis Knights with halberds will come in and really pin in those Empire Knights. And also they're a little bit obstructed by the cannons now, which is good. Although some of the Skeleton Horsemen do get countercharged by Chosen One's Cav here, so they come in and hammer down those Skeleton Horsemen. And the Outriders are also shooting quite happily. They're shooting into the Necropolis Knights now, which is obviously quite important. And of course the Empire will probably lose this flank fight, but it's really just a bit of a distraction. I mean, Chosen One really just wants to delay the main fighting in the back line as long as possible to allow his cannons and Outriders to really, you know, pound down these units. Ark in the Black here going to be dropping a Spirit Leech on the Franz, and it looks like the Necropolis Knights having a bit of trouble finding a home here, charging into the Swordsman, certainly doing some damage. But man, those Necropolis Knights are getting crumped. The Outriders and the Great Cannons are really just wrecking this blob here, and honestly, this is a really bad situation for King. Maybe he wants to pull back, be a little bit more conservative, trying to, you know, recover a little bit, because this is going very poorly for him. He's blobbed amongst halberds. There's a ton of guns shooting him. There's 2 Great Cannons, 2 Outriders, a ton of Holy Sigmarite fire just pounding into these forces. Now, some of the Empire Knights do over-pursue. He could potentially turn around and countercharge those guys, but the Sneaky Snakes are down to 8 models here. And the other ones, I think, are all but KO'd. 7 models, 11 actually, so that's not too bad. So the Empire holding pretty well. State troops fighting against skeletons here. On the low ground, we do have the Great Swords fighting against skeleton spearmen and other troops like that. And there are spearmen in reserve as well to stop the advance of King's cav play here. So the Nehekara Horsemen could try and find a home around and maybe circumvent the defenses. But the spearmen should be able to maneuver. And on top of that, there are some Empire Knights back here for Chosen One that could do really well. And King's force is getting pounded pretty good here. Outriders shooting in. And it looks like a big old Fate of Una going down in the Empire Knights, which is a good play. It's a bit of a desperate last play here because he needs to push through this mass and get onto the cannons. If you were able to shut down the cannon somehow, let's say the Skeleton Warriors got back here and were able to maneuver and get on those, that would be something that could potentially get King back in the game. But then Franz is just kind of doing his thing. And without the Necropolis Knights, Franz is going to be able to go deep in pretty much whatever he wants here. Ushapti Summon used on the cannon back here, which will be able to effectively shut down that cannon. And here we do also have the Nehekara Horsemen, which are screened out by the Empire Knights that had rallied in the back. Greatsword's doing a great job, up to 77 kills. Doing a great job, indeed. Ark in the Black is in a bit of a duel of fates here with Franz, and Franz is actually taking a lot of damage. The Necropolis Knights are getting in there and doing some poke, and the Necrofex, not Necrofex, but the Necrotect is also in there as well, and he has decent weapon strength, 350. Certainly not bad. Bonus First Infantry doesn't apply to Franz, but it's still not terrible either. Now, the Outriders have gotten a very cozy position. They've gone up and around the back, and now they're shooting into the Nehekara Horsemen and the Sneaky Snakes that are fighting. And finally, those Empire Knights break, but Franz does not stand alone. The Emperor stands shoulder to shoulder with more halberds. However, Ark in the Black, the foul Wizard of Nagash, summons a ton of skeletons on top of the halberds, which will help quite a bit. I mean, if Franz could be taken out here, that might be one of the few ways the Tomb Kings can get this, because I think it's going pretty rough. The Ushapti Summon, of course, giving a bit of a boon here to the Tomb Kings in the late game, but the Ushapti Summon pretty much already not doing too much. It did charge into the back of the Greatswords and did a little bit of damage to the cannon, but for the most part, the cannons are both online, and both will be shooting quite happily. Outriders have good ammo, and Franz is really beat up, actually. All right, so that's a way for King to potentially get back here. Franz took a lot of damage here, but the Sneaky Snakes are all gone. There's only a couple Necropolis Knights left. Looks like 6 of them. And now Franz is going to be going in, hunting in the deep, and just going for whatever he wants. Charging in here, although he's got to still pay some respect to these chariots. Believe it or not, the chariots actually can do some decent damage to single entities. 1700 HP on Franz here. Sneaky Snakes are charging in once again. And the Outriders, you know, just peppering and covering, and the Necropolis Knights here are pretty much crumbling. Yeah, 349, 338 on HP, negative 30 leadership. Those guys are down for the count, which is very troubling here for the Tomb Kings, because now Franz can basically just bully Ark in the black wherever he wants to. However, Tomb King's infantry are able to get in the back, guys. That is big. One Great Cannon is shut down. The other Great Cannon potentially shut down as well. Okay. So if the Great Cannons both get shut down, maybe Arkin and his Chariot Master could finish off Franz using Spirit Leeches and other tactics like that. This is actually still a contested game here. Great Swords in the front are finally broken, but not before they get 148 kills. The one Great Cannon here needs to be shut down. That thing can just pound these Chariot characters. Some of the Empire Knights charge in as well. Just a temporary distraction. Obviously, they won't do much damage, but they're buying time for the Emperor, the Prince, and Emperor to charge in once again. Going after Arkin. The Liber Mortis is activated to give Arkin a little bit more durability. And King, I think, knows at this point he can't get away. So basically, he's going to use Arkin in combat here and try and fight against Franz. The Reikland Runefang, of course, is active, which will give him leadership and melee attack and all kinds of good stuff. And Arkin's running. He's taking that Outrider fire, and I think that's going to be game. I think the Prince and Emperor is too much to handle here. Some Nekar Horsemen, or Warriors, pushing back here. Trying to jump the Great Cannon Crews and all that good stuff. But that is going to be a 2-0 victory for the Chosen One in that battle, as the Prince and Emperor smites Arkin the Black atop the mountain, or this plains, or somewhere in Sylvania, it looks like. Well played! And now we'll move on to our next best of 3, assuming there's not too much lag. So that is a 2-0 victory there. That is a 2-0 victory. For the Emperor! Seems like there's been some dropped frames, unfortunately. But what can you do? What can you do? The coronavirus is apparently affecting internet infrastructure. I can't wait to move out of LA. Goodness gracious. Let's get some better internet. There's all these stupid monopolies here. Give me that fiber internet. Yes, I do live in LA. I do. I think Piercing Bolts is still a good ability. Yeah, no Horse Archers, which are a very common answer against the Outriders, yeah. Shetland says Kalita would have won that. And we have a $20 donation coming in from Sir Earl Grey. Love your team, man. For 20 pounds, he says, this is the least I can do for the vast amount of great content you create. Great to see you streaming all weekend despite your crappy American internet. I know, dude. P.S. Glad your new phone isn't trolling your videos anymore. I know, man. I'm glad too. I'm glad too, my friend. And thank you guys for joining. Yeah, we just don't have the option out here. King of the Dead says, give the stream a like, boys. For Sigmar, that gosh darn nerd is what King of the Dead says. Some bold words. Some bold words. Next, guys, we have Hadries versus Grom Brindle. Let's pull those guys up. And Undertaker is what he goes by in the Discord. You're up. Very cool indeed. Hadries is here. No lag and enjoy, he says. What a trooper. We'll go on Prague for the first map here. Hadries on his beloved Dark Elves. So let's go ahead and update the scorecards here for our next best of 3. You know what? I guess I should be grateful that we got a couple streams that were lag-free this weekend. At least the long King of the Hills were no lag. You know, Nurgle's blessings only go so far. Eventually it becomes a curse, right? And Gromrindle will be joining. I'm going to put Gromby for short. Big, bold letters. Christian says, why do you live in LA? Why not Jackson, Mississippi? That's a fair question. I don't know. I've never been there. That is a fair question. It's not. It's really not too bad. And yes, Google Fiber is the bomb. I know. I'd love to live in an area. I'd love to live in an area where that was a thing. Yeah, it's like I see frames dropping. Unfortunately. Well, we're going, guys. We're pushing through it. Hopefully, it's still watchable. I'll have to check after the fact and see. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, all the shutdowns and everything that's going on. It's the Wild West out there. Before you know it, we're gonna have Wookiee strapped to the top of our car, like playing a guitar that shoots flame out of it. It's gonna be like Fury Road. Take care of Kadrin and settle the internet grudge. I know. I'm hoping that it'll like subside here in a minute. And at least we can get through the last 2 best of 3s without some of this treachery here. You know, maybe I just have to lower my bitrate too. That could be another thing. But the thing is, if I lower my bitrate, it'll crash the stream. Because when you change it, it usually crashes the stream. Because I have a pretty high bit rate to try and, you know, keep the quality good, but I think it keeps trying to climb back up after it drops. And if I just put it at a lower base, it'd probably be better. I don't know. So Hadri starts. Yes, double ban, and pick. So Hadri's apparently did pretty well in a tournament today. So he's picking Skaven, and he's banning the Lizardmen in Vampire Coast. Oh, Grombrindle, don't pick dwarves into Skaven. Don't do it. Don't do it. You madman. He's sitting on the dwarves right now. That is such a hard matchup, especially against a top-tier player like Hadri's. Hadri's and I played this matchup like 15 times together, just trying to figure out how to win with dwarves, and we just couldn't. We're just like, unless someone makes an egregious mistake. Yeah. Okay, Skaven versus Tomb Kings. That's a good matchup. That's a good one. I can dig it. Like Fury Road, only that people are not fighting over gasoline and water, but over toilet paper. I know. Everyone in chat's like, do it. No, he's saving dwarves for the next game because I feel like Grombrindle is confident with dwarves in every matchup except Skaven. So, yeah. Oh, man. He's a madman. Will you be streaming after the Mad Max apocalypse happens? I mean, if it's possible. Maybe I'll have to use, like, dial-up internet then. Who knows? We'll see. All right. Checking my settings once again. Yeah, I don't think there's anything I can do on my side. I think I just gotta suffer Nurgle's internet rot like everybody else. Well, the players are picking their armies now. It's going to be Skaven versus Tomb Kings, which is always a fun matchup. Basically, it just entails, that's pretty good, entails the Skaven just kind of hanging out in a bit of a box and just trying to survive. Yes, yes. We'll see if the little rats can survive the onslaught of the spokes and chariots of the Tomb Kings. Perfect. So we could see a wild Khalida build too. One of my favorite builds actually to do with Tomb Kings is to go with the dreaded Bone Giant. And like, you know, Skaven are all ready for like a rush, and then you just have like Bone Giants and catapults, and it's really fun actually. But, you know, most players are privy to this. Hadri's is ready. Grombrindle is ready as well. Tomb Kings versus Rats will be loading in just a second. This ancestral grudge. Well, I don't think they actually have much history, but let's just hype it up as it is. Turin, what makes dwarves so bad against Skaven? Skaven just have so many tools that just hard counter dwarves, like Jezzails and Shell and Apache says that I see that. That's how close. I think that's close to how to do the matchup. Yeah, Shetland, I'll take a look. I don't know if I saw that one. It's just really hard. It's just really hard. Okay, I think the internet's like stable now, guys. Like, it's staying stable, which is great. All right, so let's load in. Just in time. So just unfortunately, one best of three is going to be a little bit afflicted, but we'll see if it keeps going. Not to put a jinx on it or anything. But yeah, so basically, Jezzails are super good at sniping Dwarven characters and whatever they want, and artillery. Dwarven infantry really struggle against like mass death runners, and you know, Doom Flayers and Wheels are just super good against dwarves. Like Skaven just have so many things that are good against Dawi, like hard counter to the dwarves. I can't remember the last time I lost that matchup. I think like my last I can't remember the last time I lost that matchup, and I always feel bad doing it too. But like if I'm playing in a best of three or some sort of a tournament, somebody picks dwarves and doesn't ban Skaven, it's like a free win. If you're equally skilled. Now, of course, I've gone onto ladder and picked dwarves into Skaven against like newer players or intermediate players who maybe don't play in tournaments much, and I'm able to win sometimes. But even still, it's an uphill fight. So we are going to be on Prague here. We're loading in. All is well in the realm, my friends. Oh no, right when I start talking about the internet doing well, it's like, hey man, you remember me? You remember me? We're coming. We're gonna crash your stream. I don't even know. I mean, I guess I could try changing the bitrate, but maybe that's the issue. I don't think so though, because we had 2 flawless streams past couple days. I suppose it's maybe just internet throttling, because the guy who came to fix my internet said he said when a lot of people in the neighborhood and or in your household or in your apartment building are like doing a lot of stuff on the internet, the provider throttles your internet, which is so stupid, and they basically like slow down your rates, and it probably has something to do with that. Although I think my streams during the week were still having the same problem, but I guess since like a ton of people are home from work, maybe that's partially what's causing the issue. We'll just have to make some cool videos this week. See how they go. All right, so for the Forces of Hadri's, he's got 2 Warplock Jezzails. He does also have the Poison Wind Mortars and the Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers mixed in with Lord Skrolk. The rattiest of the rats, Skrolk is a pretty snipeable character with his low armor and decent HP pool. But again, he can usually kick it back pretty hard with that lever. Now for the rest of the rat army, it is going to be Skaven Slaves and Skaven Slaves into the Sunset with some Warp Grinders and double Hell Pit Abomination. So it's very much like, not like a hardcore box. He doesn't have like the Council Guard, I don't think. Or, unless these are the Council Guard here. Let's check. They are. Okay, he does have them. So yeah, it's basically like just get a couple guns, hide in a box, and hope you can survive the Tomb King's rush. And the Hell Pit Abominations trade pretty effectively. They have healing, of course, so they're very good in that grindy fight. Skrolk is also very good in that grindy fight because he does give that juicy AoE damage with the Rod of Corruption. And he can summon more rats when your other rats run away. It's a very good army for sure. And now for the forces of the Tomb Kings, who shall be led by Grombrindle. He's got Nehekar warriors into the sunset, 2 groups of Ushopti for the rush. He does also have a wild Bone Giant. Oh yeah, Bone Giant's here. That's what I'm talking about, the Bone Toll. So the Bone Toll can shoot into the Hell Pit Abominations and some of these other tools, that is for sure. He does have a Deathcaster, so really going for the sniping. Obviously pretty good if you can snipe Skrolk before the fighting starts. That's huge. So Lich Priest will be Spirit Leeching Skrolk all game. Potentially the Council Guard, Bone Giant can shoot in and do some work as well. Double Ushopti Great Bow? No, just 1 Ushopti Great Bow. So honestly, the Bone Giant plus the Great Bow can probably outduel 2 Jezzails, which if Gromby can force Hadri's out of the Skaven box, it then becomes a much better game for the Tomb Kings, because like they're disconjointed, they're all over the place. Cetra can run and do his thing. We'll see how it goes. So Cetra the Imperishable marches forward on his Mighty Sphinx. And the Skaven actually moving up as well. It's not really much of a... I mean, it's kind of a box formation, but it's not like a super tight box. It's more of just a defensive general formation. The front line, though, is a little bit fickle here. We do have the Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers as the anchor piece, I suppose. Jezzail's shooting in. Going to be unleashing some nasty salvos of warp sniper fire into these Ushopti here. Ushopti, it's better Ushopti than Cetra, I suppose. The Bone Giant shooting in, and yes, he's going for the Skrolk snipe. So Skrolk is going to be dropping a Rat Summon, it looks like. I wonder why he dropped that Rat Summon there. Maybe just, like, send in and halt the advance? Yeah, probably. So Hadri's going to be sending in the Clan Rats to go basically just target the advance of the Nehekar warriors. In the meantime, though, the Bone Giant's still targeting Skrolk, and Spirit Leeches will target him as well. Some of the Ushopti are going to be piling in. Gromby not waiting around. He knows that there's a lot of rat fire here, so he's going to respect it. But these Ushopti, it's a little bit of an aggressive play for my liking. I feel like they're going to just get wrecked by the Hell Pit Abomination and the Tail Slashers. Also on top of that, the Nehekar warriors here are getting crumped pretty good by the mortar fire from Hadri's. The base is being dropped, that's for sure. On top of the Nehekar warriors, going down very, very quickly. And yeah, those Poison Wind Mortars are really good at killing lightly armored infantry. Like, Tomb Guard go down just as fast. It's very, very, very crazy. In the meantime, though, Cetra getting afflicted by the Liber Bubonicus, and he is able to push back some of the summoned Clan Rats, which obviously isn't much of a victory. And the sniping still is just going all in on Skrolk, which may or may not pay off. Because again, you know, the Bone Giant could be doing huge damage against the Hell Pit Abomination or some of these other assets. So Gromby really needs to make this work. He needs to get Cetra, he needs to goon Skrolk, and otherwise it's going to be pretty bad. So Gromby could also get Cetra. The Blessed Blade of Petra is activated as well. You know, the Council Guard are nearby as well. The Council Guard do, of course, give Guardian to Skrolk. Oh, the Bone Giant shooting Cetra in the back. Friendly fire coming in. Definitely not good for the mighty Imperishable one. He actually doesn't do magic damage, so he can't circumvent the Guardian ability either. As far as the rest of the battle goes, some of the Skeleton Horsemen in the back tried to desperately get on top of the Jezzails, and the Jezzails were able to scurry past the Skaven slaves, who are actually holding very firm there, believe it or not. And Cetra the Imperishable is pulling back. The Bone Giant and the Ushopti still pouring into this army, doing what damage they can. It looks like Gromby has opted to switch onto the Hell Pit Abomination. So the Bone Giant and the Ushopti Great Bows, I think, are now shooting after the Hell Pit Abomination. Nice pick here by the Tomb Kings, though, able to get the Assassin. So the Assassin is terrified. Cetra the Imperishable definitely stomping all over this rat here. But for the most part, the Skaven battle lines are very healthy. They have multiple layers. Oh, but this is big here. Grombrindle is able to get some Skeleton Horsemen onto the Jezzails. And if the Skaven don't react quickly, it could spread the terror amongst the Skaven ranks. Okay, well, not actual terror, but you guys get the picture. The Horsemen could start pressuring a lot of other tools here, which would be very unfortunate. In the backstretch, the Imperishable running for the hills, which is smart. He still has a lot of ammunition on the Great Bows and the Bone Giant, so, might as well pull back out of range of the Jezzails if he can. Skrulk is also a little bit beat up, and honestly, Skaven, without their leadership can be a little bit dicey. So maybe you just try and snipe Skrulk with the Bone Giant or something. Use the Ushopti Great Bows to finish off the Hellpit Abomination. Now the Poison Wind Mortars are shooting into the Ushopti, and actually did some okay damage. The Poison Wind trigger after the fact does something decent. Not negligible. Back in the main fighting, Skrulk is fighting against the mighty Kepragard, I think. Kepragard taking their time to break down. And Setra is charging in, but this is not a winning situation for Setra. There's 2 Hellpit Abominations here, and these guys, these disgusting mutated rats, will certainly beat the brakes off Setra in a 2v1. Now 1v1, Setra might be able to hold its own against a Hellpit here, but in this case, it's a little bit scary. Skrulk also taking a bit of damage. Gromby afflicted once more by the Liber Bubonicus. Man, that's going to hurt. Liber is going to finish off Setra. Setra goes down to the Sniper Fire. And here you can see the Ushopti summon. Pretty much an all-in attempt here from Grombrindle, knowing that he needs to kill Skrulk. He's just trying to get the Ushopti and just go after Skrulk however he can. But the Skaven are very healthy in many respects. It looks like they were finally able to screen out the Skeleton Horsemen here. And the Warplock Jezzails are, still fully operational. The armed and fully operational Jezzail Station. They're just shooting in, going after the caster back here, the Lich Priest, in really bad shape. And Bone Giant is a presence for sure. I mean, eventually you have to deal with him. I mean, he is a big terror-causing monster, but with the Hellpits not dying, Hellpits will just body these guys, as the kids say these days. The Ushopti and the Bone Giant will go down very quickly to double Hellpit Abomination. Kepragard going down. Skrulk lives, which is really unfortunate for the forces of the Tomb Kings. And the Brave Rats of, I don't know what clan they're a part of. GG being dropped by both players. They kind of acknowledging that it's pretty much over, but still a little bit of fight left in both of them. The Ushopti here might actually be able to beat the Assassin in combat. But yeah, there's just way too much Skaven left. Both Hellpits, both Jezzails, the Mortars, Skrulk, they're all still alive. A giant Shaft trying to poke Skrulk in the face, but he's not going to take it. He's moving forward. Ushopti Great Bow getting a couple shots, but some of the brave Skaven slaves of Skrulk's Clan Pestilence here are going to be eating that shot for him, which is what Skaven slaves are for. Hellpit Abomination surging forward, and that is going to be game 1 in a solid victory from Hadries. Well played to both players, for sure. But he wasn't able to break the Skaven box. A very heavy attempt to snipe Skrulk did not pay off, and he really invested a lot of resources in trying to goon Skrulk. Multiple Spirit Leeches, multiple all-ins from Setra, which led to a bunch of damage, and pretty much the ammunition from the Bone Giant and the Ushopti Great Bows in the early game. And Skrulk lived. And, it's a gambit. It didn't pay off. Well played. Hadries takes game 1 in this exhibition show match here. This best of 3. Let's go ahead and update the scoreboards. Do it to it. Benjamin. Got it. You're having the problems with your internet too as well. Well, hopefully that game wasn't too bad. I don't see too many drop frames on my statistics marker there, so. Well played to Hadries in game 1, and now, guys, grudges will be satisfied. Satisfy the grudge! The dwarves are coming! And we're going to be going on Oakenhammer. GG! So, Grombrindle picks dwarves, and he doesn't have to worry about banning Skaven, so that's really nice. So he can use 2 other bans for, like, Beastmen and, I don't know, probably Beastmen and maybe High Elves or something, or Dark Elves, I don't know. Depends on what he's comfortable with, really. Every player has a different playstyle. So, Gromby is going to be going dwarves, and Hadries is remaining on Skaven. Torsten, Valina, thank you so much for the fiber. Great to see you online more often recently. All the best for the entire household. Appreciate it. I really appreciate it. And yeah, glad to be here, man. It's a pleasure hanging out with you guys. I think the drama has passed. I'm hoping. That was a good game, though. Very, very good play by Hadries. Incredibly solid. So he's banning Beastmen and Greenskins. Yeah, that's good. Greenskins have a good matchup there. So do Beastmen. He probably feels more comfortable against Elves using like Trollhammer Torpedoes to take down. He just probably doesn't want to face like Bestigor and Black Orc type infantry. So we'll see what happens here in this match. Oh, Hadries going for the Chaos pick. Actually, I like this matchup. I feel like it used to be like, I feel like the dwarves do well here. And so does Chaos. It's a good matchup. So we got certainly a grudge match. How do you feel about the general state of the dwarves right now? And what would you change about them? I don't know, Angry Viking. That's a really nuanced question. I mean, Gotrek and Felix really helped them out a lot and made some matchups winnable. I think dwarves just need some like new stuff, some like DLC. Oh no, the bots are back! The bots have returned! The bots have returned. When you guys practiced to see if dwarves could beat Skaven, what was that before or after the change to... It was recently. It was like a couple weeks ago, Warden Monksy. So basically, the best build I came up with was like a box with Gotrek and Felix and like Belagar, and then like a couple Iron Breakers with blasting charges, and then gyrocopter spam. That was like the closest I came to win. I almost won that game. I had gyrocopters and a gyro bomber. I almost won it. It was really close. So basically, he had like 2 Jezzails, just like that. He had 2 Jezzails. No, he had 3 Jezzails and mass Death Runners, and then obviously just a couple Skaven characters. So basically, my 4 steam cannon gyrocopters and the gyro bomber were able to kill all the Jezzails. And then I was able to get some really big bombing runs on the Death Runners, and my Ironbreaker box with Gotrek and Felix almost held, but Death Runners in the end proved to be too efficient. He basically just sent in Skaven Slaves to waste my blasting charges, or just to get me in combat, and then the Death Runners piled in. And the Skaven characters were able to assassinate Felix, and I wasn't able to hold. It was really close. I almost won it. That was the closest we came. Aside from that, it was really tough. Yes. How do you feel about the state of the Greenskins? I think Greenskins are a good faction. I think they're mid-tier. Very much a mid-tier faction. I don't think Greenskins are like top tier by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think they're good. I think Greenskins can compete with some of the best factions. But of course have a couple issues here and there. All right, perfect. Everything's stabilized. So yeah, guys, welcome to the stream. We have one more best of 3 after this. Maybe another one. We'll see how time is. I don't want to leave you guys alone here on the day. I'll hang out for as long as I can, and then I'm going to go watch some stuff here. Perfect. So Grom Brindle. Typically how I play this matchup, and I'm sure Gromby will play it very similar, is to use a bunch of Thunderers and some Trollhammers and just go super wide and, hammer down the chariots and slow down the elite infantry with Runes of Wrath and Ruin and, all that kind of good stuff. It's very winnable for both sides, though. Just going to come down to gameplay. Obviously, Gromby is an extremely good Dwarf main, and Hadries is a top-tier player with a multitude of factions. They're both top-tier players, so we'll see how this goes. Quite excited to see this. Sons of Vulcan 89. How you doing, man? You're doing well. Which factions are top tier right now? In my opinion, let's see. I think Tomb Kings are top tier. I think that Dark Elves are kind of up there. Skaven, Vampire Coast, Empire. Yeah, everybody's tier lists are more or less different. It's very anecdotal, right? Like some people are going to put more value on matchups that they're not good in. But yeah, Dov is a very good player and a very smart person. So, I would definitely check out his tier list. I'm sure it's very valid. And, it's based, of course, it's based on his experience, but I'd probably agree with most of them. For sure. Dov's a great guy and a really good player. Check out his channel if you haven't. Michael Martin. How's my hand? It's doing okay. It's just kind of same old, same old. We're going in, though. We're going strong. I think we might add another best of 3 after this. Zardar and Shetland Apache wanted to play, so we could add them as another best of 3 at the end. So Zardar or Shetland, if you guys are here. Shetland, see if you can contact Zardar Total War, and we can get you guys in a best of 3 after all is said and done. Because I know one of them was kind of laggy, unfortunately. So I want to make sure you guys get plenty of good stuff. So here we go. So Shetland, if you are watching, you could be our closer, man. See if you can reach out to Zardar. He was really interested in playing, so... All right, guys, Oakenhammer. It is an open field map for the dwarves. They're certainly quite happy. Chaos doesn't have too many places to hide and spread its seeds of contagion and treachery. The proud Jawi await. I have a feeling based on it being Grom Brindle, we are going to probably see the White Dwarf himself. He is a pretty common pick, and he's really good. Gromby's, and I feel like some dwarf players have kind of shifted away from using the Rune Lord and just kind of rely on the Smoke Bomb and Grom Brindle actually being able to fight. Because a lot of times the Rune Lord is just kind of a punching bag. He's very tanky. He still has 120 armor and whatnot, but yeah, here we go. So for the forces of the Jawi, what do we have here? Let's take a look. 2 gyrocopters. I would imagine Brimstone guns going to be active on those. Very good tools against chariots and shaggots and all sorts of scary monsters. We have a cannon. We have Dragonback Slayers, Ironbreakers mixed in with great weapons, which is certainly pertinent here. Longbeards with great weapons can put up a good fight against most Chaos Infantry. Oh, the High King Thorgrim, satisfy the grudge. They've wronged us. He's coming here. He's out for blood. Good to be dropping the gavel on some of these foul heretics. And that's it. Pretty cool army. Very small, though. Usually I like to go a little bit wider against Chaos, but Grombrindle's playstyle I think is pretty different from mine. So see how that works. Now for the force of Chaos and Hadri's. Hadri's up 1-0 in this series. If Hadri's does win this, he will claim victory for the day. Chaos Warriors with great weapons into the sunset. Looks like as many as you can bring. Couple Chaos Marauders on the flanks. Massive amounts of Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes, knowing that Gyrocopters are a very real threat. Oh, and Prince Sigvald, the prodigal son, returns with his Auric armor. Also a Metalcaster with Searing Doom and Plague of Rust to make Sigvald a little bit better. And a couple Chariots as well. So, I mean, the Chaos build is certainly competitive with the exception of Sigvald. Everything in it is like tuned against dwarves, has great weapons, has backline harass with Marauders, anti-Gyrocopters, Chariots to harry gun lines, and then Sigvald, of course, is the only weak link. But, Sigvald isn't going to auto-lose you a game. He's still durable. He's still... And bringing like Footlords against dwarves has never been bad. They're small targets. He's silver shielded. And he gives you a good sustainable presence in the melee fight. So Sigvald isn't necessarily terrible here. See how it goes. Oftentimes you see the Warp Chicken. He just kind of like combined these two characters into the Warp Chicken and you get like a big terror-causing monster that has really good missile resist and things like that. But I think the Warp Chicken in one of the recent patches did get his one of his resistances nerfed. I can't remember which one. So the Chaos Sorcerer is the initial target for the cannons. The Dwarven Gyrocopters are going to go after the Chariots on the flanks, but Hadri's responds very quickly. He does, of course, have the Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes that will be going out there to pressure the Gyrocopters. And it's going to work well. Gyrocopters will get some poke here on the Chariots. A little bit of damage there. Maybe some stop-and-go micro here from Hadri's, but yeah, I think that the Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes should be able to screen them out. And also, what's not bad about the Horsemen is that they have general AP values with their axes against anything. So they can throw against Ironbreakers and all that sort of good stuff. But so far, the Gyrocopter's doing really well, actually. Peppering into the Chariots, doing some HP damage. And the Marauder Horsemen are being targeted down by the Dwarven Cannon. So that's not a bad trade. Sigvald getting a little bit ballsy here, guys. Maybe Hadri's figures that he might as well take the firepower on Sigvald instead of his characters. But no, I think it was a mistake, actually. He pulls back Sigvald. Oh, nice Searing Doom right there. Big value. Able to do some good HP damage against Dragonback Slayers, nuke the Grumbling Guard, and also hurt the Cannon Crew. It's a very good punish there from the Metal Sorcerer. Now the Gyrocopter is still doing a little bit of scoot and shoot, and the cannon shooting into the Chariot. One Chariot is very, very low, actually, at about half health. Well, not super low, but about half health, which is really big for the Dwarves, because those Chariots are a huge problem. The other Gyrocopter is going to need to fall back at this point. Honestly, what I would do with the Gyrocopters is pull back and through the army and then up and behind the Chaos Force and park the Gyrocopters right here and force those Marauder Horsemen to have some really awkward maneuvers. So Sigvald is going to be engaging in the front, but oh, Thorgrim's coming. His bearers here are going to be carrying him into combat. The Oath of Vengeance will be dropped, and Sigvald will lose a duel very hard to Thorgrim, I would imagine. A couple Chariots scream into the front line, hammering into the Norgrimling's Iron Breakers, but they have very, very good mass. Those boys will hold pretty firm. But Hadri's going to be swarming the back lines for sure. He's got the throwing axes picking off the Gyrocopters, and now we do also have the Chaos Marauders, which will be getting around the back and potentially causing some big problems. On top of that, the Chariots are doing some decent damage, getting into the gun line here. Stand Your Ground has been activated by the Dowie, and it looks like a Searing Doom has dropped in an attempt to try and shut down the cannons, but the cannons are in combat anyway, so it looks like the Chariots are kind of bumping the front of them, so see if the Dwarves can hold. Now, Sigvald, of course, losing the duel here against Thorgrim. Thorgrim able to hammer him pretty good. Longbeards are also helping out in that fight, but Chaos has a lot of stuff, guys, and the Dwarven gun line is very heavily compromised. I really think going wider against Chaos is a little bit better, but we'll see if Gromby can make it work. Some of the Longbeards with great weapons, the Grumbling Guard, are grumbling all over the faces here of these Marauders, forcing them back, but they are also being kited here a little bit by the throwing axes. Gyrocopters are still in line more or less. We have 3 here and 2 here, so 5 of the 6 starting total here. Thorgrim going in pretty deep against Sigvald once again. Sigvald taking a lot of damage and barely able to scratch the heavy armor here of Thorgrim, of course, down to 95 with Plague of Rust, just showing how truly tanky he is. So Sigvald certainly on the ropes. We'll see how it goes for him. He's trying his best. Dwarves are kind of in shambles elsewhere, though. It seems like Chaos is getting the better of them in many engagements. The Longbeards are a little bit detached, and when you have a character like Thorgrim is very expensive, you typically want to have your army together because Thorgrim does give a really nice AoE buff with the Book of Grudges. And here the Chaos Warriors with great weapons will probably defeat these Longbeards who are very, very beat up. There are a couple gunline units that are doing well, though. There are some Iron Breakers here holding, and it looks like the Thunders, despite being very tight in the pocket, are still shooting. And them in guard mode plus the Slayer support, we're able to actually push back the Chaos Chariots. So the Chariots are offline. Thorgrim, of course, is a pretty strong carry. If somehow Thorgrim can beat down Sigvald, maybe that would be an avenue back into the game. The Gyrocopters from Gromby are still maneuvering and flying about. It looks like this one does have only 2 models left, and the other Gyros, I think, got taken out or at least pushed off the battlefield. Let's look around and see if we can find them. Okay, they're coming back. Marauder Horsemen, though, have been doing a really good job kind of circling about, causing problems wherever they go. Ironbreakers are holding firm, though, even against all the great weapons. Nice Searing Doom there from Hadries. Able to pop into those guys. And Sigvald's, you know, at the very least, he's occupying Thorgrim. He has a bit of a dent in Thorgrim's HP, but Thorgrim is really getting him pretty close to the danger zone. Now, Sigvald is faster. He has 42 speed. Thorgrim only has 30. So Sigvald at any point could just start running, which would probably be the smart play, considering Oath of Vengeance is now active as well. But maybe Sigvald has a personal issue with Thorgrim here, although he gets whomped on the head once again. Sigvald's melee defense down to 36. 854. You got to be careful. Losing Sigvald here would be very, very punishing for sure. Sigvald, you got to run, buddy. Slaanesh does not want you here. 329. Thorgrim going in deep, and Sigvald is crushed. The Rune Axe of Grimnir smashing Sigvald's skull into the dirt. And that is big, because suddenly you have to deal with Thorgrim. And Thorgrim is a raid boss. He is a very, very tough character to deal with. Granted, there are a lot of AP infantry. Throwing axes can do a lot against Thorgrim as well, so I think Hadries needs to make sure that all of his ammunition here at this point does go into Thorgrim, because the Bounce Fire is actually pulling ahead here for the dwarves. Oh, the Chaos Sorcerer getting smashed as well. Thorgrim is not taking any prisoners today. Going after this Chaos leadership very, very well. And now the Gyrocopter can chase off the Chaos Sorcerer. We'll see. Balance of power going massively in the favor of the dwarves. A huge break for Chaos as the Ironbreakers hold firm. The Dwarven guns continue to shoot. And man, I really thought the dwarves were in some serious trouble, but Thorgrim took that into his own hands there. And really just beat the brakes off Sigvald and the caster. The gun line's back online. Ironbreakers are swarming. And yeah, I don't know. I think Chaos is too beat up at this point. The High King Thorgrim settling an ancient grudge with that foul Slaaneshi beast. And that is it. I don't think there's any way that Chaos is going to come back here in this game. Sigvald definitely sacrificed himself to Grimnir. Could have ran away, but you know, he was in it for the long haul. He's an easy character to forget. You think he's so tanky, but Thorgrim does hit really hard. He has 500 weapon strength and really crazy combat stats. Now Chaos, a bit of a resurgence, coming back with some troops here, but the Slayers going to meet their doom here. These Dragonback Slayers, and Thorgrim will just chase them. And yeah, now that the Ironbreakers and the guns are able to kind of take a breather and really orient themselves and start shooting, these Dwarven Thunders are just going to pound into them, and that's probably going to be army losses for Chaos here in a quick moment. Man, I cannot believe that Dwarven comeback. I cannot believe it. I really thought the dwarves were just kind of being swarmed everywhere. Like, the guns were tied down like most of the battle, but I guess the Ironbreakers and Sigvald going was what did it. Nice gunline volley right there, able to take out the horsemen. High King Thorgrim chasing. The Sorcerer is back, which has given Chaos a bit of a push as it pertains to the balance of power. Here we do also have Chaos Warriors with great weapons and some Marauders coming back in, but they're going to have a problem dealing with these Ironbreakers, which are still 60 models here. Searing Doom going down on the dwarves, but it looks like they were able to dodge it for the most part. And Thorgrim coming in as well on his throne. And is going to be crushing these foul heretics. Ironbreakers, of course, don't have a ton of damage output, but they're very durable and really allow a character like Thorgrim to do his thing. A couple Slayers in the back being punted by the Marauder Horsemen. But that is going to be a Dwarven victory. I cannot believe that comeback. Man, I really thought the dwarves were on the rope. The Bounce Fire was even for most of the battle, but I thought Chaos really swarmed them well. But that's that. The Prodigal Son, smashed by the Rune Axe of Grimnir. So let's pull this up. Thorgrim just going absolutely ham bones. All right, so let's go ahead and update the bracket here. 1-1 here in this best of 3. We have a game 3, guys. It's happening. Next map, we'll do the Crossroads. We'll do Angui. Angui is always a good map. All right, so they're going to do their picks and bans. So now the pick 3 for Hadries. All right, perfect. Notice a little bit of lag came back. Hopefully it's not too much. Garland Green, thank you so much for the $20, man. Not sure I have time to watch it all. Work starts tomorrow, but still loving the streams. Hey, Garland, thank you always for your support, man, and good luck at work. Hope all is well over there in the realms in which you live. Yeah, that Sigvald was not so hot right now. Sigvald got crumbs pretty good, but obviously Hadries was having some fun. Yeah, that was nuts. Well, yeah, Thorgrim only got 9 kills, but one of them was Sigvald. That is very, very true. One less grudge in the book. Yes, indeed. So what are they going to do here? Hadries deciding on the 3 factions he'd like to pick. Grombrindle eagerly awaiting his picks. He can't play dwarves again. The trick is out, but Grombrindle's actually a very good Norskin player as well. He's good at a couple different factions, from what I've seen. And guys. Perfect. And it looks like everything's going good. We move on. Sartorial's really good against dwarves. Yeah, he's super obnoxious to deal with. And like he has really good missile resist too, so it takes pressure off your chariots because they either shoot your chariots or your big bird, which is just like dunking all over their army. Well, Sigvald is like a little better than Grimgor, I think, because he self-heals. Granted, Grimgor does have better AP values, but yeah. I mean, Grimgor would actually be able to put a dent in Thorgrim. It may actually do well in that duel. I'm not really sure. Yeah, so we'll see. All right, guys, just shooting a message here real quick. All's good in the hood. Perfect. Do sub-factions count as a ban? Yeah, so if you ban like, at least how I've done at my events is if you do ban like dwarves, for example, they can't pick like the sub-factions. Yeah, so like that, typically I include like Avalorn and High Elves. If there's a High Elf ban, you can't pick Avalorn. Even though they are like relatively different, I still think it's kind of like silly, like, because they have the same components. So we have Dark Elves, Empire, Lizardmen. So he's banning Dark Elves and picking Skaven. So we have Grombrindle going from the dwarves to the Skaven. Quite the dynamic player here. And now Hadri's can pick Dark Elves or Empire, both of which have good matchups against Skaven. And Hadri's is a Dark Elf main, so he's probably saving the best for last. We'll see what he's got on the table for us here. Should be quite a bit of fun. I think you casted a game where Sigvald got 3-shotted by Gotrek. Yeah, Gotrek definitely beat Sigvald in the duel. The thing about Sigvald, though, and like characters like him, is like you don't evaluate them necessarily always by their prowess on the battlefield, but also by their cost. Sigvald is like dirt cheap if you strip him down. I think he costs like 1,100 or something. So you can like get more stuff by bringing him, which is still doesn't justify him per se because lords are very powerful in this game. And you know, Chaos has some. You can even bring a wild Kolek pick against dwarves every now and then. I do that often to surprise them. It's really good against like boxy builds with Ironbreakers. Like it would have been good against that build more or less. Like as long as you can shut down the Thunderers. Kolek can just go deep and just like hammer everything down. Yes, and so there's options there. So we do have Dark Elves versus Skaven in this matchup. So guys, prepare yourselves. Yeah, Sigvald needs AP for sure. He needs to get him and Wulfric on foot need that. But Wulfric has a Mammoth mount, so nobody really cares. So yeah, just put him on the Mammoth. That'll do, pig. That'll do. And Garland, good luck on your ship, man, where you're working. Yes, Mads Bo Anderson, it is a live stream. Yes, you can stream on 2 platforms with a restream service. Sometimes it does affect the quality. But yeah, I always like streaming on YouTube. I know the bots are really obnoxious nowadays, but I just like streaming on YouTube. It's where my family is, man. Yes. I got the juice. Thank you for the kind words. Yeah, Sigvald's just so haggard, though. Yes, we have the Dark Elves versus the Skaven. He picked Skaven. He's Dark Elves, I think. I think Hadri's is Dark Elves. Oh, Grombrindle was asking about the pick. Yeah, but it's probably going to be Skaven versus Dark Elves. Oh, no, but Grombrindle actually banned the Dark Elves. Ah. So Grombrindle went Skaven and banned his Dark Elves. So it's not going to be Dark Elves. It's going to be Empire Lizards. Oh, all right. So Emp or Lizards. Clever Grombrindle. Yeah, the bots are obnoxious on Twitch too, says Kachi. All right. So you get to see Skaven once again. Correctamundo. But it's actually not going to be Dark Elves. Hadri's may be AFK for a quick moment. That's fine. We're in no rush, my friends. Then after this, we have the Great Dob plays against Wicked D. It's going to be fun. Going to be good times for all. We need some bot mods to ban the bots. Yeah, that would be interesting. War Wagons. Oh man, War Wagons are such a bad unit. They're so bad. Yeah, on Twitch you can have like people who subscribe. You know, I think that would be cool on YouTube too, to have like subscriber only chat. So not like the sponsor, but like people who are just subscribed to my YouTube channel, just click the subscribe button, are the only ones who can chat, because that would keep the bots out. Granted, the bots will probably evolve and learn how to subscribe to your channel and then do it, which is pretty obnoxious, but it's still another hoop they have to jump through. You know, that bot right there just copied something from a way back in chat. That was like from 30 minutes ago. Man, they go deep in your chat. Micah, I play 40K, and I have played a couple games of AOS, but I play mostly 40K right now. We should have the bots best of 3. So Hadri's is going Lizards. So it's going to be Lizards versus Skaven. We have the Prophet and the Warlock DLC showdown. What will Hadri's do? This is an interesting matchup here. It's one that I haven't seen in quite some time, so I'm excited to see this. Shell and Apache has a really good point here. They're evolving. Corey's like, I'm not a bot. Please don't ban me. The bots have wronged us. Yeah, it's very true. The bots use like weird spellings and letters and like substitute numbers in for letters to like bypass the filters. Yeah. Bots on Twitch. So Garland Green says the bots on Twitch have learned to follow users. It messes with their stats and can actually get them banned on Twitch. Oh man, that's rough. So Micah and 40K, I play Chaos. So I play pretty much all the Chaos Legions. I play Emperor's Children. I play Night Lords. Death Guard is my favorite faction, but unfortunately they're very weak, so I only play them in casual games. I play Thousand Suns. Yeah, that's mostly it. I just play like all the Chaos stuff. And here we go, guys. Hadri's versus Grombrindle, Game 3. We've had some really good matches today. We've had 2 of our series go to the rubber matches, 2 of the 3 we've had so far, which is great. Fun matches all around. And now we are on Angui for our next map here. Skaven versus Lizards, Prophet and the Warlock. I wonder if we're going to see any off-meta picks. A Wild Tretch Craven's Tail, perhaps? I don't think so. I think Gromby's out for blood, as is Hadri's in this match. Sigvald was the meme. You know, he brought the meme. But now it's time for business. Have a nice sip of water there. We're good to go. Players loading in. Hadri is not on his Dark Elves, so very good picking and banning so far from our friend Gromby here. That actually happened to me in the last tournament. So there's only like 4 factions I'm really good at in tournaments. Like I can compete with top players. And man, the last time I played in a tournament, my opponent, P-Butter Special, he did such a good job. I picked Greenskins, which is one of my best factions in Game 1. And then in Game 2, my other 2 factions, he was able to ban both of them with his double ban, and it was really rough. So picking and banning and knowing your opponent's preferences is like a really, really important tool in competitive play for sure. I mean, you know, obviously there's players mix things up, and some players are good at just like 6 or 7 factions, so it doesn't really matter. But in general, if you know they have a sweet spot, one thing they really love, take it away from them. So for the forces of Grombrindle, he does have the Ikid Zap Zap Cannon guarded by the Council Guard, 2 groups of Jezzails for monster hunting, and a very rare sighting here of the Avalanche Mortars. We almost never see these guys. And they got nerfed pretty heavily, but we'll see. They got a big cost increase. They cost an arm and a Skaven leg. We got Lord Skrolk as well. And for the rest of the battle line, it is just going to be Skaven Slaves and a couple Clan Rats into the Sunset with the Clan Vulcan's Eel Slashers. That's pretty standard. The one thing, no help it, but he does have Ogres, and he has plenty of anti-large in the form of Jezzails and a Warp Lightning Cannon and Skrolk's Lieber, so he should be okay. Now for the force of Hadri's, it looks like there's going to be a wild Pterodon here. So what he's going to do with those Pterodons, he's going to fly them over the Zap Zap Cannon almost instantly. And he's going to try and use a rock drop to shut it down and also do massive damage to the Council Guard. And if he does succeed in doing that, that could be a game-winning play. Now for the rest of the army, he's going for an anti-sniper build using Skink Chiefs on the Stegodons with the Ballistas. So these Ballistas are the sniper Ballistas. They're actually quite accurate and really good at sniping Warp Lightning Cannons. So he has 2 of those. Jezzails will trade pretty effectively here, though. But 2 of these Skink Chiefs with the sniper rifles. The Legion of Chaqua. He does also have Lord Mazdamundi, Star Chamber Guardians, and it looks like some Skink cohorts into the Sunset. In the back, more Skink cohorts, and I think that's it. So really most of the build, yeah, a bunch of Pterodon Riders all over the battlefield, which are actually a really good backline harass unit against Skaven. They can definitely do some work dropping the rocks on Council Guard and harassing Jezzails, and they're not bad in combat also. You know, they do have, I think, 65 weapon strength. Yeah, it's pretty decent. So yeah, most of the build, though, is going to come down to trying to snipe the artillery piece. He'll use the lizards, snipers, or the Skink Chiefs on the Bastiladons, or Stegodons, excuse me, to try and snipe out the Ikit Zap Cannon. From there, he's probably just going to try and weather the Jezzail fire and try and snipe them with the Pterodon. So kill the artillery piece with the big lizards. Pterodon riders snipe the Jezzails, drop rocks on them, call it a day. So we'll see if he's able to accomplish his goals. Good luck, have fun to both these fine players here as we load into our next match. Let's see how this goes. Predictions, guys. Are you fans of the Horned Rat, or are you a child of the old ones? Let us know in chat. Let us know where your allegiances lie. Grombrindle on the Skaven. It just feels weird saying that. And then we have Hadries on the forces of the Lizard People. Good luck, have fun being dropped. So the Ancient Stegodons, immediately, Hadries so quick on that. Now they're going to be going after the Zap Cannon. That Zap Cannon is going to have probably a pretty bad time, although he might have been going after the Avalanche Mortars. Jezzails, very quick reaction from Gromby as well. They see the Pterodon Riders coming in and are going to be juking. You can see here Hadries is trying his best to juke these shots, but still is taking quite a bit of them. Obviously, you can't dodge them all. And some of the Pterodons are falling. Very tragic stuff. It's like the Ewoks going down in the third Star Wars movie. Pterodon Riders here. 12 leadership. Another group coming in from the back, though. These ones might be able to get their rock drop off and drop them rocks. But no, it seems like Grombrindle is doing a really good job reacting to the Pterodons, which is super important here. In the meantime, the Stegodons are actually going after the Avalanche Mortars instead of the Warp Lightning Cannon, which I'm really surprised about. But, I mean, the Mortars aren't terribly good against a lot of what he has. He can always just outrange them. Here comes the rock drop. Oh, no, and he misses it. Just 1 second too late. The Powhawks' Sentinels do not get to drop their rocks, and so much gold for the Lizards is instantly gone. The Powhawks' Sentinels are going to get shreked. The other Pterodons are just barely trying to recover here. That is extremely punishing. However, the Lizards here, the two Stegodons, are doing a pretty efficient job at taking out the Avalanche Mortars. Jezzails are now in range here of the big dinos, going to be shooting into the Skink Chiefs, but of course Mazdamundi does have Apotheosis. And also he does have the Legion of Chaqua here, which is going to be giving missile resist to these guys in a very clutch moment. So the Avalanche Mortars shooting in, going after some of the Skink cohorts, doing a little bit of damage, but not too much. And here you can see that the Avalanche Mortars are broken. All right, that's pretty good. So a very expensive unit. They cost 1,500 gold, so that's pretty good value there. Skinks have engaged in the front line with Skaven Slaves, and it seems like Hadries coming in for a final attempt here. Going to be trying to bomb this pocket. So Gromby, knowing this, does pull back the Council Guard, trying to avoid the rock drops. Oh man, it's like the last Samurai! Liber Bubonicus going down, forcing them back, but the other Pterodons are going to be diving into the Jezzails here. And will he go for one last rock drop? Oh, he does drop it on the Jezzails here, which is good. Just might as well, blow the load right there instead of waiting too long. And yeah, good disruption here. Hadri's able to get those Pterodon Riders into the lines finally. He does have one more Pterodon Rider as well. And the Stegodons are very healthy. Legion of Chaqua was able to help them endure, and now the Jezzails are more or less offline, actually. The Mortars are offline. The Warp Lightning Cannon is pretty much the last threat here. But all the Pterodon Riders really taking a pretty heavy beating. One group of the Jezzails, unfortunately, the Natty Bubo Sharpshooters are still fighting. The Warp Lightning Cannons are peppering here into the Skink Chief, who does, of course, have the support of his big thickness here, Mazdamundi, or Apotheosis in his back pocket, waiting. Another group of Pterodons coming in, going all in, and yeah, if you can shut down the Natty Bubos. Rock Drop coming in, doing big old damage, taking out two of them and doing some substantial HP damage. And now I think he's going to go after the other Jezzails. Maybe the Jezzails are broken there. Front line here for the Lizards, though, a little bit precarious, as the Skinks are overwhelmed by a horde of rats, Skaven Slaves, and Clan Rats. And the Skink cohort's trying its best, but it's a little bit overwhelmed, especially with Rat Ogres punching at them. Here, the Skink Chief on the Stegodon is getting healed by Apotheosis. Ammo is running a little bit low, at about 30 or 40%, give or take. In the back, the Pterodons are still continuing to harry the Avalanche Mortars, who only have one model left, able to take them out. And the Jezzails are also quite beat up. So far, it's a pretty even battle. I mean, despite both players taking some losses and unfortunate circumstances for both players, it seems like it's kind of become a bit of an evenly balanced battle as we go forward here. So now, the Skaven continuing to rush forward, Skaven Slaves, Skaven Slave Spears, and Ogres pushing, but the Legion of Chaqua can probably hold back like all these guys, no problem. Stegodon's getting a little bit beat up. Hadri's probably is going to want to pull back the Stegodon into the trees, maybe line of sight the good old Warp Lightning Cannon. A banishment attempt going down. Ruination of Cities was able to force back the Skaven here. And the Ruination of Cities does tear through some Clan Rats there, which isn't bad. But guys, there's also a big pocket of Skaven. But if the Jezzails are gone, the Warp Lightning Cannon is shut down somehow, that means that obviously, the Skaven Slaves are going to have to deal with Stegodons, which isn't a fun situation, especially with Mazdamundi buffing them. And I believe he also has the Star Chamber Guardians back here. Yeah, he does. Those Star Chamber Guardians are going to be tough to kill. Now, the Mortars would have been really good at killing them, but, they're not here anymore, so that's that. So now the Stegodons are shooting into the Warp Lightning Cannons, trying to use the last of their ammunition here to get some value. And the Pterodon Riders probably do want to charge in here and finish off these Jezzails. even though they will get hit with another Liber Bubonicus. Oh, they shattered the Jezzails. That's really big. And now the Warp Lightning Cannon continuing to shoot in. Looks like a banishment attempt coming in from Mazdamundi is going to tear through those clan rats pretty effectively, but the Natty Bubo sharpshooters are proving to be a pretty effective foe here, as one of the Stegodons is getting danger low. Again, I think pulling that Stegodon back in the tree line and saving him for the late game would be a really, really good play here, because he's taken a lot of damage. Natty Bubos plus Warp Lightning Cannons. The Warp Lightning Cannon, I think, has pretty good ammo left. Yeah, it has 5 volleys, not too much, and there's only 2 of them, so it looks like Hadri's was successful in taking out one of the Ikid Zap Zap cannons. Only 1 volley left on each Skink Chief, though, so there's not much ammo. This one's pretty danger low. He really needs to keep the Stegodon alive, because there's still a massive Skaven horde. And yeah, the monsters are good against them, but numbers are numbers, and that's how Skaven roll. And there's still 2 full health group of Rat Ogres, which are both very good against these type of monsters. So the Skink Chief is kept active here with the Cold Blood. He would have broken otherwise, because he's at 15 leadership and it gives plus 16. The Warp Lightning Cannon puts him at negative 12. If that Skink Chief breaks, that could spell some big problems here. Because it's going to run, Skaven can chase it off the battlefield if they have any rats nearby. It doesn't look like they do, though, so that guy might come back here. Apotheosis is going to be popped on him to try and keep him going, and now it looks like the Lizards are going to be advancing out from the trees, opting to take an engagement here against the Skaven. And even though the bounce power is Skaven favored, the Star Chamber Guardians and Legion of Chaqua are going to be incredibly tough to kill. Incredibly tough. Skrulk will be a helpful tool with the Rod of Corruption, doing that AoE damage, but this is still a really, really nasty Lizard Ball. Like, nasty. So that Skink Chief is back. So at this point, yeah, just bring him back and kind of hide him and use him as a terror route unit in the late game. The Jezzails using their last couple volleys here on the big boy here, the Skink Chief. But yeah, it's going to be rough. Honestly, I think Skaven are in a bit of trouble here. As the Skink Chief runs through these guys, you're going to see Clan Rats and Skaven Slaves running in every which direction. Mazdamundi's quite thick as well. You can see him doing his magic here. The Stegodon ramming Mazdamundi in the face. Very classic stuff. And these are some elite Lizard Infantry guys. Plague Monks are being summoned, which is really good. Plague Monks will get the bonus for his infantry. Shield of the Old Ones being activated as well, and some of the Clan Rats with Spears trying to jump on the boy here. So Gromby needs to make sure... Oh, that's right. Grombrindle has the Council Guard. I forgot about those guys. Okay, that's actually a big difference maker. He's got to make sure he doesn't blob up too much, because if Mazdamundi gets a big banishment on the Council Guard and it hits a bunch of stuff, that could be game ending. So the battle's underway here. Council Guard are in. Rat Ogres pushing in from the back. Skaven Slaves coming in for a full surround. And the double Skink Chief certainly causing some problems. But Skrulk is basically just running in circles, trying to stay away from the Skink Chiefs and doing AoE damage where he can. But man, this is a messy, messy fight. And there is still some Warp Lightning ammo. Oh no, there's some left. And that means that this big boy here, this Skink Chief, is going to be taking a bit of damage. So it looks like there's a banishment going down over here. Banishment going to be dropped on the Clan Rats and whatnot. Skrulk Daddy trying to get away, but the banishment definitely should have been used on the Council Guard, but I guess Mazdamundi was too close to the Council Guard, so he couldn't do that. That's pretty unfortunate. Ogre's charging in, going after the Skink Chief, which isn't a bad trade. Skink Chief will still win, of course, but it's damage. And the Lizards are holding. Temple Guard are still standing steady. I was about to say firm, but then I looked and they're shaking and they're steady, which is certainly not firm. The Skink Chief here getting swarmed and isolated by Ogres, which is a pretty unfortunate situation, and that one Stegodon is most certainly going to get pushed off. And the Skaven seems like they might be able to claw it out with their little rat claws here. As Skrulk is now battling Mazdamundi. You can see Skrulk down here all stinky with this cloud of filth around him. And Skrulk probably does have more Rod of Corruptions as well. And the Temple Guard are being overwhelmed. Just claws and rat teeth and all sorts of stuff causing a lot of problems. And also the Skink Chief is broken. Is he broken? He's wavering. Cold Blood keeping him going. 30 leadership. It is so close. And the Stegodon rallies in the back. That's really big for the Lizards. He still has 700 HP and could get some big terror routes. And guys, the Star Chamber Guardians and the Legion of Chaqua are starting to wear down the Skaven elements. And remember, Skaven do have summons here. But the Council Guard are going to be a pretty big issue. Council Guard are unbreakable, anti-large, and are very good against pretty much everything you see here. So now Gromby is going to be grabbing the Rat Ogres and going after the Skink Chief here in the distance. The Skink Chief probably will lose to these Ogres. Of course, there's a lot of them. There's 12 here and I think 10 here. No, 12 and 12. Yeah, or 11 or something. Yeah, it's a lot of Rat Ogres. Skrulk in the meantime just kind of cackling in the distance, being a Skaven. That's what they do. It's going to be going after the Skink Chief. He needs to break this guy for sure. And you can see here the other Skink Chief and the Legion of Chaqua were trying to reroute and get over there to save it, but they can't. The Ogres are going to pull back, and the Council Guard continuing to grind down here. Council Guard can put some hurt on the Star Chamber Guardians. Obviously, Star Chamber Guardians will win in a vacuum. But Skaven, like I said, don't fight fair. A bunch of Skaven slaves rushing in, clan rats everywhere. It's just a very messy fight. This is a very Lizardmen versus Skaven battle. Just tons of Skaven bodies, a bunch of elite Lizardmen units trying to hold against an onslaught of just chaff. Even the Natty Bubo sharpshooters are coming in to, I guess, pistol whip things. Or they don't have pistols, but you guys get the picture. They'll hit them with the butts of the weapons. Mazda Mundi's a little bit surrounded now. He does have Guardian, though. So the Guardian's going to make him very tough to kill. Rod of Corruption going down from Skrulk is really, really good here. It's going to hit the Star Chamber Guardians. It's going to hit the Legion of Chaqua. But the Ogres being healthy is also a big problem. Every time they charge in, they're getting a little bit of shock damage against these big targets. But this is anyone's game. This is it. This is for the fate of their best of 3 here on this stream. The Council Guard, up to 10 kills. And relatively healthy shape, actually. Star Chamber Guardians are actually a little bit healthier, though. They have more HP. And the Ogres just being very, very careful. But I don't know. Even though the bounce is for the Skaven, I feel like those Temple Guard plus the Skink Chief are going to be very tough to kill, especially with that juicy, juicy Apotheosis going down. But the Rats, of course, have more bodies coming back in. So the Clan Rats and Skaven Slaves, they have an innate ability, which actually makes them come back faster, which is pretty funny. They run away and then they come back. It's called, what is it called? Scurry or something? Let's go and take a look. It's called Flee. Scurry Away, yeah, Scurry Away. Strength in numbers. A lot of fun abilities from the Skaven. So the Skink Chief here is getting a little bit beat up. Skrulk does come in with his sensor to get a blow, and that's really unfortunate when the Skink Chief does those attack animations that overextend him, because it kind of pushed him into the Ogres. Council Guard are very low, though, only 1,000 HP, and the Temple Guardians, or the Star Chamber Guardians, really beating them down in combat, which is no surprise. Skrulk's going to be coming in, going after Mazda Mundi, I would imagine. Hadri's doing a really good job with the Skink Chief, though, keeping him away from the massive Ogres. Now, going after one group of Ogres isn't bad, per se, but it's certainly better than taking both of them on the face. Skrulk getting into combat and actually taking a little bit of damage himself. Mazda Mundi able to use some of that Slann old magic here. This is such a scrap. This is such a scrappy battle. Oh my goodness, I hope it's not lagging too much. Right as I say that, the game lags, but hopefully it's not on my end. Star Chamber Guardians down to 2,300 HP, just being shanked by Rats from every angle. Rat Ogres charging in with the rear charge here. Skrulk Daddy continuing to fight, going after Lord Mazda Mundi, and getting some damage on him. Mazda Mundi's down to about 3.9k. Another Shield of the Old Ones expires, as this is really not good for Hadri's. Oh no. The Ogres are able to isolate the Skink Chief away from the army, and yeah, they're able to beat him down. And Gromby should chase it off. Yeah, and down it goes. The Ogre's actually able to just outright kill it. So now it's the Temple Guard and the Council Guard and Skrulk. The Ogres, the problem is the Ogres can cycle charge against the Star Chamber Guardians like all day while the Council Guard are fighting. Granted, there's only 7 Council Guard left. Does Skrulk have any Rat Summons left? A really nice Rod of Corruption going down there, which does actually break the Legion of Chaqua. Those guys are broken. It's really just Star Chamber Guardians down to 40 models. Mazda Mundi fighting Skrulk in combat. Skrulk is a bit of a better combatant. 62, 45, 440 compared to 21, 42, 360. Definitely favor Skrulk. Ogre's charging in once again. Council Guard. It's really important that there's at least one Council Guard because it does give Skrulk really good physical resist. So maybe at this point, Gromby wants to pull back the Council Guard out of combat and just kind of sit them behind Skrulk. Look at this naked Zap crews coming in. The artillery crews coming in with their shanks. Just absolute desperation from both players. But the Ogre is proving to be the real breadwinners here, as the Council Guard are finally on their last legs. 32 models here, but very low in HP. -1, and if they break, it's over. Yeah, Council Guard are broken, that's game. There is no way Mazda Mundi can carry this. And Grombrindle is going to win this best of 3 showdown. Man, that was a close one. GG, that was crazy. I thought the Lizards might be able to pull it out with the Terror Routes, but what I wasn't taking into account was the fact that the Council Guard were still alive. Man, and Mazda Mundi goes down in a morass of fur and claws and filthy teeth, and that is going to be a victory for the Skaven and Grombrindle in this best of 3. All right, so let's update the scorecards. Let's update them scorecards. What a battle. What a scrap. That was amazing. So now, series goes to Gromby 2-1. Well played to those 2 lads. And now we're going to get Dob Plays and Wicked D. All right. You're up. Let's get those fine lads. Get them in here. GG. Wow. That was insane. That was just a knockdown, drag-out fight if I've ever seen one. And that's it. So that's it for their best of 3. We'll do the Golden Monolith now for our next map. Well played, Hadris. So we'll get Dov in here, we'll get Wicked in here, and we'll get the show on the road. Seems like internet's been okay. Hopefully it didn't lag during that game. Mazda with 300 kills. Yeah, it's from Banishment, so. I was not expecting that to go that long. Goodness gracious. Oh, wow. They already have their builds ready. Hey. So let me go ahead and update the scorecards. So Shetland, if you're still down, Zardar said he would play you in a best of 3. Yeah, I think it's subsided for the most part. So we got, who's on this side? On the left, we got Wicked. So I'll start in just a second. Wicked D, of course, the mod here, facing off against Dov. If you guys haven't seen Dov Plays, an outstanding YouTuber. Do check him out. And updating the scorecards, and then we can get this party started. So these players, of course, pre-arranged their builds to make it an even more fluid process for everyone. Are we going to have a wagon war? I have a feeling there's going to have some wagon war action. So after this, guys, we do have one more best of 3. It's going to be Shetland Apache, a true veteran and leader in the multiplayer community, facing off against Zardar Total War, the extreme memer himself, providing us with glorious Sigvald replays. And now we come into the Golden Monolith, which is a pretty fun map. It's going to be the Golden Order facing off against the Empire. So it's going to be a bit of an Imperial Civil War, which is always fun. I think there's going to be wagons, guys. So for anyone who wanted wagons, here you go. Minimize real quick. Make sure I got the nameplates all correct and everything. We do indeed. And are you guys prepared for the Wrath of Sigmar? All right, so for the forces of Dov Plays, who's going to be playing the Reichland, or the Traditional Empire, he's got Volkmar the Grim. He does also have a Manticore Summoner. It's a pretty competitive build so far, and a Fireball Caster, so certainly has some great options, tactical options there. Front line is going to be Spearmen with Shields. In the back, he's got Outriders, so going for the long rifles instead of his beloved Pistoliers. Granted, he doesn't leave home without a Pistolier usually, but yeah, he's got 3 Outriders, which are good against Empire Heavy Cav, good at sniping Lords, etc., etc. 3 Knights of the Blazing Sun, 2 Huntsmen, and that is it. So we don't see mirror matches terribly often. Now for the forces of the Golden Order, Triple Drake... oh, wait. Who's Golden Order? Did I get it backwards? Okay, never mind. Wonderman, or One Underman, not sure what that's reference to. That is Wicked D. Wicked is playing Reichland. Dov Plays. I was going to say there's no Pistoliers. It doesn't feel like Dov. So this is Dov's army. Dov is playing the Golden Order. He has the General of the Empire up in the sky. He does also have 4 Pistoliers. Okay, that makes sense. Everything, the stars are aligned now. We got Spearmen with Shields on the ground. We do have Felix Jaeger. More Spearmen in the back. We have a Shadowcaster with Pendulum, Enfeebling Foe, and Occam's Mindrazor. We have a triple Great Cannon from Dov. Really going with a good old-fashioned cannon play. So it's going to be, oh my god. This is going to really favor Dov, though. Pistoliers will defeat Outriders in combat pretty handily. They're a little bit better, I think, in melee, too. 20? Yeah, slightly better in melee. But Pistoliers are, like, just going to unleash hellish volleys. Wicked needs to get those guys back. Oh, man. But of course, these players are probably in chat together right now, so not going to be any of that sweet screen sniping. So the battle's underway. The Golden Order, the Pistoliers, shall unleash a volley. Balthazar Gelt has sent his finest general to do battle with Volkmar the Grim in this Empire Civil War. But the Outriders are forced back, taking a lot of Pistolier fire. Dov Plays. Yeah, for a second I was like, what? This is so weird. Dov's not bringing Pistoliers. Fireball going in. The Fireball is going to be going after a Great Cannon in the back, and the Outriders have actually turned to face and fight. One of them taking heavy casualties, but they are able to give a little bit of damage back against the Pistoliers, so it's not a complete wash. So one unit is going to be taking heavy damage, but really, as far as that initial engagement goes, that's not too bad. So of course, Wicked does have the more not well-rounded per se, but more of an aggressive army. He's got, these Knights of the Blazing Sun. He's got Volkmar the Grim. But the Great Cannons are really going to have to pay their dues before the distance is closed, because if Volkmar breaks that front line and is able to get back there and shut down the Great Cannons, that is going to be a really rough situation. Now, something about Outriders, they do have better range than Pistoliers. Pistoliers have 80 range, and these guys have 130. So with good micro, Wicked could potentially get some really good value here. And you can see the Pistoliers are actually being forced back by Volkmar, who has missile resist and self-regeneration and good armor. So he has many things which are very, very good against Pistoliers. So some of the Pistoliers do get run down by Volkmar. Outriders providing really nice Overwatch support, but the Great Cannons for the Reichland, or excuse me, for the Golden Order, are doing huge damage here against the Knights of the Blazing Sun. And now the Imperial State troops do march forward. But a nice countercharge coming in from Dov into the Unbraced Spearmen, but Knights of the Blazing Sun are nearby, so it could go either way for sure. So one group of Pistoliers actually shaken, might get routed off the map, but it looks like they're okay. And the Manticore Summon has been activated as well from the Reichland here, so it is going to be jumping in, going after the Great Cannon. And the Knights of the Blazing Sun doing some decent shock damage to the spears, and it looks like up here, Wicked is trying to corral the Pistoliers, which is certainly tricky. And here we do, of course, have the General of the Empire coming in. Pistoliers may be going to be going into combat here, but the Knights of the Blazing Sun will really punish them pretty hard in combat. Huntsmen are now in range. Huntsmen can put some serious hurt on the Pistoliers here, but Dov probably is going to opt to charge into them, but we'll find out. Now back in the main fighting, a bit of a wet noodle contest. Of course, Spearman fighting Spearman. Felix Jaeger, though, is going to be a big difference maker here. He'll hit pretty damn hard against these infantry with his bonus for his infantry, and the Empire Knights of the Golden Order are actually doing a pretty good job riding through these troops as well, while the Knights of the Blazing Sun are very distracted by the horde of Pistoliers. Oh no, but a very scary situation for Job. He gets a little bit surrounded by the Knights of the Blazing Sun. Oh no! And the Outriders seem to be providing some heavy AP fire into this general as well. If he breaks, that could be really bad. 12 leadership, it looks like he might get away. There are spearmen nearby. Job needs to pull those spearmen in to help. Otherwise, he's going to be overwhelmed by those cav. Bright Wizard for the Reichland charging in as well. In the back, the Manticore Summon is going in on the cannon, but it doesn't look like it did too much to the cannons, to be honest. I think the Manticore Summon originally went after Dov's Caster, which was a good play, and then went onto the cannon at the very end there. So for the Pistoliers, it looks like all the Pistoliers of the Golden Order routed, but maybe came back at the edge of the map here. They're all kind of convened up on the hill. Knights of the Blazing Sun are going to be charging back towards the main engagement, and Dov's Lord does break, so the General of the Empire of the Golden Order is broken, and if he's going to run off the edge of the map, that's going to be a huge loss here. Oh, and he comes back. That's clutch, and you can see when he comes back, the bounce power does kind of stabilize a little bit. But now, Wicked has a great angle here. These Knights of the Blazing Sun can collapse and kill all 3 cannons, potentially. Now, Dov does have a Grey Wizard here, but Volkmar the Grimm's back here. This is going to be very painful. These cannons are going to take a beating. Granted, they are giving some last good shots here. The General of the Empire does have the Charmed Shield pop, and it looks like he might be going after Volkmar, which isn't a terrible idea. Pretty low himself, though, only 1,000 HP, so it could take a bit of a beating. But the cannons being pushed offline is brutal. And I think that Wicked should keep one of these cav units and go after the other cannon here. That's pretty much a free kill. Granted, Wicked does have some spearmen, the Reichland does, that are going to be able to shut down those cannons. Now, another Manticore Summon is disappearing here in a moment from the forces of the Reichland. Job plays able to get back with his General of the Empire. The Helping Hand from Felix is popped, which does, of course, give him some ward save, but he's going to break again. The Huntsmen are shooting him. The Huntsmen of the Reichland, of course, have anti-large, not the best AP values, but I don't know. The Volkswagen is a hard train to stop, guys. And it seems like the Reichland may be able to put down the Golden Order Rebellion, but we'll find out. But really nice play by Job there. Job is able to go in and snipe the Bright Wizard, despite being super beat up with 300 HP, but the Huntsmen are shooting him. I think he's going to go down to the Huntsman fire. Yeah, you can see this 399. Huntsmen are going to be unleashing another volley here in a second, I would imagine. No, they actually turned to shoot at the Pistoliers of Job, which have come back in the 4th quarter. And also, Felix is here. Felix Jaeger must be nearby, and Felix is healing the General of the Empire, but all Volkmar the Grim needs to do is hit him once or twice, and that's going to probably break him. Negative 15. Yeah, his leadership is a big issue here. And the Knights of the Blazing Sun, a huge crusade charge right into this Golden Order formation. Felix holding relatively firm, but the General of the Empire is broken with 111 HP. Also, the other Great Cannon is going to be shut down in a moment. The forces of the Reichland have gotten back here and shut down this Great Cannon. And Volkmar the Grim proving to be an absolute beast of a character as usual. Knights of the Blazing Sun swarming here. Sigmar Sons will fight to the bitter end, of course, but the Huntsmen able to fend off the Pistoliers. The Bright Wizard has come back. There's so many elements of this battle that I think do heavily favor the forces of the Reichland. I just don't think the Golden Order has enough punch left. All their cannons are gone. Volkmar the Grim is going to rout off all these spearmen. Sigmar Sons are going, though, and Felix is no joke, but Felix will get run over by Volkmar. He's infantry-sized. He's pretty much the ideal candidate to be run over. Granted, I mean, Dobbs, Felix, and the Sigmar Sons might be able to make a last stand here, but with good cycle charging from Knights of the Blazing Sun, I don't know how that's going to go. In the meantime, we have Empire Knights coming back, but the General of the Empire is back once again. This guy just will not break. Balthazar Gelt must have really given him a good pep talk before he left, because he is back in business. Granted, Outriders are here, Huntsmen are here. He's not going to make it that much closer. 98 HP. About to be a big volley here, and Volkmar the Grim about to banish some of these unfortunate Sigmar Sons for betraying the Reichland, I suppose. Down they go, and the Empire General is down as well. We have a couple cav units. These Empire Knights are armored against Huntsmen, but they're still large targets, so the bonus for large is applicable to them. They're going to be charging in. And this is actually good, because like as far as mirror matches go, it's really easy to distinguish between the Golden Order and the traditional Empire. Sigmar Sun still going, 7 models left, but it looks like that's going to be it. It's probably going to be army losses soon, I would imagine. As Wicked G drops the banhammer here on the Golden Order. In the back, he does, of course, have the Bright Wizard. Bright Wizard can cycle charge on his horse as well. And Felix is the last man standing here for the Empire. It would make sense for Felix to kind of battle against the Empire here and there. He is wanted in the books for a lot of the story. And there you have it, guys. Game 1 goes to Volkmar the Grim and Wicked D. Well played to those players. That was a really fun battle to watch. Very unorthodox builds. And that is going to be that. Do the Estalian Tomb for the next map. Yes, my lovely wife is here. Lady Turin arrives. So Wicked wins the first game in this best of 3 series. Let's keep it going. Oh, wait, was that the Hunts Marshal's Expedition? Oh, no, did I get that wrong the whole time? Who cares? It's the Golden Order, all right? Balthazar Gelt. All right, so we're on the Estalian Tomb. That's really funny. That's really funny. I just noticed. Yeah, that's Marcus Wolfhard's faction. I just saw gold and I was like, gold. Then I got excited, but it is what it is. Yes, my friends. Yes. The Volkswagen. That was a great matchup. Yeah, seems like we're all good. It seems like the lag was just in the early afternoon, but it's kind of past here. You got Tyler Perry in chat. Making some movies. It's the Golden Order of Hunts Marshals. Oh man. No turn. It's the Golden Order now. They are golden. It's confusing. Oh my god. Guys, and now we have the Crooked Moon with Dov facing off against Wicked's Greenskins. They've clearly prepared these matchups for you guys. So, yeah. Then after this, we'll have Shetland facing off against Zardar to close out the stream. Do some stretching in the back here real quick. My old bones ache. I'm craving a burrito right now. Oh, man. Shoulder stretches. Perfect. Everything looks good. Look, Sotek. The Lord Master of Sotek says, how could you? It's the Golden Crooked Moon. It's the Golden Crooked Hunts Marshal's Expedition. Oh my god. All right, guys. So I think we're going to get a true battle here. So Dov going with a full goblin army. We have a Goblin Great Shaman riding on his Haggard Little Wolf, which is like one of the cheapest, most ridiculous lords in the game. He can use the Curse of the Bad Moon. He also does have the Vindictive Glare as well. So I don't know if I'm going to go over the armies too much. it's mass goblins, archers, chariots, squigs. Yeah, there's no infantry, actually. This goblin army is like a squig hopper army, mostly. And for Wicked, he's got an orc army. So it's going to be the orcs versus the goblins. The Crooked Moon has risen up against their orc oppressors. It's going to be Orc Biggins into the Sunset, which is going to be really nasty against Dov's army. And in the back for Wicked, he's got Savage Orc Arrow Boys, a couple Spider Riders himself. So Wicked actually isn't pure orcs. He does have goblins himself, but Dov has come in with a pure goblin force. On top of that, we got Wurzag. We got a Night Goblin Shaman. But yeah, it's a... Okay, there are infantry for Dov. That's good. He's got a bunch of gold chevron Night Goblins in the back, vanguarded. And the Goblin Great Shaman does also have Vanguard. Oh my god, this is going to be absurd. So you guys wanted mirror matches, here you go. You can thank Dov and Wicked. You can thank Dov by subscribing to his YouTube channel if you haven't. And yeah, this is it. This is the battle. Very excited to see how this goes. We had the Golden Hunts Marshal's Expedition versus the Reichland in game 1, and now we have the Crooked Moon facing off against the traditional Greenskins. This is going to be wild. Is Wicked ready for the onslaught? Probably. I mean, whenever you're playing pure goblins or suspecting there's goblins, and then if you look at the size of the army and see, like, you know, that's a pretty big force, you're probably going to expect some sort of Vanguard shenanigans. Granted, Greenskin infantry will be pretty strong here. Orc Biggins should be able to chop through a lot of goblins. Dov literally has nothing in front of his opponent here. Does Skarsnik have Vanguard deployment now? He didn't used to, but I think he should. He's like the ultimate schemer. If anyone should have Vanguard, it should be him. Skarsnik wouldn't be bad here. He can get in there with his Prada, do some damage. The Night Goblins are here. The ambush is sprung. So all that Wicked sees right now are the Night Goblin Squig Hoppers, and you can see Wicked immediately suspects a massive force behind him. He can actually see the Forest Goblin Spider Rider. So Wicked is trying to reposition his army as quickly as he can, but the Squigs are not going to wait for him to reposition. So the Squig Hoppers charging in, going after the Goblins here. These Goblins are going to be feasted on for sure. The Squigs will eat well tonight. Now there are some Biggins nearby, but yeah, for the most part, the Greenskins are just rushing to get in position. The Wah is active, and a nice Brain Buster coming in from Wicked. That was a really good one. It hit all the Squig Hoppers. Definitely made those Goblins' deaths a little bit more impactful. Or meaningful, I suppose. Savage Orc Biggins are going to be charging in, taking charges from Spider Riders, but this will actually be good for the Biggins. They'll be able to chop down these Spider Riders, no problem. The double Wah activated, so both armies yelling their respective Wahs. But this is a big Greenskin Wah over here for sure, or a Goblin Wah. able to collapse that flank. I think they're just going to methodically move down. Dav is just going to click, 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 just keep moving down and trying to delete units that are isolated. But for the rest of the battle, the Wolf Riders and all these other goblins are certainly getting crumped by the orcs, it would seem. Here in the center, at least, the Biggins are putting a huge dent in these units. Oh, Curse of the Bad Moon being dropped by the Goblin Great Shaman. It's going to be going down here, right on top of the archers. A little bit lackluster, unfortunately. Didn't do too much, but, you know, it sends a message at the very least, and it's a very cool-looking spell. So it forces those guys back. Over here, a bit of an even matchup. Orc Biggins and Goblins fighting against Gold Chevron Knight Goblins and the RORs, who might actually win that engagement. Dav over here with a huge force. Got a big old Propa Scrap as Warzog drops a Brain Buster right on top of the Forest Goblin Spider Riders. We also do have Biggins coming in as well. When the Biggins get there, that's when the Goblins will probably want to retreat because it gets a little bit ugly for them. Biggins are really nasty against squigs and anything that's, you know, not infantry size, and also against infantry. Their weapon strength is exceptional. So the Greenskins pulling ahead here in this fight, but on the far side, though, it seems like the Goblins are doing pretty well, able to break these Goblins, and also the ROR Goblins and the Gold Chevrons here with 34-31 on their stats should be able to break the Biggins here and maybe even get that Night Goblin Shaman as the fighting does go on. In the meantime, Dav coming in with the Goblin Wolf Chariot's going to be riding through the Savage Orc Airboys, so the Goblins are not going down quietly. They're going to be riding down these Savage Orc Airboys, causing problems, but Warzog is still very healthy, which is a big problem. But the Greenskins or the Goblins still have a pretty big mobile core here. Got the Squig Hoppers, but there's so many Biggins. Biggins are just such a problem here. They're so good against so many of the different units the Goblins have. Yeah, it's rough. Warzog charges in. Savage Orc Biggins charge in as well. The Goblin Mob pulling the bounce power back a little bit. It certainly is in the favor of the Orcs right now. But it's anyone's game. Nice effigy of the Git right there, locking down the Durkit Squigs. Will the Orcs beat the Goblins back into submission? We'll find out. The Durkit Squig Hoppers do charge in and are going to be taking a ton of arrow fire as they do that. Warzog, in the meantime, able to help win this engagement. Bonewood Staff really, really nasty here. Able to make sure that the Greenskins are pretty strong across the board. And these Orc Biggins are finally getting taken out by the Goblins and may be able to kind of descend upon the Archer line. Yeah, the Greenskin army's quite beat up as well. Looks like another Curse of the Bad Moon is going to get dropped by the Shaman here, which he's hoping will go this way. Although it looks like Curse of the Bad Moon kind of stays in one spot. No, it's moving a little bit. But really, the curses haven't been terribly effective this game. Not by Dav's own fault, but it just doesn't seem like a terribly efficient spell. Forest Goblin Spider Riders are winning. Of course, they do have the superior chevrons here for the Crooked Moon. And it looks like the Goblins are kind of re-securing the forest, which does give them some good kiting potential. Granted, there are Orc Airboys, which are a bit of a problem, but the Goblins are also cleaning up the Orc Airboys where they can. You can see these Orc Airboys are crumped here. And it looks like a Brain Bust is going to be going down, smashing into those Night Goblins, doing massive damage, and also breaking them, maybe. Shaken, Wavering, 8 leadership. Are they going to hold? They're going to try and buy some time. Dav definitely wants to get the Chief Robbers in, start robbing some of these Orc Airboy Chief if he can, because if he could shut down the Orc Archers, that means that Dav's mobile kind of skirmishing core here and his army in general is going to have much more tactical flexibility. So the Chariot's screaming into these guys once again. Savage Orcs are actually breaking here, which is pretty good for the Goblins. Here you can see the Crown of Command has been used on these Night Goblins to make them unbreakable. Looks like they might have been about to break or something, and Dav was trying to stabilize that situation. In the meantime, on the forest on the far side, the Greenskins are actually pulling ahead in this fight. I think it's obviously largely due to the fact that the Savage Orc Biggins are here with 88 melee attack, just karate chopping and just jujitsu tapping. I was trying to think of a good analogy. Steven Seagal neck breaking. Pretty much all these forces here. Now, Dav does have some skirmishers left on the high ground, but the Orc Airboys should be able to fend them off. And yeah, there's a Goblin Wolf Chariot. There's a couple of Gits kind of around the battlefield. Oh man, Warzog takes a lot of damage on that Overcast. Maybe if the Chief Robbers and the Goblin Shaman can try and goon Warzog, you know, that could be a way back in the game here. If Dav is privy to that, we'll see. But the Goblin Wolf Chariot going to be going back in once again. Bounce of Power still Greenskin favored, but it's not the point of no return. The Wolf Chariot is able to break those Biggins here, and it looks like the little Goblin, oh no, he's afflicted by the FG of the Git. But he's going to be blasting Warzog in the face. The duel of jewels. The pig versus the wolf. Who will win? So here comes the pig. The hog charging in. Warzog is actually not terrible in combat. He does have a 51 melee attack and 86 charge bonus, so the little goblin gets crumped, and Warzog is able to subjugate the goblins. And that is going to be a victory for Wicked in this series. Well played to those two players. That was a very fun series to watch. The memes were quite present here. And yeah, most of the other matches were competitive. Some light memeing, of course, but it's good to see a little bit of memeage here and there. And you guys got it in this series from Dob Plays and Wicked D. Special thanks to them for these very, very fun games, these Civil Wars. Warzog chasing, but there's just a couple Night Goblins left. They're going to make their last stand here, but the Orc Airboys probably should finish them off and polish them. Here we have some Orc Biggins coming down the hill here. Some Fanatics are thrown, and they do cleave into the Savage Orc Airboys, which is pretty funny. Yeah, that impactful charge is going to be quite punishing, as a lot of those little goblins are sent flying into another dimension. And it looks like the Durkid Squig Hoppers may have been forgotten about. I'm not sure. They're in like perfect health here. Only 2 kills too, and they're fresh. Yeah, I think he might have forgotten about them and just got them here in the fourth quarter. Yeah, man, what a game. The Crooked Moon subjugated. But you know what? Not truly, because Skarsnik is still out there, and while he's out there scheming, you know, you never know. Anything can happen. So there you have it, my friends. I'm surprised he hasn't left yet. Perhaps giving that final little goblin the send-off he deserves. 14 HP. And it should be 0 in just a second as he's completely enveloped by these troops as soon as he stands up. And there you go. Well played. That was a fun series. 2-0 for Wicked. And that glorious meme war. The mirror match. The mirror of mirror matches. Are you guys listening to War Pigs by Black Sabbath? Quite fitting. All right, so now we have Shetland and Zardar. Hopefully, it must be really late for Zardar. Goodness gracious, in Greece. That was a battle, all right. That was really fun, I must say. We have another donation coming in from Garland, 20 SEK for the WA. Garland, thank you, man, for multiple donations on the stream. The Goblin Revolt, temporarily crushed, but we'll see for how long it is truly put down here. So Zardar is here and ready, man. What a trooper. We'll do the Cliff of Beasts. You should have seen what we had planned for Game 3. You wouldn't believe. Oh my god, were you guys going to make me watch a Gorst on Gorst battle? Or a Vampire Count Mirror? That would have just been torturous. Those were the mutinous gits, yes. Shell and Apache's on the way. And guys, this is the last one for the day, so we'll be around 3 hours, which is usual for my streams these days. Those were the mutinous gits. So Shetland is here. And it looks like Zardar left the lobby. He'll be back in a second, I'm sure. Probably just doing a restart. So now I know Shetland is on this side, so I can update the plate. Do Shetland. Perfect. Gold score is going to be 0. And we have Shetland, and it's going to be Zardar. If you guys haven't seen Zardar's channel, please do check him out. He's always been a friend of our channel, and a great content creator himself. From Greece. Hey, so Shetland, double bands here. Standard and banner for today. First salute Turin with the words, "We who are about to die salute you." Gladiator reference. What a trooper. Good luck, have fun. Good luck, have fun indeed. So Shetland will start with the... then Zardar says, "We who are about to die salute you." Yes. It is. Unless it's a map that I can't quite remember. Actually, you know what? We'll do Central Waste. Actually. Because I don't remember if that map is like a big stupid hill. That like one army starts on the top and the other one's like in the pits below. Perfect. So we're all set. Players are doing it. Wicked. Well played, man. That was fun. And Mr. Pig, thank you for the $4.99. That disturbing donation emoji. God, those things are so disturbing. It's like, what does YouTube think? It's like, you know, on Twitch you have all this like cool emoji structure and things like that. But in here, this is what they think is like what people want. Man, the key to the Vampire Count's mirror is Helman Gorst and Winds of Death. Probably. Aristodamos, didn't you win a tournament like yesterday or a couple days ago with a mirror using Helman Gorst, like a Vampire Count mirror? I would have loved to have seen that. If you have the replay, send it to me. So Shetland Apache is going to take Bretonnia, ban Norskin Lizards. All right, perfect. And Zardar is here with his pick here, so he can't go Lizards. Those are probably some of the... Norska is doable for Bretonnia. Lizardman is terrible, though. Tomb Kings is also winnable for Bretonnia, especially with Gotrek now. It's very winnable. So we'll see what Shetland's got in store for us. It is time. He is ready. Oh, wow. Shetland was ready very quickly there. He must have some sweet builds ready for us. Yeah, send that to me, Aristodamos. Like, everybody loves the pears. Did you always want an emoji of a pear lifting? I just like, it could be so much better. But I guess they're trying to be like super neutral with it. I don't know. It's just so haggard. I don't know what to say, guys. All right, so the final best of 3 of the day. We have Shetland Apache versus Zardar Chota War. Thank you all for joining and enduring the lag earlier and staying the course. For those of you guys in Europe, I know it's getting pretty late, but you know, I used to watch streams at 2 or 3 a.m. all the time, so I get it. Wicked, so what was your plan for Game 3? Because you and Joff had pre-planned some very ridiculous matchups, but what was your plan? Game 3 would not have been an Undead Mirror. Okay. But let me know what it is. Let chat know. We're all curious. We're all curious indeed. Both players are ready. Zardar Chota War facing off against Shetland Apache. Let's see how this goes. Should be fun. Of course, Shetland Apache, a host of many excellent tournaments in the history of Total War Warhammer. Runs a very good Discord for multiplayer as well. So if he'd like to, he's more than welcome to drop a link to that good stuff. It's another great place to find games if perhaps my tournament is a little bit slow or something. All right, guys. It is time for the Bretonians. We have the Companions and 2 groups of Knights Errant, Peasant Mobs, Peasants, Spearmen at Arms for the most part. And what is his Lord choice? I would imagine there's going to be some Gotrek action here, as he is very, very good against the big armor. So we have the Fey Enchantress, which is really good for grinding down like Tomb Guard and Elite Tomb King's Infantry in the late game. And it looks like double Grail Guardian. Now, my only concern with this build is that the only thing here that seems very, very good against constructs are the Companions, which need to have a full surround to really be terribly effective. But he's got 2 Grail Guardians. He's got 2 groups of Knights Errant, a ton of anti-infantry, and also mounted yeomen to harass like peasant archers and things like that. So yeah, we'll see. I'm really curious if this build can work. I feel like it lacks a lot of anti-construct, and I don't see Gotrek anywhere. I just see the Fey Enchantress. Now for the forces of the Tomb Kings, let's take a look here. What do we got? What do you got for us? We got Skeleton Warriors, 2 Shopti Grapos, very standard competitive build here. Necrotect, the Sphinx for anti-large, anti-cav, set to the Imperishable, Shopti Grapos in a defensive posture. This is a pretty classic Tomb Kings against Bretonia, in my experience. He does also have 1 Skeleton Chariot, just as kind of a one-off to try and deal with like archers and things like that and be more aggressive. But for the most part, it's a very standard competitive Tomb Kings build. I'm really curious how Shetland's build will do here. I feel like the Grail Guardians are going to have a really hard time. I mean, they'll be good against the infantry and durable, but what are they going to do against Grapos and constructs? We'll find out. Now, the build I usually use here in this matchup, with Bretonia, I really like to use Fey Enchantress, a Paladin on horseback, and then either Gotrek or the Green Knight. More so Gotrek. It gives you a really good anti-monster kit, because a Paladin plus Gotrek gives you enough to deal with most constructs, like in a really grindy fight. Gotrek is just so good against constructs in the late game. So basically, you kill all the chaff, and then you have Gotrek and your Paladin and the Fey Enchantress deal with some of the constructs in the late game. You can also use Trebuchets. Trebuchets actually do some okay damage against the Shopti Grapos. It's not like super effective, but it's something. So the players are ready. Good luck, have fun. These 2 guys, probably pals who played together before. What schemes does Shetland Apache have? I remember in the early days of my channel doing some pretty ridiculous thumbnails with Shetland Apache when he used to play in like best of 3s on my channel and stuff. We had like a horse like attached to the rotors of a Shetland Apache helicopter. Those were some times. So here the Shopti Grapos shall sally forth. The peasants of Bretonia will also do the same. No peasant archers either today. Peasant archers can, with volume of fire, do okay against these constructs. Shetland probably going to be taking a very circuitous route around the far side of the battlefield. Coming up and around here, trying to pressure perhaps into the weaker points here. Now, if Shetland can actually goon out the Shopti Grapos through just pure attrition, he might be able to wear down the big constructs like with the Companions. Yeah, so that's really going to be the big thing for Shetland. I think he needs to keep the Companions alive, just like literally hide them until the late game. And then use them once you clean up the other troops with your Grail Knights and things like that. Is it Grail Knights or Grail Guardians? I think it's Guardians. We'll double check here. Yeah, it's going to be Grail Guardians. He's got 2 of those bad boys. Yeah, 1 and 2. So the Grail Guardian certainly could do some heavy lifting here. Now the Skeleton Chariot for Extreme Emer is going to be surging out from the Tomb King's lines and is going to be going to get some freebies. There aren't any Knights nearby. Those are mounted yeomen, I think. No, Knights Errant, Knights Errant. They could stop the Chariot. If they want to come in there and shut down the Skeleton Chariot, they can. However, Extreme Emer, Zardar, is going to be having the Shopti Grapos in position to potentially deal with those guys. So the Chariots are going to run over some peasants here, but peasants are quite expendable. Look at the weapons they're equipped with. They're literally given like shovels to fight with. Skeleton Chariots, the spokes of Nehakara shall potentially ride through them. No, man, that's like a plot armor. It's like a plot armor moment from a movie. The peasant bowmen are spared the wrath of those chariots. It looks like they wanted to avoid the charge from the Knights Errant, which is definitely not a bad idea. So here comes the Skeleton Chariots charging in once again against the peasant mob. Shetland Apache taking a very wide route. Both players like basically just trading positions, which is pretty funny. But Shetland being very conservative with his cav, knowing the Ushapti Grepo are lurking, and he keeps them like behind the lip. So the very expensive cav are being kept safe. Holy Wardens for Bretonnia, also a very good choice. Holy Wardens are exceptional at cutting through skeletons and Tomb Guard and things like that. They have very, very good combat stats. 49 fire and magic damage, and 49 weapon strength is actually really, really good. So now the Bretonians prepare their advance. The Enchantress emerges from the hill of the Chaos Wastes. Not really sure how these two armies ended up fighting here, but we don't ask questions. We just roll with it. And the peasants are probably going to try and get a full surround, just like a big old ugly wrap here, and just try and drain these guys down. Enchantress could do some good draining as well. What quality infantry do we have for Tomb Kings? Skeleton warriors, spears. Yeah, not too much troop quality. I don't think there's a single Tomb Guard, so the Enchantress should drain down pretty well. So here comes the chariots for Zardar, ever a threat here, you know, constantly threatening all these angles. The spearmen at arms are, oh no, they're facing the wrong direction. They are braced, but they're facing the wrong direction, so the spears are going to get run down pretty bad. A little bit of the spearmen having some problems there. They're now wavering. That is a pretty painful charge for sure. Granted, spearmen at arms only cost like 250 gold, so the amount of damage that was just done there is probably like the equivalent of like maybe like 75 gold or something like that. It's really not too bad. Good focus fire from Zardar going after the Holy Wardens. Holy Wardens here are taking some heavy focus fire for sure. As far as models lost, they've lost 8 models, which is significant. They're still confident. Those guys have great leadership. And we have a charge coming in from some Yeomen. So Yeomen charging into the spears, which actually weren't braced. So he is able to get some damage. I mean, Yeomen have a pretty pitiful charge impacts. I mean, their bonus is still 30, which is better than infantry, but they don't hit terribly hard. So the Yeomen probably just going to be used throughout the game to try and do damage and break the leadership with rear charges and things like that. Here we do have the Skeleton Chariots charging in. The Holy Warden's pretty much dismantled, which is a really, really good start. But now the Enchantress is coming in. This is the time for the Alpha Strike. This entire game, Shell and Apache has kind of been setting up for this. Companions charging into the front, going to be able to hammer down these Skeleton Warriors pretty effectively. And on top of that, the Grail Guardians are charging in as well. And they do have the draining from the Mortis engine. So the Grail Guardians are here. We do, of course, have the big scary Sphinx, who's going to be able to cleave many of these horsemen. But they're very durable. Grail Guardians have incredible melee defense of 56. So maybe Shetland's just going to kind of play this how like Nurgle plays in tabletop. Just pure attrition. Just try and grind down this army. Now, in the meantime here, some of the Skeleton Spears do get the Cursed Blades to give them armor piercing and weapon damage, but the Enchantress is doing some draining. The big old Sphinx, unfortunately, though, is beelining for the Enchantress, so she needs to be careful, make sure she isn't compromised. And the Bretonians with a big old swarm here are breaking down the front line. The Companions certainly doing some work, and also the Companions getting some chipping damage here on Cetra. Unfortunately, though, the King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion in the back was braced for the charge here of the Knights Errant, so I don't know if Bretonia is going to be able to work through there. Maybe. The Enchantress somehow hasn't taken any damage. She's pretty healthy. And the Skeleton Warriors in the front line are rapidly crumbling, but the Tomb Kings are also doing a lot of damage to some of the cav units. Some of these Grail Guardians have lost about 9 models on this unit. Knights Errant here losing 9 models as well, and these Knights Errant have lost about 11 models. So it's getting a little bit crazy here in the front. Ushapti Grepo is still spray firing, but you know, if they are in combat, they are a harder target, like if they're obstructed by the infantry and things like that. And it looks like now Shetland Apache is going to be going for a big overload here, trying to just bunker bust this side of the formation. Essentially, the Imperishables on the hunt, able to get some damage on the Knights Errant, and the Bretonians, aside from that, are kind of washing. No, they're not washing. These peasants certainly don't wash, but they're washing among the shields of these Tomb Kings units. The Skeleton Spear is holding pretty well against like the lower tier stuff, like the Men-at-Arms and whatnot. So here, some of the Companions have fallen back. He definitely needs to get these guys out of the Ushapti Grepo line of fire. These Ushapti Grepo really giving him the business. But if Shetland could grab these guys and pull them down and then through the center, you can see there's a hole now in the Tomb King's force. The Skeleton Warriors here have kind of broken off. These other ones are kind of crumbling down, so the Companions could come in and really start to put some serious damage here on the Ushapti Grepos. Now, back in this fight, the Bretonians charging in once again. Balance of fire is pretty even at this point. No one's really in a clear state of advantage, but the Companions do get a nice charge here on the isolated Necrosphinx, which is, you know, taking a little bit of damage, but it's progressive. The damage isn't insane or anything like that. And some of the Spearmen at Arms might be able to get through on top of the Ushapti Grepos. Those Grepos really need to be shut down. They're doing a lot of really brutal damage. Cetra the Imperishable fighting Grail Guardians. Talk about a wet noodle contest. Well, I guess Cetra hits hard. The Grail Guardians are not going to have great damage output. Their weapon strength when they're poisoned is 28, which is like the same as like some of these peasant infantry. Definitely not fun for them. More of like a grindy attrition unit for sure. Enchantress still grinding down these forces. The Tomb Kings are taking that Mortis Engine effect all over the board. Bretonians charging in once again with the Knights Errant here, able to hammer into those Skeleton Spearmen. And the Enchantress has now gotten herself onto the Grepos, which is good. And some of the Knights are able to get in as well. So the Bretonians just kind of cycling in their troops where they can. Sorry about that. Did not mean to turn off the user interface there. Holy Warden's still going too. They got 31 models. This guy is not messing about. Yeah, the Bretonians very much feel like a greenskin faction right now. Just kind of a perpetually breaking and coming back in. The Enchantress still able to shut down the Grepos, and her drain is doing good damage. I don't know if it's reaching the skeleton spearmen here, though. Yeah, it looks like it is now. They're being affected by it. You can see that kind of little kind of ebbing effect from the top of the units. And the back Knights Errant charge in once again, and I don't know, is the attrition here from Shetland Apache going to be able to win this? You can see both Cetra and the big old Sphinx are getting a little bit worn down, and there's just so many Bretonnians everywhere. This is like the Bretonnian tide. So here the Necrotech too is being beaten down by the Grail Guardians and the Holy Wardens, of course, which do fire damage. Quite nice. Although I don't know if he's weak to fire. Let's check. He is. So the Holy Warden's doing extra damage there. And finally, the Ushabti Grapos are compromised, and the Fey Enchantress is still healthy, draining down all the Skeleton Spears, which are finally starting to get worn down. And guys, is this going to be a wild Bretonnian victory? I was really not expecting this build to work like this, but again, I've never seen it before. So Shetland, of course, is a Bretonnian main, a Dwarf main, so, you know, he's got some schemes for sure. So here the Grail Guardians, still somewhat healthy, 24 models. The curse goes down. That's a really big curse, because Cetra does get below half health, and the curse pretty much hits the entire battlefield. It's everything. So we do have some Knights Errant coming in once again, who are going to be going into these spears, which of course aren't braced because they're in combat. Lance is couched. Here it comes. Spears taking another brutal charge. Well, not terribly brutal, but it's still impactful. Critical binding on those guys, and the terror routes are going down. Bounce of Power is dead even. That curse was super devastating. Pretty much forced back all the Bretonnian infantry, which of course is very strong here. But I would imagine the Spearmen at Arms and these other troops will come back in. Grail Guardians are very tough to break. These guys have perfect vigor, so they fight to the bitter end, and on top of that, they have an insane melee defense of 56. Ushabti Grapos can't shoot anymore. I mean, even if the Grapos want to run away from the army, they'll get rode down by any of the knights, so basically it behooves them to just stay in the battle. Fey Enchantress Aura draining down the King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion and the supporting spears. And Cetra's danger low, guys. Now, do we still have the companions fighting here? We do. We have the companions. We have 14, 13 of them. Fey Enchantress draining and the Peasant Tide coming back. The Bretonnian Tide. Are they going to be able to wear down this Tomb King's force? It kind of looks like it, which is just ludicrous. I would never have expected that to work with the kind of lack of traditional anti-constructs, but I guess just attrition with Grail Guardians can do some work. So Favor of the Fae being activated, and the Ushabti Grapos are finally being crumbled down. Other Grapo unit pretty much 100% offline, and the Peasant Tide comes in once again. The Fey Enchantress, of course, a very nice anchor piece, lowering the melee attack of nearby units. So she's pretty good in these blob fights, and Cetra's getting very low. The remaining of the companions look to be charging into Cetra. The Mortis Engine actually is like draining down these single entities too, which is pretty funny. And the Ushabti Summon is used here. That's pretty big. The Ushabti Summon might be able to help break off some of these Bretonnians and give Cetra some breathing room here, but he's at 752. Curse Blades is active, but Cetra is going down really quick. The companions, all 13 of them, charging in, putting huge HP damage on Cetra. Negative 38. Look at this, he's going down, 198. The Fey Enchantress still alive and cackling. The Holy Warden's still fighting. Tons of spears. Knights Errant and Cetra the Imperishable falls. And now it's basically only a matter of time until the Ushabti crumble down, due to the degeneration of being a summoned unit, and I do not know how this works, but it did. That's incredible. I guess maybe Grail Guardians against armor? I don't know, yeah, just attrition, just throw hordes of Bretonnian bodies. It worked. Shetland really putting on a showcase here, that was great. Extreme Memer says he lost because he didn't meme. Yeah, he took a super competitive build, and I guess maybe his memes work out better for him. And the Bretonnians claim victory over the Tomb King Shetland Apache with a Grail Guardian build. Able to claim victory in that duel. Man, that was some wild business there, guys. So there you have it. Shetland Apache going up 1-0 in this best of 3. If Shetland wins this, the series is over. And that is going to be all she wrote. And then we have a donation coming in from Mr. Pig. Thank you for the $4.99. Let me see your message, if I can. Keep it up. And then also from Andrew Howie. Just got a free week off for the virus. Time to watch YouTube and paint minis. That's life, dude. That is life. Can you guys believe that? That was crazy. The Grail Guardians. So next we're going to do the... what map have we not done? Done some open ones. Let's kind of mix it up a little bit. Oh, I want to do Glacial Lake. That's one of my favorite maps. Hold on, switching the maps here real quick while the players do their thing. Essence of Chaos. That's just cruel. Make them fight. Let them fight. Toothgrass Hill is a weird one. We'll do Tower of Hoth. I love this map. It's really good for views. I've always thought that was a good matchup for the Tomb Kings, but I guess not. Cetra simply cannot tolerate the sight of such destitute filth. Yeah. Man, that was a scrap. That was a scrap, my friends. Thanks for sticking around on the stream, my friends. We're going strong. Optimus Spines. Hey, this is crazy. I just watched you, so cast me maybe. We certainly did cast that game. Thank you guys all for hanging around into the wee hours of the night, in the morning, in the afternoon, wherever you are. Potentially the last game here of the stream. Extreme Ember says, I picked Norska and ban. We got Norska for Zardar. And then we have Empire and Wood Elves are being banned. So he bans Empire and Wood Elves. He picks Norska. I always thought Norska was decent against Wood Elves. And then let's see what Shetland picks. Shetland will probably go with Dwarves here. Shetland loves his Dowie. So we'll see what schemes he's got while we hang out and chat. Mr. Pig, thank you for the 1999 with the haggard goal emoji. Oh my God. That is so ridiculous. God. Who thought these emojis were like... I mean, they're so bad that it's funny, you know? And you know what else I like, Mr. Pig, is that you have Pumbaa as your avatar on YouTube, because that's what we call Wookiee Pumbaa. That's his like other pet name. And we call other dogs Simone and Pumbaa, yeah? Or Timon. So, Jason, thank you so much, man. The Dowie! So we got Dwarves versus Norska. Shetland really bringing out the underrepresented factions here. We've had some really good dwarf games today. Actually, we had a really good one with Grombrindle, and now we have one here as well. So we'll see if the dwarves can once again smite the forces of chaos. Yes, they're here. Shetland's mains are Bretonnia and dwarves, so you guys are getting it. Alrighty. So the Extreme Aimer, what will he bring? Probably Wolfric on a Mammoth, maybe a Shadowcaster, some Chariots, so maybe a Famir Rush. Famir are okay. I like bringing the Miststalkers just for some armor sundering and the fact that they have pretty good missile resist and also have stock, so they don't take a ton of damage on the approach. But other Famir I don't often like bringing, generally because they are pretty big targets for the dwarves. Although Shetland certainly has very unorthodox playstyles. Maybe he'll come in with some Gyrocopters, but Norska can bring, some anti-air and also does have Manticores that they can bring, Feral Manticores. So the Feral Manticores can do some work. I'm going to sit back here for a second. Torsten, thank you for the donation once again. Belated props for the mirror matches. You can thank Wicked and Job Plays for that. You can do it. You can do it, man. Trying to keep these streams going to keep you guys, sane during the apocalypse here. What do the Norskin scream when going into a fight? I'm pretty sure they just go Norska. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really listened that closely. Lachlan McAllister with a great comment here. He says, I feel like the emojis, the only emotes that are here on YouTube would be the only ones left after a group of concerned mother went through all the Twitch emotes. And then they just leave you with these like dumpling people, these pear people. Oh, it's Pumbaa because he has a line, they call me Mr. Pig. Oh, that makes sense. It finally all was illuminated to me, the meaning behind your name. And Jake Wu says he was about to call it a day, but damn, I see that blue on the screen. I know, Jake. Your people call to you. The Dowie. Looking to smash the heretics. We'll see what Zardar brings, though. You know what's interesting about Norska, though? Is Norska, like... I'm sitting back for a second, guys, while I stretch. Norska doesn't have, like, too many meme options. I don't know. Like, Throg is can be considered a meme sometimes, but Throg is still good sometimes, too. Yeah, like, I don't know. Norskin memes might be, like, Sirtha Ek builds. Like, if you go with, like, a mass chariot build. Yeah, Zardar might do that. Like, as many chariots as possible in the tournament rules. Like, he could bring, like, Ice Bull chariots and then regular chariots. That's a lot of micro, though. Brings me back to the days in which we had me playing head-to-head with Italian Spartacus, where I got to use Sirtha Ek's army to destroy his faction. That was probably one of my favorite moments in all of my Warhammer 2 play, or Warhammer YouTubing. Yeah, no, fair play, Jason. Strangely, every single emote designer at YouTube turned out to be Karen. Skinwolves definitely, are durable of sorts with their regeneration, but I wouldn't bring Skinwolves against dwarves. The anti-large is pretty much wasted, and they're lightly armored too, so Slayers cut them to pieces. Typically, you see like mammoths if you're going to be seeing big monsters, and then like some AP great weapon infantry, some chariots, occasionally some javelins to deal with gyrocopters. There's a couple ways to play this. So yeah, the players doing their thing. Skinwolves, the premier condom brand of the old world. Yeah, pretty funny stuff. It's become a good meme. We got to come up with like a list of the... I thought about doing like a meme video. Just like taking all the memes we've had on the channel over the past like 3 years and just like slapping it into a video somehow. Just to fill newer people in on some of the older memes. That still check out, of course. The Dawi cometh. They do, my friends. I know people are getting tired. It's getting late. We're at the tail end. I'm getting hungry myself. And here we go. The dwarves. Shell and Apache facing off against the extreme memer. Who will win? Will Zardar claw his way back from the pits of despair? Or will Shell and Apache and his proud Dawi close out the day? We will see. Charapoeth is here. Good map. It's a solid one. Plenty of trees for both factions to work with and open field if you'd like. I feel like it's one of the more well-balanced maps in the game in terms of deployment and although I've always hesitated to put forest maps because of forest camping, but it is what it is. So for the army of the Dawi, let's take a look here. Shell and Apache does have 2 of the great weapons. Actually, we'll let him set up a little bit more before we take a look. It'll just be a little bit easier. So in the meantime, just enjoy the scenery. We can see here that Zardar has brought a fair amount of chariots and also some throwing axes. For his lord, we got Wulfric, we got a shaman. Yeah, it doesn't seem like a meme build. Seems pretty good. For sure. He's got a bunch of single entity chariots, got a ton of infantry, some AP throwing axes. Things are about to get pretty crazy. A bolt thrower. I got really excited for a second. I thought we were going to see a wild flame cannon. Flame cannon could be okay here, actually. It's really expensive, though. So for Shetland, what do we have in the front? We have Longbeards, which, again, trade really well with all Norscan infantry for the most part, except great weapons, the champs. 2 bolt throwers to deal with chariots. He does also have some rangers with great weapons, which you don't see them terribly often, but they're a pretty cool unit. 2 groups of Iron Drakes with the flamethrowers, 2 groups of Thunders as well. So a ton of missile play here from Shetland. He does also have Dragonback Slayers. Oh, and there is a flame cannon. Oh, yeah. Oh, baby, a triple. So he's got a flame cannon. Look at this. And he's like leaving the middle open. Oh, I think what Shetland's going to do is put his flamethrowers here. And when everything comes through the middle, he shoots it with the flamethrowers. This is really cool. This is like some military history shit right here. Althar's Raiders. In the back, we got a couple miners. And it looks like it's going to be a Rune Lord for the slows. Dragonback Slayers and Thunders in the back. So a very cool build. Now for the forces of Zardar, the extreme memer. In the front, he's got Marauders. Secondary is going to be Hunters, who do, of course, have Shield Breaker and good AP value, so they can wear down Longbeards. He's got Marauders with great weapons. He's got Wulfric, a Shaman Sorcerer, and it looks like a Shaman Sorcerer of Metal and Metal. Wait, no, Metal and Fire. So he's got Fireball, and he's got Plague of Rust. Okay. On top of that, he's got some Berserkers for sustained combat and some bump and grind there. And last but not least, he does have Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes. That's it, guys. Marauder Horsemen, pretty much a countermeasure against gyrocopters. But this Dwarven build is like some next level big brain Dawi play. I don't know. I wonder if this will work. I doubted the Bretonnian build, so I'm not going to doubt this one. But I'm really excited to see if the Iron Drake Flamethrowers can win this. Clearly, he's practiced this. He was very adroit and with getting this set up here. So the players are ready. Norsca could potentially collapse on the flanks and do some damage. The bolt throwers. It's interesting how the bolt throwers are kind of placed in an offensive position. They're like upward. But they're still protected, for sure. I don't know. This is pretty wild. Now, how is Zardar going to approach this? He's most certainly not going to send his guys right up the middle of that box, I would imagine. I think he's going to be a little bit more careful than that. The bolt throwers are shooting at Wulfric, it looks like. Some of them do pelt him. Granted, he's on foot. He's not on a chariot, so he's not a great target for the bolt throwers. I think shooting the Shaman Sorcerers is probably the better bet here. Now, what is their armor on those chariots? 90, actually, so they're pretty well armored. Although I guess he really wants to goon Wulfric, and I mean, damage is damage, you know. He's still getting in there. On the flanks, he does, of course, have the Thunders, which can pepper into some of these approaching troops. And the Iron Drakes are now moving forward, realizing there's not too much of a frontal rush threat for them. So Shetland's actually going to leave 1 in the back. Oh, and the Flame Cannon shooting now as well. I almost forgot about that. So the Flame Cannon unfortunately misses. But we'll keep an eye on this bad boy, see how many kills it can get. Flame Cannon shooting once again into the to these Marauders. Really unlucky volleys there. But here comes the first volley of Dawi fire. Yeah, those Marauders are getting pounded pretty good. Oh my goodness. The Flamethrower is really doing massive damage in conjunction with the Flame Cannon. The Flame Cannon doesn't seem to be too accurate so far, but Rune of Wrath may be going to be used here. Rangers with the Great Weapon shoot again, and here comes a volley. Should be able to rip one off before they get in contact here. We'll see. Looks like the Marauders have made contact, but one group of Marauders is forced back by the Flamethrower play. In the meantime, the Flame Cannons have switched, and now they're shooting at the Berserkers, or either that or the Marauder Hunters, going after the Hunters, actually. A little bit of crossfire. Oh, downtown Flamethrower fire is going to be able to roast off those Marauders. Longbeards, of course, collapsed as well. And it seems like the Dwarven box is holding pretty well, actually. In the back, the Marauder Horsemen looking for a home, but really aren't able to get in too well. Shetland Apache with a very, very solid box play here. I mean, it's not even a box. It's like it's its own thing. Flame Cannons roasting the Marauder Hunters up to 55 kills. I mean, as long as Shetland does a good job protecting the Flame Cannon here and make sure it doesn't get kind of opened up on, he should be okay. Granted, it looks like the Thunderers here are going to be shooting into the Marauder Horsemen, which are going to be going all in for the Flame Cannon, which doesn't seem like he has the resources to protect all this. Granted, I think the Dragonback Slayers maybe should have stayed over there, but I think they're going over here to intercept the Chariots. Flamethrowers now shooting into the Marauders. And the Marauders are marked by Ulthar, which is going to make them a little bit squishier. Berserkers have engaged here in the front, taking some throwing axes to the face, but now it's becoming a little bit dicey for the Dwarves as a massive influx of Norskins just swarm in. Flame Cannon shut down, Thunderers are shut down. Dragonback Slayers are getting good damage, though. They're killing the Chariots relatively well. Longbeard's holding in the front line, and some of the Ulthar's Raiders are, functional. They've been able to force back the Great Weapon, so well played on both sides. One of the Flamethrowers is back online, the other one is indeed broken, and it seems like the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass are barely holding. The Marauder Berserker is able to really push through those guys with a little bit of support from the throwing axes and their shield breakers. It's a pretty close fight, to be honest. Both players taking massive casualties on both sides. It's really going to be a matter of who can stabilize here. Wulfric also took almost lethal damage. Oh no, Wulfric's in trouble. He's charging, but the Dwarves have lined up their guns here. Flame Cannon's back online. Wulfric, despite his giant silver shield, that is a lot of Dwarven Thunder, which is going to be coming his way. Thankfully, the pottery and the pots, and not pottery, but the decorative plants here are in the way a little bit, obstructing that. Flame Cannon shooting once again, going after the Marauder Berserkers. Flame Cannon up to 74 kills. Miners are trying to hold here. Well, the Norskins are certainly pressing wherever they can, but yeah, if that Flame Cannon can keep shooting, it's really going to reap huge dividends here. In the meantime, though, Longbeards are holding. Wulfric is running from the Dwarven firing line as the Thunderers chase him. Again, he's a little bit obstructed, but here it comes from Shetland, opening up a massive volley there into the back of Wulfric. But he kind of dodges it. Good juking there from Zardar Total War. Some of the Iron Drakes are still fighting as well. 56 kills. We have Dragonback Slayers and Longbeards holding in the center pocket. But unfortunately back here, losing the Flame Cannon is going to be pretty punishing. Oh, an overcast right there on the Shaman Sorcerer does actually hurt him pretty bad. It's really nice for the Dawi for sure. And yeah, these guys really aggressively chasing Wulfric. It looks like a Fireball may be coming their way, just to try and get some damage where they can. Fireball hits the tree, so didn't do too much. In the meantime, Thunderers do set up shop. It looks like they're partially obstructed, but some of the shots are going into Wulfric. Maybe a little bit greedy. I think maybe turning around the Thunderers and going after the Chariots and some of these other very beat-up elements could be better. Balance of power is going in the favor of Norska, though, with the back line being compromised and the Flame Cannon being temporarily shut down. That's pretty good. Some of the Trollhammers or Iron Drakes are still shooting, but it looks like they're on death's bed as well. 241 HP. Where are they going to go next? It looks like, yeah, they're shooting over here, trying to clean up this Marauder Hunter pocket here. Longbeards are still here, though. I feel like despite the fact that the Balance of Power is Norskin favored, I feel like it's pretty close. I feel like the Dwarves have a lot left. Although, yeah, I don't know. Those throwing axes are really doing a lot of damage, the Marauder Hunters. 32 kills in these ones. I would imagine the other ones in a similar ballpark. The Dwarves can be kited a little bit here. So the Dwarven Thunderer line is moving, being rowed down by the Chariots, unfortunately for them. Some of the Rangers are pushing forward, Longbeards are pushing forward, and the Dragonback Slayers are able to break down some of these Marauder Hunters on the far side. Now the Dwarven Guns are going to be opening up point blank into this Shaman Sorcerer here, which could be quite nice. Seems like they're a little bit obstructed by something, but no, they're shooting now. There they go. In the back, though, the Norskins able to fully secure that Flame Cannon position. Finally able to shut that bad boy down. The Marauder Hunters, I mean, the whole Norskin army is really, really beat up with the exception of the Shamans there. The Shamans seem to be the carries here in the late game. Well, there's a lot of Marauder Hunters left. We have 67 models right here. Over here, we do also have 52 models on this unit. And it looks like the Iron Drakes are finally finished off. Finally. The Shaman Sorcerer on his chariot riding to glory here. Longbeards engaged in combat, Dragonback Slayers as well, able to really polish these guys off. And it looks like Shaman Sorcerer's coming in now. He's got to be careful. He doesn't want to get ingrained in combat here with the Dragonback Slayers, who will be exceptional at killing him. He's got, -3 for a second, 6 leadership. Dragonback Slayers are on top of him, and he's trying to get away. He's currently slowed down to 49 speed as the power of the Dragonback breathes into this guy, and it looks like he's going to break, actually. Dragonback Slayers are all over this guy. In the back, Dwarven guns are shut down. Cycle charging from the Chariot should be able to finish him. We do have the Flame Cannon crew trying to come back, and the Moon Lord's basically just stuck in Mortal Kombat with a bunch of Marauders, which it's going to take forever. Neither of them are terribly efficient combatants. Back up here, Dragonback Slayers able to break off that Shaman Sorcerer, and now also pushing back against the Hunters. These Slayers definitely got some grudges to settle here, but the problem is that these Marauder Hunters could probably defeat them with the range and obviously just the sheer number of bodies. Longbeard's charging in against the Chariot. Both of them kind of staggered on the charge a little bit, and the Longbeards might be able to actually beat this down. Plague of Rust being used to make the Chariot a little bit more effective. And in the back, the Rune Lord is, he's doing his thing, but no help is to be seen. The Dwarven guns are broken off there, which is unfortunate. Dragonback Slayers fighting to the bitter end. This has been an absolute scrap of a game, and very, very cool strategy from Shetland. I really liked it, but it was a lot to protect, too. 2 Thunders, 2 Rangers, 2 Bolt Throwers, and 2 Iron Drakes. That is a lot to protect against a Norscan rush, and he did a good job considering, for sure. So the die we are holding here, Hunter of Champions used. Of course, making him very squishy to some of these attacks. Lowers his melee defense quite a bit. Well, looks like it wears off now. Shaman Sorcerer able to get a nice attack on his Chariot. Of course, that Chariot does have good AP value. Some of the Miners are coming in, but that is probably going to be army losses for the Dwarves in just a moment, as there's a ton of throwing axes left, all of which can really hurt these Dwarven troops. We have the Dragonback Slayers, which are still here, but it's only going to be a matter of time before those guys go down. Man, in Zardar Total War, the Extreme Meme are able to normalize this series. What a game. That was a really cool match. Very fun stuff. Good replay. I would have liked to have cast that one separately too, but most of you guys will see it here. And that is going to be that. So 1-1 here in our final best of 3 of the day. And now we go into the rubber match. And yes, it is actually a rubber match because the Skin Wolves, well, no, there was no Skin Wolves. Cool build by both players. Really, really cool. Thank you guys for fending off the bots, by the way. Those foul heretics have been causing problems. Oh my god. Whoa, what is going on? I see a fat, crazy donation. So guys, we just got a fat 500 donation from Michael A. So Michael and I were talking, and he wanted to buy some camera equipment for the YouTube channel to give me some lighting and things for battle reports, so I could film more battle reports and 40K content. So Michael, thank you so much for that. And it did come through, don't you worry. Oh man, thank you. I know tech isn't my friend either. I'm very primitive. So Michael A, thank you so much. And guys, thanks to Michael A, you guys are going to be seeing some upgraded camera. Well, my camera is pretty good, but I'm going to buy some flood lighting for my 40K battle report, so the table will be very, very well lit now. So thank you so much, dude. That is a fat one. Right when the Slanesh bots raid, too. Man, they come back in stronger numbers. I see it. Oh, my God. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, and we were talking last night. You wanted to sponsor the channel and get us some new equipment. So thank you so much, man. That's mega generous. And yeah, you'll be seeing some better quality bat reps, that's for sure. They'll be more well lit. And life will be good. Hell yeah, man. I don't know what to say. That's very generous. I was going to shop around a little bit and let you know how much the lights would cost, but if you insist. I know. So the donation was through, you can donate through PayPal or YouTube, and he donated through PayPal, so that's why you can't see it. Okay, sorry, I'm just like flabbergasted right now. Let me pick a map for these guys. To the Valley of Thieves. So, Shetland picks 3 factions. Memer bans 1 and picks. Then Shetland picks. Man, thank you so much, dude. So yeah, I'm going to be going to my store as soon as the Nurgle's rot calms down a little bit. And yeah, I'll get that equipment. Michael, thank you so much, man. I can't thank you enough. Legendary indeed. Jesus, man. Thank you. Yeah, that's something I wanted to do for my bat reps is get better lighting. It's really, that's like what separates the poor bat, like the lesser battle rep channels from the better ones is like lighting. And I hope that's not no sweat off your back, dude. I always feel bad when donations are that big. Here we go into the night. So Shetland for his factions and is going to pick Beastmen, Empire, and Tomb Kings. And now Extreme Memer bans 1 and picks. And then Shetland picks from the remaining 2. Yeah, Mr. Pig. I'll do that. I'll look into that. I don't know if you can do that with the Streamlabs on YouTube, but I'll see if I can for sure. I should be able to. But yes, Mr. Pig, I will do that for the next stream. Thank you for reminding me. Garland, get some rest, man. Michael, this game's for you, man. Hopefully you enjoy it. Shetland putting on a clinic with some cool builds here. So Shetland picks Beastman, Empire, and Tomb Kings. Now Zardar will ban one. Yeah, no, sorry, I can't get over that. That's just so much. Thank you. Thank you, man. Oh, man. All right. So Zardar can ban one of these three factions. Then he picks himself, and then Shetland picks. This is a new experimental format for Game 3 and Best of Threes, and also the format we're using for King of the Hills. No, Mr. Pig, I think that's good. Like putting on like the bottom, you know, is like just kind of a small thing that appears like every couple minutes, like as a shout out. I think it's a good thing to do. Oh, I completely get it. All right. Shetland Apache with Tomb Kings versus the Vampire Coast. A very even matchup, in my opinion. I've always felt like this is a good one. Two powerful undead factions just scrapping it out in the Valley of Thieves, which is an open field map. So artillery is viable for both factions, whether it be Boner Giants or any number of things. We will see, Mr. Pig. I shall evaluate it. I shall evaluate it indeed. Guac, that's the true Twitch approach, yeah. Yeah, I thought about doing, so I'm trying to like kind of diversify the streams a little bit in terms of having like different, I mean, King of the Hill, Showcase Best of Threes, Faction Wars, ECL format. Another one I was thinking about doing is, so with Streamlabs, you can have polls built in. So it does like a poll in chat. And I think I want to do another tournament where the players pick the factions for the, like you guys pick the factions. I don't know. I think something like that could be fun. So Shelton Apache's ready. Clearly he has a bunch of pre-prepared builds here. So he's all set, ready to party here in this matchup. And we'll see how this goes. We will see how this goes indeed. Thanks guys for joining. We're in the twilight of the stream as we wind down in our last battle. We've had a lot of great games today. We even got to see a bloated corpse take out Shades. Guac. Thank you, Guac, for the kind words. Yeah, I want some guacamole, man. I'm hungry. Maybe I'll go into the streets with my apocalypse gear and try and find a burrito. We'll see. Lady Turin and I have been cooking at home, actually, for the past couple days. And even if she says she isn't, she is a very good chef. She makes such good soups and these things called Bretonian beans, actually, which is a thing in Poland. It's kind of like similar to baked beans here, but they use like kielbasa and bacon. And oh, God, it's so good. I like crave it. Just thinking about it makes my mouth water. Anna, Bretonian beans. She says no. Because basically they just make you fart super bad.
No, I already ordered food and it's here to prevent...
to prevent it. What'd you order?
Good stuff, so wrap up.
Okay. We're almost done, darling.
Did you tell them?
I told them about the Bretonian beans, yeah.
But did you tell them about the consequences?
Yeah, I did, yeah. It's pretty good. Alright guys, final battle here of the stream. Shetland Apache and Zardar Total War in a contested best of 3. Skeleton Warriors. A couple Tomb Guard mixed in as well with King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion. Whenever I hear the Scorpion Legion, it always makes me think of the Mummy, like the Rock. You know, the Scorpion King, the spin-offs. Nekar Horsemen, Skeleton Horsemen, Carrion. So mostly a disruption army. It's not like looking to bring big constructs. Rather, it's looking to just overwhelm the Vampire Coast in numbers and troop quality and swarm the backline with horsemen and different things like that. We have Section of the Imperishable as well. And that's pretty much it. Now, Shetland going balls deep using a deck dropper Air Force. Now, there's 4 Carrion and there's 4 deck droppers. If controlled well, Zardar can assign 1 Carrion, or excuse me, Shetland. Oh wait, I have it backwards, sorry. Shetland is the Tomb Kings. Man, I'm just getting so confused. I'm delirious, I'm hungry. So basically, Shetland can assign one carrion to each deck dropper, and that will 100% shut them down. They will be pretty much useless for the rest of the battle. On top of that, it looks like Zardar has a bit of a rush himself, so he has, oh wow, 2 Depth Guard, 3 Mourngulls, Noctiluss on foot, and Scurvy Dog. So he doesn't have a back line of sorts, so even if his Air Force does get shut down, there still is a decent chance that the ground force for the Vampire Coast can defeat the Tomb Guard and Skeleton lines, which is pretty interesting. All right, well, going into the Air Force, usually when you see people go this hard in the Air Force, they have like Luther and other things that can defend in the sky and like kind of peel for the deck droppers, but Carrion are really, really tough to get rid of. They have a 44 melee defense, I think. 42? Yeah, no, wait, hold on. Oh, 48 with the chevrons. Okay, so he has chevrons put in those bad boys. And let's see what the players are saying. Good luck, have fun. Battle's underway, my friends. Let us see who can claim this best of 3 series in the twilight of this stream. We'll find out on the next episode. And Noctilus is going to be tough to kill for sure. There's not much in this army that's great against him with the exception of Cetra. So if Cetra can isolate Noctilus in the late game, his bonus for his infantry and his AP will certainly be enough to kill him. Noctilus, though, the eternal raid boss. So Shetland needs to make sure to get his carrion and have a big timing strike with all 4 carrion at once, jumping on the deck droppers so there's no crossfire. And if he can do that effectively, the deck droppers will basically just go into the trash can. Now, Zardar could land the deck droppers in melee combat, like when he gets into the frontline fight here. And then from there, the carrion would have to follow them in, and the Mourngulls could protect them. That's honestly, that's what a lot of people do when they have the Air Force disadvantage. They land on the ground and force the enemy Air Force to follow them, and then their ground force can help. It's a pretty common tactic for sure. Deck droppers here maybe looking to isolate the carrion. Some of the carrion for Shetland are in the Shadow Realm on the other side of the map. He does also have some Skeleton Horsemen in the Shadow Realm here. So Shetland definitely is going to want to get all those guys kind of rolling in here. Vampire Coast with a very defensive posture. Could do some serious work. And here comes the handguns and some of these other, not handguns, but deck droppers, excuse me, shooting at the carrion. I mean, yeah, if it wouldn't be a bad idea actually for Zardar to go all in with his deck droppers and try and take out the carrion one at a time while they're like spread out. But once the carrion unify, they're going to be able to shut down the deck droppers. So here comes the push. Carrion are going in, taking a little bit of damage on the approach from the deck droppers, but carrion are much better in melee combat than deck droppers. Should be able to defeat them here. Carrion charging in. So 1 deck dropper unit is tied down. Another unit's tied down. A 3rd one is tied down. And there's 1 free right now, which can help its fellow bat people. Wasn't that how the coronavirus was started? It was like someone ate a bat or something? Or is that just like a rumor? Anyways. Over here you can see that the carrion chasing down the deck droppers. Deck droppers, I think, can they shoot and run? I think they can. I don't remember if they have 360 shooting. I think they can. I think they can kite and shoot. So, although we'll have to look at that and see. It doesn't look like it really. So yeah, the carrion doing a really good job. So yeah, I think Shetland just waits here. There's no need to engage with that Vampire Coast force until the deck droppers are dealt with. Although you might do a little bit of harass, like a little cycle charging with Cetra and whatnot, but it's still dangerous. Mourngulls have good enough mass to block up Cetra, and Cetra could get pinned in, right? And with Noctilus's halberd, could get a little bit scary. So 2 of these deck droppers are offline, more or less. 100 speed on carrion compared to 80 on deck droppers. So the carrion will eventually catch the deck droppers and chip them down, slowly but surely. Cetra taking a bit of a fight over here, opting to engage. Wraithstorm being dropped by Noctilus, which will potentially do good damage. Yeah, that's not a bad start. Able to get some decent HP damage off Cetra. Narrow's Incantation of Protection going down to give him physical resist, and he's really taking this on his own here. Should probably get some skeletons or other troops in there to help him because he's taking a bit of unnecessary damage now. Zardar also going to be using a Zombie Pirate Gunnery Mob summon. Hey, at the very least, if Shetland gets away now, he baited out a summon, but it looks like he's really, really going in there pretty hard. Noctilus is chasing, of course. Mourngulls are nearby. Cetra doing some huge damage, actually, to the zombies, but he's really going all in. One-man army. Cetra trying to solo this Vampire Coast army. The deck droppers are, they're pretty much caught in every angle. It's really micro-intensive for Zardar to have to move those guys and just constantly be running from the carrion, which are faster. So I think just probably ignoring it is the way to go. Cetra's going to fight, though. It looks like he's staying in combat here. Going to be opting to go after Noctilus a little bit. But Mourngulls have him surrounded. He's taking gunfire. This is honestly probably best case scenario here for the Vampire Coast. Although it looks like the Mourngulls do peel off to go somewhere else. Peel off. That's funny. It's like a food. And it looks like Big Papa Cetra just continuing to ramrod through the Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs. And the Tomb Kings have so much infantry and reserves. They're probably just going to kind of wade in one at a time and not really play into the blob. Cetra really needs to kill the Depth Guard, though. The Depth Guard will buzzsaw through all this Tomb King's infantry if you're not careful. So that's going to be the biggest thing. Mourngulls will do well as also, against the infantry, but they're squishier, so like Skeleton Spears can actually hurt Mourngulls. Depth Guard, I think, are the biggest existential threat to his army, like hands down. Carrion still chasing Deck Droppers around. Deck Droppers trying to kite, but just being mulched by these desert birds. And here we do have the Depth Guard. Depth Guard are in combat, up to 14 kills already. Car Horsemen going to be charging in, which will be impactful. Depth Guard are somewhat tanky, 90 armor and 33 melee defense, but yeah, Cetra needs to finish those guys off eventually. Up on the high ground here, we do have Cetra fighting amongst another blob. There are some scurvy doggos, but he does have Tomb Guard here. He's got Nehekar Horsemen, which are pretty decent combatants themselves. And the Deck Droppers in the skies are going down. You can see 2 of them are crumbling down and are about to wither. And from here, he can basically use the Carrion to rear charge things. And, like if there's a Mourngull, just like swarm it with 4 Carrion, and it's going to tar pit it and do some pretty good damage. But Cetra's got the moves, and the Mourngulls are having a lot of problems keeping up with them. He's just kind of bouncing back and forth between his pockets of strength. And Depth Guard down here in the low ground are being flanked at the back, and they'll hold pretty well, especially if they get some invocation support. So Noctilus really needs to make sure he keeps those Depth Guard alive. Without the Depth Guard, the battle will pretty much be lost. Here you can see Cetra the Imperishable going after the Mourngulls, able to get some huge damage on those guys, leading them to crumbling actually. Incantation of Protection going down, this is like the dream situation. Getting Cetra on top of the Depth Guard, completely unprotected, is really, really good. And if he can keep following up, he definitely should. Going to be charging into the gun line temporarily. The Carrion have finished off all the Deck Droppers but 1, which has 8 models left, but it looks like they're crumbling pretty hard. It may just crumble down. Other 2 Deck Droppers here are down for the count. Depth Guard being charged here by Nehekar Horsemen, which Depth Guard will win that fight. So Cetra really needs to make sure to carry those guys. Down here, these Depth Guard, this is what I'm talking about. Depth Guard are so good at buzzsawing through skeletons. 58 weapon strength, they heal themselves in combat, they're armored. And Depth Guard have, 116 kills already. That's really, really strong. And also here, they're able to finish off the Horsemen here, which is, impactful. Deck Droppers up in the sky, taking a bit of a beating. Cetra just rolling in the deep, running over the zombies wherever he can. And now he's jumping on over to the Depth Guard. Chetland being very sticky and elusive here with his big old Sphinx breaking down the walls of the Depth Guard. 40 models left, but, a couple more Cetra charges, and they're going to have far less. But here, the Shetland Apache on the high ground, he does lose these Nehekar Horsemen to the Depth Guard. Depth Guard up here up to 33 kills themselves. These ones up to 136, probably going to have almost 200 before the fighting's over. But now they're going to get swarmed by, it looks to be Tomb Guard? No, Skeleton Warriors. And Skeleton Warriors, they all have those like giant shields, so it's a little bit tougher. I think Tomb Guard just have like more kind of ornaments on them. A little bit more decorated. So Vampire Coast's still in this for sure. They have a lot of Depth Guard. Noctilus is healthy. Depends on the state of his summons. Mourngull's up on the high ground, certainly causing some problems. But it looks like they might get zerged here. I don't know. There's some zombies left. The Carrion are swarming in. Mourngull's still 12 models and 23 kills. Tomb Guard and Nehekar Horsemen should be able to overwhelm 1 Mourngull, though. And the balance of power with all the Deck Droppers going down has gone into the favor of the Tomb Kings. A little bit here. And Cetra is just a huge menace. Now, the one way that, of course, Shetland could throw the game is if he lets Cetra the Imperishable just sit and fight Noctilus and just take that beating. And Depth Guard are good against hordes, but, this is a horde of hordes. There's a ton of undead here, a ton of skeletons. And, oh, man, the Ushapti summon is going to be so good here. The Ushapti summon giving him an extra bonus for his infantry unit here that can really, really tear through the Tomb Guard and these other forces. Really good raid storm, though, by Zardar, able to bomb down Cetra. Cetra taking quite a bit of work here. But he does get away before all is said and done and disrupts the gunnery mob unit here. Mourngulls and company on the high ground have rotated down here, but basically the Depth Guard are all gone. Just swarmed by just bodies here. And it seems like Shetland has done that a couple times today, both with Bretonnia and with the Tomb Kings here. But the balance of power is pretty rough here for the forces of the Vampire Coast. Because basically what's going to happen is it's going to be like a 45-minute grind fest with Noctilus fighting into, a million skeletons. But with Cetra being alive, Cetra can cycle charge in nonstop, and Zardar really will have no chance. Count Noctilus here on the ropes, Carrion coming in, and that was a pretty big factor. The Deck Droppers just getting wrecked like that. Like, that was rough. He didn't have too much to kill, like, Construct-type units, like Cetra. The Deck Droppers, of course, could have put some pepper on him, but at this point, it's basically Noctilus versus the Worlds. And 1 or 2 attacks on Noctilus, and he'll reach army losses if Cetra gets him. A zombie summon, so, Zardar with the heart of a lion, scrapping here, not giving up, but that is so much Tomb Kings. That is like, I feel like it's one of the Tomb Kings campaign battles with a bunch of haggard skeletons just overwhelming you. Noctilus trying to get his shanks in where he can, but Cetra is, he doesn't serve, that's for sure. He rules here in this case. And I think that the Extreme Memer is going to drop the series. It's probably going to go to Shetland here. Ushapti summon does disappear, but this is like the classic Noctilus grind. I can't tell you how many the Empire Coast games I've casted that end like this, with Noctilus surrounded by like a million units, and it just takes like 5 years for him to go down. Cetra definitely could get a little bit more aggressive. I mean, the HP difference isn't that big. Cetra could probably sit there and go after him, but Noctilus did save a lot of summons for the final battle, but, you know, the skeleton infantry of the Tomb Kings aren't going to be too bothered by that. Cetra, just like a happy cat, just prancing through its litter box here as it jumps over the over the skeletons. You could actually see Noctilus charging in, trying to get Cetra, but Cetra is just like, they can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread, imperishable one. And he's going to come in, go after Noctilus. Noctilus is nowhere near his healing cap, so hopefully for our sake and its army losses soonish. Because, man, there's no way Coast can win this. I mean, even if Noctilus was able to kill Cetra, I just don't think Noctilus could deal with that much. Like, he's not a crowd-clearing guy. He's more of an anti-large specialist, right? Hard Knock Life getting punted by Cetra once again. I think Cetra is probably going to want to stay in combat for a second. Or he might just keep running back and forth, which is probably the smart play. I mean, although honestly, 1 or 2 attacks would trigger army losses here. It was a really good battle, for sure. Obviously, a lot of Noctilus games do end this way. But Cetra is a good answer. You know, he's an anti-infantry character, anti-armor character here on the Sphinx. So he has, you know, all the tools to defeat Noctilus as long as he... But every time he charges, it's more likely to knock them over. Whereas if he sits and fights, it's more likely to do the damage here. This is so absurd. Oh man, guys. 10 minutes later. You guys remember that? Like all the memes. Yeah. There goes Cetra. Now there's the blow. You see, that's all it takes. Cetra like hitting him once or twice will trigger army losses probably. Because Noctilus is, yeah, that's it. And Cetra the Imperishable rules! And Shetland Apache wins the series 2-1 with some amazing Bretonnian, Dwarf games, Norskin games. Well played to both players. It was a really fun series to watch. Pretty evenly matched these two guys are. That's what happens, Extreme Memer, when you don't meme, man. The deck dropper is really the investment from those guys did not. Oh, he actually had a couple handguns too there. So that certainly didn't pay off. And there you have it, my friends. Imagine if Noctilus had Pendulum. I don't know if he can bring Pendulum. I think he brings Melkoth's. 'Tis but a flesh wound. GG, my friends. Cetra rules. Well played. So that is it for today, my friends. We've had an excellent run of games. I want to end the stream before the 4-hour mark so it'll actually process and we can get things going. But thank you guys so much for all of your support. Hopefully these streams are helping you guys get through some of these boring, dragging times here. But nonetheless, we're doing it. And yeah, we'll be back. I did used to watch Husky StarCraft back in the day. Yeah, way back when he first started. But thank you all. Been great. We have a donation closing out the stream from Gallahan of $3.63. Keep up the great content. Your streams have always been such a treat. Glad to finally find out how to donate. Gallahan, thank you so much, man. And we're doing it for you, man. We'll keep it going. I might take tomorrow off streaming to catch up on some videos, but from there, throughout the week, we'll have more streams. Obviously, next Saturday, we have the ECL Grand Finals. And yeah, you can bring Pit of Shades, says Flying Taco. And then the weekend after that, I'm going to be organizing a faction war. I haven't started organizing it yet, but it will be happening. So special thanks to the mods today. You guys certainly stood firm against the foul might of Slaanesh, as always. Couldn't do it without your interlocked shield wall holding back that filthy Slaanesh action. And also, guys, for the donations, thank you so much. Gallahan, Michael A. I mean, guys, let's get a big round of applause for Michael A. Dropping a fat $500 for me to upgrade my lighting equipment for the 40K battle reports. So there's going to be a lot of those coming. 40K battle reps are a little bit slower than usual now, simply because a lot of people in my league are just kind of bunkering up. A lot of them have kids, so they're very nervous, and parents and stuff that live with them, they're a little bit nervous about getting their parents sick and things like that. So people are being very, obviously, staying in a lot now. So as soon as the kind of wave passes, there will be a lot more 40K battle reports. But Michael A., thank you so much for that very generous donation, man. I can't thank you enough. That's huge. And also, donations from Torsten Valina, Mr. Pig, Pumbaa, coming in with multiple donations as well. Garland Green, as always, thank you so much. Torsten William, Andrew Howie, and we had some Sir Earl Grey in the beginning of the stream. What a great name. John donated 5 as well. And Alan Jones with a great question asking what melee unit do we think we could beat up in real life. I might have to do a video on that. Pickled Buddha as well. Thank you in the beginning for your donation. And hopefully that's everyone. Thank you, guys. I'm very hungry. The Flying Taco has arrived to aid our hunger. And we'll be back soon. Stay tuned. And again, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate the support. And we'll be back with some more streams, some more off content, weird stuff this week. I'm thinking of doing some Magic streams. Maybe I'll do a Magic stream tomorrow night. We'll see. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the other side. Take care.